Hello, welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews podcast number 10.
Number 10!
I'm Gary.
I'm Ian.
And joining us for the second time is Andy. Welcome back, Andy, to the podcast.
I drew the dicks.
It was you. And of course, this is the October podcast.
Yes.
So the theme of this podcast is going to be horror and themes of Halloween.
Wait, no. We discussed this. We were going to discuss the history of Halloween, the season.
Well, yeah, and what we kind of get up to during the Halloween season,
He just
which is
changes
talk about horror
He
movies.
just changes it.
I'm ripping up all my
That's it.
imaginary
I made all
notes
these
right now.
notes.
All the notes that I
Fucking
didn't write
history of
down
Sam
again
Hain.
ripped up.
Well, that's just fucking funny.
That's not even how you pronounce it, Ian.
It is. It's Sam Hain, right?
Sam Hain, yeah, Sam Hain. Yeah.
Yeah, but
Okay, two of us clearly researched it. One of us didn't. Just fucking man. Fucking fist bump, motherfucker.
So, to begin the podcast, as always, we're going to talk about what we've recently watched and what we've recently been playing before we move into the film news, film trailers, then the main section of the podcast, which is up for debate as to what it is.
I'm talking about Christmas. Fuck you.
And then we'll go into the Q&A section.
Yes.
So, I'm going to begin with a question that we've been hit with quite a lot over the last week or 2 weeks, Ian.
Okay.
Is thoughts on the new It movie. And also in comparison to the TV version.
Well, you know, I haven't seen it yet in the cinema, but by the time this podcast goes out, I might have, or I might have just been really, really lazy. But I wikied it, like I always do with all my films. And the thing that threw me off,
Bear in mind, no fucking spoilers because I've not seen it yet.
Well, no, but okay. So take the beginning of it. You know, you've got the little boy Georgie running down the street, getting his little
His
boat, the
SS
paper
Georgie.
boat.
The SS Georgie.
SS Georgie. Obviously, it goes down the drain. The clown appears, tries to convince him to get in there. What threw me when I was reading it was, whoever typed it up actually went into detail about what happened to Georgie, and there was a lot of detail. And that was just in the first section. I'm like, that's good. I like that. If you are going full-fledged, no holds barred gore effect to shock the audience in the opening sequence, then it keeps them on the edge of their seat.
Now that's interesting. Everyone's seen the trailer?
Yeah.
I've seen the film.
Oh, right, okay, well then I will say this, because if they go full gore, that's great, because 10 seconds earlier, he runs down the street and hits his head like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
And that, in the trailer, I laughed out loud.
He did
hard.
in the book too.
I know, but I haven't read the book since I was really young, so
Sure.
when I was watching the trailer the first time, that was a really audible, like, "Pah!"
Yeah,
as soon as he
is,
fucking
totally.
runs into it.
You're so sympathetic to him, and the actor playing Georgie is so adorable. He is so cute, and when he's conversing with Pennywise, like, all of your alarm bells are going off.
Yeah, you're just like, get out of there!
I know, and as you said in the description of the gore, I was horrified. Like, having that adorable child with a severed arm walking towards this camera screaming.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, this is one of the most horrific fucking violent kills I've seen in a horror movie in forever. Like, this is horrific.
Well, I mean, since Feast, where that guy throws the baby up.
Yeah,
in the air.
but that was nowhere near as effective as this opening was.
Yeah,
Now, I have to say, the rest of the film is nowhere near as effective as that opening.
Oh, right, okay.
Jump scare? Is there a lot of jump scares?
It's a jump scare movie. There is the subtle moments, like from the TV series and the book, like for instance when she's at the sink and she hears the voices down there and the blood spits up.
Yeah.
This film just cranks that up to 20.
Do you feel though that they're hampered by the fact that these things are coming because we've seen the original or read the book?
Well, what I like about it as well is that they've taken all of the scenes that were not in the miniseries, and so basically, if you take the miniseries and the theatrical release, you get about 2/3 of the book when you combine it together, which is great because you see other parts of their stories that the TV miniseries didn't cover, like Henry Bowers' relationship with his father. I also wasn't happy with the fact that they kind of ruined Mike's character by giving him he had the history and the knowledge of the town.
Yeah,
they've given all of that to
yeah.
Ben's character in this film, which I didn't like because it left with Mike not much to do. Yeah. And you kind of forget about him after a while because he's not as pivotal to the Losers Club.
Yeah, but I mean, when's it set? In the 19...
It's set in the 80s.
80s.
Which is great.
So, without being... Yeah, but without being funny, if they take that away from Mike, it's not even like he's a black kid in the 60s, which, like...
True,
is
no,
more
no, no,
important.
But
like,
it's
you know,
still a
so-
Stephen King adaptation, so the rampant racism is still there.
Oh, okay.
And it's also
Yeah.
funny
Oh,
when you
good,
hear
'cause,
the
you know,
kids
I'd be
calling
upset.
each other, faggots, which
Yeah.
of course is not a word which is used, anymore.
Yeah, and I suppose that's the thing as well,
It's-
is that, to bring newer audiences in and to establish,
It's a film
Pennywise
for a broad audience.
as this scary kid. Having Georgie as the kid who's killed off at the beginning, having the influence of his brother as well, keeps the new audience focused on what the story is about. It's like what we said with the TV miniseries. Yeah, you had all that good stuff with the kids, and that first part is really, really good. But then when you come into the second part, it drags. And I'm really hoping that the second part, the actors that come in, work with the children, establish the personalities of the children through their adult-like acting, and then they don't fuck it up with some shitty-ass CGI spider at the end of it.
Well, I rewatched the original literally about probably a week ago actually, and it's like, I mean, I don't. If you've watched it recently,
Yeah.
you kind of watch
It's
it
fresh
going
in
like,
memory.
Jesus Christ, this is camp as fuck, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, the second part, you are right, it does drag. But I think in a way, it's kind of. I can see why they went for the shock value, such a horrific. You describing that to me, like, especially being a parent, sounds horrible.
Yes, that's what
Like,
got me
I
as well.
almost don't want to watch it
Yeah.
now,
Yeah,
but
it is.
it's hard to even, like, you watch it, the remake, the original now, sorry, and you kind of think to yourself, like, maybe I was only scared of this because I was a kid at the time.
Absolutely, and that's
Because
why
you don't
the
see
film has done
anything.
so well
Nothing
today.
happens.
Because all of us that were kids when that TV
Yeah.
miniseries came out are now mostly adults and parents. So
It
you
affects
remember
us
the
more.
horror.
The most frightening thing of it is that Tim Curry's got some big ass teeth.
Yes, see, well,
Now and again.
Now, when the,
And other than that, he's pretty camp.
when the trailer for the new It came out, everyone reacted badly to the new Pennywise. They're like, "That's not Pennywise. He's too scary already."
Yeah.
But he was, and so I was apprehensive of his
They
performance
did
going
not
in.
show a lot of him without scary face on, did they?
That's true.
They don't show him, like, I'm assuming when he's talking to Georgie and telling him that he's got cotton candy down here and stuff, he's not scary. He's
he
got
has
that,
like
you know,
nervous tics. Like
Right.
he's trying his damnedest to convince this kid that he's a good clown when
Yeah.
his body and his pure nature is giving him away.
Yeah.
Which is why Georgie is like. It's
But again,
reluctant.
as the
But
audience, you know, it's
you
like
already know.
you already know, like,
But-
don't trust that fucking
But I have
clown.
to say, he gives a standout performance as Pennywise. I mean, like I said, a lot of it is jump scares, but some of his moments are so well delivered. And I didn't know this about Bill Skarsgård, is that he has a natural lazy eye. And so when he relaxes his face, his left eye sort of
Wanders.
and having Pennywise at his eye just wander off his
Oh,
face.
that's fucking creepy.
It's
Yeah,
so
pretty-
creepy. And I'm like, that's not even CGI.
I'm
that's
not a big
just-
fan of that at all.
But the horror and the creepiness is lessened by the fact that it is jump scare every 8 to 12 minutes of the film.
Are you looking forward though to the second part?
Yes, which I only just found out as well that it's not even in production yet. It's not even written.
Oh.
Like they didn't even plan
Well-
really to go full ahead with it. But now it, I think, has just become the highest.
Oh yeah, I was
grossing
going to say it had
horror
an
movie
amazing
of
opening
all
weekend,
time.
didn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen the bookings at the cinema, and night after night after night of trying to get a seat is impossible. There's no seats left
Just
unless you
jam-packed.
want to sit at the very front, which you you don't really want to do ever. So yeah,
Not in that.
No. So the second film that I managed to catch in the cinema was Terminator 2.
Oh man, I was going to
In
go to that. I didn't
3D.
get chance.
Is that any good? I don't think I've ever seen the second movie.
Fuck
You know,
off, man.
I was
Oh,
curious because I didn't
so
look at the
good.
runtime of the ticket, and so I was sat there and I was like, this is going to test my knowledge as to whether I can go, this is the director's cut
Yeah, right.
or the theatrical version, and I haven't seen the theatrical version since the mid-90s. Like,
Yeah.
The first big giveaway is when he starts teaching him to smile, right?
no,
They're
no,
going down
no.
the Mexico, isn't it?
the first sequence
It's the
that I ever
dream
remember being put in is the
sequence.
dream
Oh, yeah.
sequence.
Where Michael Biehn comes from.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course.
Now, it annoyed me because there's other moments, because I was sat and the cinema was sold out. I had to book the tickets in advance.
Yeah.
And it annoyed me that there was other people in there with Terminator 2 shirts on and everything else. And it got to the point where they got into the desert where somebody just went, oh, it's not the director's cut. And I'm just sat there like, you fucking idiot.
Idiot.
Like,
Yeah, right.
I felt like a proper film snob, but I felt it. I meant it.
It's really quiet, and you're like, get out!
Right?
But it's like what we said when we reviewed the film, those deleted scenes, they're really, really good, but at the same time, they don't really add or do anything major to the story of the
Well,
film.
yeah, it does. It changes the story when because he says to him in the director's cut, they have the point where they have to remove part of his CPU to let him learn new
They just
things.
have to
Whereas
flip
when
the
they
switch
did
manually,
yeah,
yeah.
but when he's in the other cut of it, it's like he's in the car and he says to him like, "Can you learn things you've not been programmed with?" And he says, "My CPU's a learning computer."
Yes, I understand
So-
that. And the sequence they do in the garage is absolutely brilliant.
But it's the dialogue
ultimately-
between John and his mother about whether to destroy the chip
Yeah.
now while we have the
Oh,
chance.
she's got the
which
fucking
is,
lump hammer
Exactly.
in the air, and she's
That's the moment.
Man.
But ultimately,
That's amazing.
watching it, you know, you don't really want him to go into a shop and start learning how to shop. You want him to fucking arm the fuck up because there's a T-1000 chasing them and they've got to deal with that
Yeah, but
first.
it makes that scene where he turns and gives that iconic smile so much better when you've seen him learn to smile.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
fucking
that's-
cool.
yeah,
Man.
yes.
I love that movie so much. I always say, if you ever get a woman say like, "Men are so insensitive," I'm like, "Bitch, you see me with that thumb going into the
Yeah,
lather, I'm
totally.
crying. I'm crying like a baby."
And so yeah, it was great to watch it. Also in 3D. You know, I'm not the biggest advocate of
How
3D.
was it in 3D?
It was great. You know, watching
Really?
the T-1000 doing all
I
of
can
his
imagine
tricks
that.
and the bullets and everything.
Yeah.
You got to remember when that movie first came out, graphically.
Yeah,
That
it
was
pushed
a
the
that was a
boundaries of
new
CGI.
level.
Groundbreaking.
Fuck,
Yeah.
say what you want about like James Cameron and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but he knows when to raise the bar. South Park
Definitely.
reference, but-
Now, one of the other reasons why I had to go and see Terminator 2 is because James Cameron said if Terminator 2 3D does well, I'm going to restore and make Aliens in 3D and put it back in cinemas. And I kind of wet myself a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, oh sorry, yeah, Alien. Sorry, my
Yeah,
brain heard
Aliens.
Alien, and I was
Yeah.
like, in 3D, why? But no, absolutely,
Aliens.
Aliens,
Aliens
totally,
in
dude,
3D,
yeah.
And also recently caught up and watched Train Spotting 2. Now,
Oh,
it
what's
came
that?
out
Any
a
good?
while ago, and I kind of skipped the buzz around
I
it. I
still
was
haven't
like,
watched it
yeah, it's
yet.
fine. I remember Train Spotting fondly. But rewatching it, it was one big giant nostalgia trip.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I watched it, and Donna, my wife, was sort of like, "What did you think?" I was like, "It's the same movie.
Yeah,
It's the same fucking movie." Although I did like the scene in the bar where they sang the song.
Yeah, well, they had to make up a song because
That was
they were,
very good.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah,
I just realized when I was watching it, I missed Ewan McGregor.
Right.
You know, I thought he was a great actor, and then he did the Star Wars prequels.
First
and
movie for a while, you're like, "Oh, that's right, you're Scottish."
yes. And he's always great to watch. There was a TV show that he was a host where he was just traveling across the country.
Long way round and long way
Yeah.
down.
Yes,
They did the Road of Bones through like Siberia and stuff like that.
I
With
always-
Charlie Boorman. That was
he
I
was
was
great
hooked
to
on
watch.
that, man.
I've
Yeah.
always
That
loved
was
Ewan
amazing.
McGregor. I loved him in The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Yes, yeah,
That's
yeah.
a brilliant film. I just love that one.
He was good in like fucking
seeing
Beauty and the Beast.
Robert
I thought.
Carlyle. Robert Carlyle. Again. I
Robert
haven't seen him
Carlyle
in
is
He
so
kind of
long.
he kind of steals the show in this one.
He does.
He's got the most interesting story,
Yeah,
and he's the only one who I think you kind of develop the character of in the second movie.
true. Yeah,
I would say so.
Yeah. He has some awkward scenes to handle. I mean, when you see interviews with him, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
But his part in the Train Spotting movies, he's so violent and so angry.
And then like Donna and Jessica will sit there and watch Once Upon a Time with him in,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'll catch it now and again, and then I watch Train Spotting 2. I was like, this is surreal now. This is so weird.
I'm sorry, but we're talking about the same guy in 28 Weeks Later. You know,
Yeah,
he
feral.
was
He's a
brilliant in
monster.
that. And
Yeah,
then when he
dude.
gets hold of his wife, I'm like, okay, that man is violent.
That's fucked up.
For sure.
He definitely goes to a different place when he plays Begbie, I think.
Yeah,
so,
Definitely.
Because I think there's a bit, isn't it, when he remembers the point from the first movie where he throws the fucking
Yeah.
glass over the bar and smashes the girl in the face of it.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and he's literally spitting the lines out, remembering it, and he's reading like Spud's memoirs.
Exactly. The characters are
And you can
nostalgic,
see how
and
he's
the
like-
audience watching it is
Yeah,
nostalgic
yeah,
for it.
that was kind of cool. But yeah, I was like, same movie.
Yeah, yeah. It was fun. It was a good filler film.
I need to watch it at some point.
You should
Yeah.
watch it.
Oh, I've wikied it.
So, Ian, what have you been watching lately?
Oh man, I just between work and fucking editing the most recent reviews that are going up right now in October. Obviously, you're probably seeing them now. The fucking series that we did. 6 fucking weeks of editing that fucking series just
Tell me about it.
broke me.
What film are you
Broke
talking
me.
about, dude?
The Resident Evil series. So I've been
Oh,
watching
you've
that.
not mentioned it.
And obviously I've been watching all the films for the upkeep of the reviews. I've been living on the network, WWE Network.
Fuck yeah.
Literally, I've recently learned to combo editing and watching wrestling at the same time. So I'll just get a pay-per-view. I'll stick a pay-per-view on any pay-per-view. And you told me, Andy, was that they jump. You know, so like if you watch Great
Oh yeah,
American
if you
Bash
put like Great American
1999,
Bash, it'll drop to the
it'll
next
drop
year.
to the next one
Yeah,
and
it's
the
awesome.
next one. So I'm literally sat there and I'm in the background. I can hear, oh my god, he's got a chair and this, that, and the next thing. And then 3 hours pass and it jumps into the next pay per view, and I'm like, shit, I'm still working, and it just keeps me focused. Just fucking movie after movie. If you've been following the Facebook page, I've got movies on in the background as well. I am waiting. Obviously, I am waiting for the new Hawaii Five-0 to start at some point, but I don't know how that's going to turn about with all the
I
controversy
thought we
behind
would just
that.
not even get a Hawaii Five-0 mentioned now that it's off the air.
No, Hawaii Five-0 is my shit, Gary. It's my shit.
So this was my Christmas present.
You know,
No, mention away,
I
but-
need to. What I really need to do is I need to force myself to sit down and watch the last few episodes of the Walking Dead series.
Oh
season.
yeah, dude!
I
I,
think
just
it's
did that.
season 7 that I've just
Season
finished.
7, yeah. I
Season
just watched
8
the
is
back
starting
half of
very
it.
soon.
I got up to the
Yeah.
breaking point, and then I got
Same here.
the last episodes, and they're just still sat there on the computer. They're
They're
still
really
sat
good.
there, and I'm like, I need to watch them, but I'm going to watch Bad Blood 2003 instead.
Shawn Michaels Triple H.
No, Triple H versus Kevin Nash and Hell in a Cell.
Oh, that's a
And
shame.
the Redneck Triathlon where Mae Young... No, Fabulous.
That's when he cut his fucking hair, wasn't it? He had the fucking Kevin Nash cut his hair. And
Yeah,
he
he cut his hair
flat
short.
top, and it
Yeah.
was like it's just not the same.
Yeah. But still good. Yeah, I've just been living on that recently.
Good. Andy, what have you been watching lately?
Well, funnily enough, I watched the back half of that series of Walking Dead, actually. And, dude, it's really good. I won't say anything like to spoil it because it's I enjoyed the first half of the season, but it was all basically like it was if it was
Building up.
first 6 episodes, I guess I might be wrong, but if it's 6 episodes, it's 6 episodes of just building up to a man hug between Daryl and Rick to be like, yay, we got him back.
Yeah.
The second half is really interesting. I don't think that there's like a dud episode in the back half of it.
I know.
And as a
that's
fan
what
of the
keeps on me.
comics, I'm
I
like,
need to watch
it's-
I
this.
binged
really
watched
good.
a lot in a single sitting.
Yeah, man. I think it's one of the strongest series that they've done. So yeah, what's
Well,
that?
I have to counter that with Fear the Walking Dead. In
Not
my
watched it
opinion,
yet.
the last season of that totally outdone The Walking Dead.
Well, they do 2
in-
series now.
I
Three,
think
they're on
they're
their
on season
finished
3.
season
Yeah,
five.
season 3.
Three.
And
I
season
wanted-
3 was outstanding. I hated the first season. I hated it, and I didn't even think I'd go back. I trudged through the second season, and then the third season blew me the fuck away. I cannot sing the praises of that show, and I almost stopped because my favourite character on the show was killed off.
Yeah.
And I was like, now what
Oh,
the fuck have I
shit.
got to come back for? But it proved me wrong. It was like, this is why I love a zombie-centered universe where characters come in and go. You know,
Yeah.
it is a soap opera at the end of the day where characters come in and go, but the stories that you can tell in that universe are so intense, and they're very creative with the groups of survivors that you have.
And it's doing something new. You know, it's like
It's
we
not
said,
bound by the comic
Yeah,
book.
it's not bound
Yeah,
by the comic
absolutely.
books.
That's always
It's
good.
able to do something where you can get shocked and go, this character I've been following for 2 seasons has just been killed off. I hope they bring him back. Well, no, he's got no head. Okay, yeah, but I really wish he'd come back.
Well, I mean, you might see him again. You might just not be very happy.
Yeah.
With it, but, well, I did rewatch. Apart from the new stuff I watched, I rewatched all of the Mighty Boosh
Nice.
with my kid, and it was all awesome until
Daddy,
we.
what's a crack fox?
Honest, that's what fucked it up. Oh god, I forgot how genuinely scary the crack fox is. Now she sat there watching. She fell in love with the Hitcher,
Yeah.
which is great for me because I could do a mean Hitcher impression. So I've been having her roaring around. I've been chasing her around the house like, oh boy, and it's like, you know, like I'm gonna cut you up like this. And she runs. I'm like, no, I'm a terrible parent. But yeah, she did watch the crack fox, and at first I was like, I started watching it. Fuck, he is scary. Like, to be fair, and I was like, you're all right. And she's like, yeah. And then when he got in the house, she just looked at me and she went, nope. And we did have a couple of sleepless nights, but yeah, we watched that. I forgot how amazing that was, but I watched American Vandal, and I gotta say, man, I would normally say up until this point, I'd say the best Netflix original series they've done has been Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Mostly because those kids are fucking amazing. But
Well,
oh
it's
my
one of the
God,
actors that
is in it.
Yeah.
Mate, American Vandal is spellbinding, and it's like,
Wow.
if anyone doesn't know what it is,
I don't.
it's acted, you know, it's scripted documentary, okay, and it's all about this young high school student. He's a senior, and he's expelled from his school because there's an act of vandalism that he is blamed for.
Yeah.
Someone spray paints 27 dicks onto the teacher's cars in the car park, okay? And it's about so it'll be a freshman student, I guess, making this documentary to prove whether or not he did it.
Yeah.
It's the most captivating thing I've ever watched. It shouldn't be, but I swear to God, me and Donna started watching it on this last Sunday. But it's 8 episodes, and they shouldn't be able to hold your fucking attention for 8 episodes of this. But we're 5 episodes deep, and she's like, it comes to like about 9:30 or something. She's like, and we're both working the next day. And she's like, I'm going to bed. Are you coming? I'm like, no, I've got to know.
I was
like, I'd have gone to bed, and I'd have been lying there going like, well, the ball hairs weren't the same as the ones you drew on the blackboard, and like, I'd just be lying in bed like, no, fucking dicks coming out of everywhere, just like, oh my God. And I'm not going to spoil anything because you just got to watch this fucking show, man.
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
It's amazing. But it's like when they go into like, they have like CSI built sets of like, well, this, it's a great commentary on like, I'm going to sound really old, but kids these days with like the phones, they've got all the technology, everything's like posted on Twitter and everything's fucking Snapchat and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like he's been given access to all the students' phones, so it's like there's a big party where it said like he's trying to prove this kid innocent because he's saying he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, we've got 100 people's phone footage from this party. And we're going to try and piece together the point where people say they planned it. And can we hear it over here? And can we hear it over there? And like, you see from this angle. And I'm just like, this is better than fucking making a murderer, dude. But it's done in that vein. And it's
an amazing whodunit mystery.
Amazing. Oh my God. So good. That's the best thing I've watched.
That's a great concept as well. Yeah, I'll need to watch that. What's it called again?
American Vandal. It's on Netflix.
Vandal.
Just clear the time to watch all of it because it's just too good to put down. It honestly is.
Awesome.
But I watched Straight Outta Compton as well last night because again it just popped up on Netflix.
Amazing film.
Yeah,
what a
it's on my to watch
man.
list.
That fucking they even managed to drop a "Bye Felicia" in there.
Yeah.
It's fucking made me smile. But
Bye, Felicia.
Bye Felicia. It's just it's great, man. It really, and it did take me back to like when fucking NWA first hit and like Straight Outta Compton hit, and then like
hip hop got
all
really
fell
big.
apart, and then you had like even looking at it from this country, like you knew about the LA riots. I mean, I was in secondary school when it first dropped, and it's like you'd hear about the LA riots and you'd see it on the news and everything. It was global news, man, and it was like, this is such an amazing retelling.
See, I've got a really crazy theory after watching Straight Outta Compton, right? Because he
Ice Cube drew the dicks.
you've got Eazy-E, who was obviously working with a Jewish producer with NWA, and Eazy-E was making shitloads of money, and the rest of his bandmates weren't, and the Jewish producer was kind of ripping them off.
He was embezzling everything.
So when Eazy-E finds out about it, he goes round to this guy's house to question him. Now, obviously, later on, Eazy would die of AIDS, right? And he has no idea where the fuck he got it from and shit. But obviously, living the lifestyle he was obviously doing stuff that he shouldn't have been doing.
They do make a point of saying, like the doctor's like, you can get it from heterosexual sex.
Yeah. But there's the point where he goes round to the producer's house and questions him about the money problem. And the producer is cooking, right? And he makes a bowl of food for Eazy-E. And Eazy-E eats a couple of spoonfuls of it and then just walks out when he hears the information that this guy's been ripping him off. I think that's where he fucking poisoned him.
With AIDS?
I reckon the producer poisoned him right there with AIDS.
He's like, I'll show this kid.
Yeah, that's what I reckon.
Moving stuff in the cupboard. So, cinnamon, where's my AIDS?
Where's my AIDS? Give him a jar of AIDS.
Where's my HIV flakes? That is a theory.
That's a theory. Goes along with my
theories, Iain.
my Dave Grohl.
Basically, what you just sat there for 5 minutes, basically saying the Jews did it. I just want to put that out.
Well,
to you.
no, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the music producer did it because he didn't want to lose the money. But hey, you're throwing in the racism there.
Put the card back in the deck.
I'm going to quickly move on to what we've been playing recently. Video games. Now, I don't want to go too much into details because I'm actually going to do some Gaming Fridays on them. But of course, now, we're in the middle of looking at some of the Resident Evil games over the next couple of Fridays. So these reviews are on hold until then. Plus, I want to really sink my teeth into them a little bit more so I can give a full, rounded,
opinion of it.
First one is Destiny 2.
Oh, yeah. Back to the grind.
Well, yeah. Now,
well, that's a fair point.
I was one of the suckers that went full balls deep with Destiny 1. I'd seen some of the early promotional material and I spent, 70, 80 quid on its release.
Yeah.
And then when I got the game...
Dude, you can buy those games for like 40 quid, right?
Yeah, but I got the season pass and the fucking... and the pre-order bonus.
Like, you don't have to give Patreon fucking money to like a big corporation, dude.
And so, Destiny 1 was a major letdown. No story whatsoever.
Yeah.
It was just
it was
abundantly
a
clear
grind
that it
fest.
was a gutted game turned into a grind fest. But I also can't help but sing the praises of Bungie's gameplay.
Yes.
It's the finest run, gun, jump, shoot experience
Yes.
I've played in a long time.
They should be pretty good at it by now.
For sure,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, totally.
And,
Like, if they can't get it right, who can?
And Destiny 2 is their, trademark gameplay.
Yeah.
Just fine-tuned, if you can believe it, just even more. And what they have added is a story mode with lots of cutscenes and characters. But at the same time, it's like it suffers what Gears of War sort of 4 suffered, where
Okay.
tonally the human race is on the brink of extinction. Literally nobody left. Or end game. Humanity wiped out forever. And characters are fucking cracking jokes. And it pisses me off. I'm like, God damn it, like, how can I get emotionally invested in this when none of you really act like this is happening?
Yeah, my wife's being killed. My son's being killed. I'm not getting any Christmas presents this year.
There's like a 12-second moment where you walk through and you see injured civilians walking around and you can see some of the damage and what's going on, and that's it. And then the rest of it is like, I've got all the weapons, the best weapons of the universe, and fucking gonna go get some.
Yeah.
But the gameplay's good and it's addictive, and I keep coming back, and I'm also enjoying the PvP. So, but I'll go into more of those details on the Gaming Friday. Yeah. The other game is also a sequel, and it's Divinity Original Sin 2.
You really loved the first one.
Well, I'm kind of ashamed that my Gaming Friday review of that game, I was just like, it's okay.
That the whole review.
Yeah, it was for 30 minutes. I was like, I'm enjoying it, but it's old school. There's not enough voice actors.
Yeah.
It's convoluted and complicated and difficult.
And I'm still playing it.
And then I stopped. Then I stopped playing it for like a year, easy. And then I got the game on PC and played it through again, and absolutely loved it. It was amazing. I played it with a Heroic Encounters mod on, which added... It basically was a mod, a glorified mod, which upped the difficulty of the game, made more random boss encounters randomly appear.
Yeah.
And we go all the way to the end boss, and we could never defeat him on the encounters.
I remember you told me that. Yeah,
encounters.
we just stopped playing.
We stopped playing and said it was the bad ending. The dragon killed us all. Game over.
I was just like,
All right.
who does that? Who gets all the way to the end of the game?
A bored DM.
Yeah, gets to the boss and goes, this boss too hard.
Fuck you guys.
Okay.
My mum's home soon. The dragon kills you all. No, don't roll any dice. It's fine.
And now the sequel is out after several years, and right now it's sitting on a 94% on Metacritic.
Nice.
And I'm saying it now easily, Game of the Year. There is one simple fact that it does that, and it was a Kickstarter funded game as well.
Yeah.
And like just a couple of months before the game released, they turned around and said, yeah, actually we voice acted everything.
Wow.
They got in so many voice actors and recorded for months, just recording audio, and it's all voice acted, which is such a great addition to the game because it helps bring the characters to life.
Yeah.
But the real reason why I rate this game so highly is that they've added a Game Master mode.
Nice.
Which means one player plays the Game Master and has up to 4 other heroes going on Dungeons and Dragons style adventures. The Game Master mode is so intuitive and simple that you can literally choose from an index of monsters and civilians and races, drag and drop them onto the field on the fly, change their names and stats and skills and abilities and inventory on the fly. You can turn them from enemies to allies. You can add surface effects. Basically, you can also get the players to roll dice on attribute tests when they decide to do something that you haven't planned for.
Yeah.
And on the fly, you can make it happen. You can also prepare all of your environments.
The interface you showed me just now when I turned up looked amazing. Like, really simple to use, but like in-depth, but simple to use. You know
Definitely.
what I mean?
Now, it's also going to have mod support. You're going to be able to add... You can already add your own custom maps, sort of character profile images, and they're called vignette windows.
Yeah.
Nice.
Totally customizable, and it literally gives the players the options to click, you know, there's a hungry wolf. Do you want to draw your weapon? Try to talk to it. Run. Hide in the bush. And then if players go, actually, I want to throw it some meat from my pouch. You
try and
quickly,
tame it.
the dungeon master adds the option in instantly, and it appears there for the players.
Nice.
These are not real world reactions, Gary. Just so you know, if you see a hungry wolf, don't try and engage it in fucking conversation. All right, that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, but I've got the pet pal perk.
I don't care.
I know what they're saying. I can tell you its name. So
You're like, I created you.
Ian, you've been playing anything recently?
I've just recently carried on with my Earthbound playthrough on my SNES emulator.
Mm-hmm.
I'd gone a massive stint of not playing anything because of all the work and reviews we were doing. And after a while, it was really pissing me off that I just needed to play something. And I was looking at all my games, and I was
Life
like,
finds a way, dude.
yeah, I was
Of ruining
like,
all your cool shit.
I need to play something. And you know, I was looking at Doom, and I'm like, I've done Doom to death, and I don't want to buy any new games because you know it's the new South Park game's coming out, and I'm really interested in that. And,
Oh, man, that looks
and
cool.
I want to get Friday the 13th, but Gary stopped playing it now, so you know, fuck that shit. I'm not playing it on
You know,
my
I'm just
own.
going to recreate Friday the 13th in Divinity.
Yeah.
and you know, a part of me was just like, right, I just want to do an RPG, you know. And I was looking at lists online of classic RPGs, and I was close to playing Chrono Trigger again,
Oh, I love that fucking game.
and
man.
a couple of the Final Fantasies, and then this little voice inside my head was like, you haven't finished Earthbound. I was just like, right, I'm going back to it, and I've just got to Threeson, the third town, which is infested with zombies, and you know, it's the weird thing about this game is that even though I never played it as a kid, I heard such great things about it, and now I'm playing it as an adult. I'm just making jokes to myself as I'm playing it. It's like my dad. You know, my dad's on the phone that I can save to. So you go to the phone, you ring him up. He tells you he's deposited so much money in your bank account. Do you want to save? Yes. And then he says, do you want to carry on playing or not? And so you can choose to end the game there. And then whichever one you say, he says, right, I'm going off the bed now. And I swear my dad in that game is a crack addict. Because it doesn't matter what... it doesn't matter what...
Explain.
It doesn't matter what time of the day it is.
Is he
right?
like...
He's always going to bed. He's always got a surplus amount of money, right? So I'm just like... He's got to be dealing drugs.
He's not like, you got to go on this adventure, Morty.
It's just like, well, you carry on. I'm going to hit the hay. And I'm like, Dad, it's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm too tired. You go off and carry on, son. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to go bash this dog in with my baseball bat. Yeah, okay then, son. Yeah, all right. And that's what I go and do. It's so good. And like I said, I'm only the third town into it, and I'm really wanting to know how many more characters I get, how far the story goes, and then I can say, look, I've completed one of the classic RPGs and added it to my list.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think the only thing I've really played is I've been playing Trials Fusion. Because like I haven't had time really to play the Xbox for a long time, but I mean we had like it was my birthday in September, a couple of guys come around, we got really drunk, and so naturally when you're drunk the first thing you want to do is play a game based solely on balance.
Yeah.
And but I downloaded it when it was free on Games with Gold, and it just sat there like it does, like every game that pops up, and we just sat there and played that for like hours, and then afterwards I kept fucking playing it with a kid, which was really, really fun. But yeah, I haven't had a lot of time to play the Xbox. I've been playing a lot of 40k. Yeah. Actually, we played 40k. I think we went up to Warhammer man. We took a little road trip up to Nottingham. And,
I mean, you annihilated us, but you know, we held our own.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
that was
I've just got to throw this in as well. I am really, really quite proud as a parent because Dylan has been going through the Halo series.
Okay.
Right? Not completing them.
Yeah,
he's just been jumping. He played half of Halo 1, and then he wanted to play Halo 2, and then I mentioned something about Halo 3, about how they added extra things to the vehicle, so he jumped on that, and I was just like, you're not playing Halo 4 until you complete at least one of these. And he decided he wanted to play GoldenEye on the Wii. So I was just like, yeah, okay then, you know, the remake GoldenEye that I bought. And so I put it on, and he's been playing through it, and he's been loving being James Bond, you know, and you know, I'm really proud as a parent because I'm sat there like, son, you've got to get into cover. Watch your ammo. Check that guy. Look at your map. And he's like, firing all over the place. Dad, I'm dead. Yeah, well, you weren't watching your health, so he's got to go back. And
he's like, I was listening to you, motherfucker. Shut the fuck up.
Backseat
Let me
gaming.
shoot.
He's like, well, no, that's it. He'll go into a room and he's just like, Dad, how shall I take out these 3 guys? And they've all got the back to him. And he's ready to whip out his shotgun and just start blasting. I'm like, no. Silence pistol.
Don't make the same mistakes Daddy did.
You know, subdue them, take them out, and then he gets into the character, and he's also just started Skyward Sword as well, Legend of Zelda.
Yeah.
So I even though he complains it's not first person, it's got no guns, I'm saying to him, look, you've got to broaden your horizons on games. They're not all gun games. You've got to try.
Boy, I played a Zelda game that was all about playing a flute on the N64.
Yeah.
Don't even talk to me.
Yeah, you've got to try these things, you know. So that's all good.
Cool. Okay, well, that's going to bring us into the film news section, and we do this almost every podcast, but we have to talk about the deaths that have occurred over the last month.
Yes.
We'll start with Tobe Hooper, who passed away at the age of 74.
Yeah.
Born in Austin, Texas in 1943. He became interested in film at a young age, using his father's 8mm camera to start making his own movies. He continued his education in radio and television, and then studied drama. He also was mainly worked as a documentary cameraman, and supported himself by being a college professor and taking what he had learned from those documentary classes into the style that was Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which just helped change the landscape of the horror genre as we know it.
Yeah, I always like that.
That's an iconic character that's never gonna.
They're still remaking.
There's a new one coming out now.
Stories.
Isn't
Yeah, absolutely.
Is it this year or next year?
This year, Leatherface. Leatherface is coming out. I
think it's called Leatherface again. Or something?
No, it's just Leatherface.
Wasn't the last one just called Leatherface?
No, the last one was Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Okay, the one before that? There's been a film called Leatherface.
Leatherface Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 was the one that came out in the original series. You had Texas Chainsaw 2,
Leatherface, like the other family,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
It's the other part of the family. I know.
No, this new one supposedly follows on from the original film, but tells the story of a group of kids that have they've either escaped or they've been let out of a mental asylum because the place is shutting down, and this family is taking them in, and you are basically watching these children go about, and which one of them is going to become Leatherface, which one of them is going to start getting a chainsaw and start killing people. And weirdly enough, in the trailer, it kind of just sets up. It's like, happy birthday to the kid, and then just drops a chainsaw on the table.
So it's not. Is it Thomas Hewitt? Was that the name of Leatherface originally? Was that right?
Yeah, I think. Well, that was the name that they gave him. That was the name they gave him in the. No, it was the Sawyer family in the original.
Right.
But then in the remake, because you had the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake, and then you had Texas Chainsaw Massacre the beginning, which changed their names to Hewitt and tried to elaborate this whole new story with them.
It gets confusing and muddled.
But what I'm saying is, because when I watched the trailer for that, I'm like, well, I mean, the story I know of Leatherface is he had obviously this horrifically disfigured. He was a fucking prom night dumpster baby.
Yeah.
But then, like,
dumpster baby.
In this one, so it's a different kid who kind of takes up the mantle of Leatherface, or they turn into Leatherface?
No, he's got no deformity facially to hide. He just is kind to mental and.
They're going to do the Kane storyline from WWE, aren't they?
Probably,
It's all in your head.
He just wants to wear skin on his mask, skin on his face. Sorry,
most of us enjoy having skin.
Yeah, but not somebody else's.
Rest in peace, Tobe Hooper.
I've got to check this in. I always loved his Invaders from Mars. Tobe Hooper's Invaders from Mars.
I like Life Force, although I haven't
Life
seen it
Force
in a
is
long
amazing.
time. Of course, Poltergeist, which is
was it him or Spielberg?
Yeah.
So
next up is Harry Dean Stanton. He's passed away at the age of 91.
That guy is so cool. Did you ever hear his quote? The quote he did in an interview, basically, he sat there and he says to this guy in an interview, I eat to smoke. If I didn't need to eat, I would just smoke my life away. And he basically said to the interviewer that the problem he finds with people today, that they haven't accepted that there may not be anything after life. For him, he came from nothing, was born, lived, and is happy to go back to the void. And he said in the interview, I've just accepted that one day I'm going to die. And I was just like, that guy is just so fucking cool.
Yeah. I didn't realise about this, but he was a veteran of World War II.
Wow.
Excuse me. He served in the US Navy as a cook aboard a landing ship tank during the Battle of Okinawa.
Nice.
I was just like, I had no idea that was where he came from. And then after that war, he went home and then went to drama school. He studied in Pasadena Playhouse in California. And of course, from there, went on to appear in plenty of films and TV shows.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool Hand Luke, Repo Man, Escape from New York,
Yeah.
Alpha Dog, Pretty in Pink, The Green Mile, and of course, most memorable for me, Alien.
Yeah. Yeah. He's amazing actor.
Here, kitty.
Green Mile with the fucking. Like, that was amazing.
See, the thing that sealed it for me is when people said, "Oh yeah, Harry Dean Stanton's died." I'm just like, he's died like millions of times in movies. So what's different? Oh, in real life. Oh shit. Sorry, because in my mind I've seen Brain like blow up on that landmine so many times. I'm like, yeah, Harry Dean Stanton's already dead. This is just a shadow.
So yeah, rest in peace, Harry. Okay, let's go on to pretty much every news segment I've got on here is about a sequel or a reboot.
Welcome to 2017.
Before that, I want to bring up another death.
Sure.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Okay.
Bobby the Brain Heenan, one of the greatest managers in WWEF, whichever one you want to go with.
AWA. You want to keep going?
Sadly passed away, and I want to say I was shocked, but if you'd seen documentaries of him. Recently, in like the early 2000s, especially the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, he was very thin.
He just spent 10 years dealing with throat cancer, and I will just go out there and say he is the greatest manager of all time.
Set the benchmark for heel managers to do it.
He was the voice of, I'm going to say, WWF when I was a kid. He was the ultimate. He was the best heel in the company, let alone manager. He was Hulk Hogan's greatest opponent. Because it was always Bobby Heenan that was throwing someone at Hulk Hogan. It might have been via proxy through like Andre the Giant or something, or Ric Flair.
Yeah.
But it was Bobby Heenan that was just like, I hate this Hogan guy and I'm going to get someone to take him down.
And the weird thing is, I see a lot of...
so good.
I see a lot of Bobby the Brain Heenan in like Paul Heyman.
Yeah, when Paul Heyman's absolutely there, there's an influence there.
It's just, if you can stand there and make the storyline and the background animosity between these two wrestlers through just this one guy, it completely sets up the match, and you are waiting for the good guy to win.
I tell you
because that bad guy has set it up so well.
I mean, the thing that made Heenan so good is you had all that stuff where he could just be the most underhanded, conniving guy, but I mean, he was put in a weasel suit. He took bumps from everyone. He would have everyone poke fun at him. It was the time he came in on WrestleMania 9 riding backwards on a camel. Him and Gorilla Monsoon together on commentary, amazing. But there was not a quicker-witted man on this planet than Bobby Heenan. The stuff that came out of his mouth. Yeah. And it's like, they tried to recapture it through, like, say, Jerry Lawler had I would say had a big influence on Jerry Lawler's commentary style, but you could not mess with it. I can still remember, as a kid, one of the funniest things I thought I'd ever heard in my life.
What's that?
Was Bobby Heenan, and I think it was at the Royal Albert Hall. I had a video of Battle at the Royal Albert Hall, and Hogan wasn't there. But you had like Ric Flair and Roddy Piper, and there was a big battle royal, and obviously the Bulldog went over because it was like hometown. And I swear they pan past the they go on the outside of the ring, they pan past the front row, and there's quite a large lady sat there, and he cuts off Monsoon as he's talking. He's like, "Oh my God, look at that! 2 girls are wearing the same dress," and he goes, and then he just stops. He goes, "Oh no, wait, that's just one big girl." For no reason in the middle of the match, and I was like, I remember sat there with my dad like, like laughing, like, oh my God. And he was, he was so good. But yeah, it was a real shame to see. He really did degrade, bless him. Like, I mean, the greatest talker in the business ever, succumbs to throat cancer. It was a huge shame. But, I mean, he even, like, for all the stuff he did and for what a heel he was, even when Gorilla Monsoon passed, he was on Nitro.
Yes.
And he took 10 minutes out of a live Nitro. I'll give WCW props for letting him do it, but he took like 10 minutes out of a live Nitro to give like almost like a eulogy.
I won't give him props because I've been watching the network. I've been watching all of the old WCW stuff, and they misuse him so badly.
Oh, absolutely.
You sat there watching the two other commentators with Bobby Heenan, and they're just putting him down. It's like they don't want him there, and I'm just like, fuck you guys. Fuck you, Tony Schiavone.
Oh, Tony Schiavone.
Suck my fucking dick.
Shut up and
Bobby
let him speak.
Heenan is the fucking man, and you're just pushing him away. Oh, let's just get rid of this figurehead. Let's get rid of him. Yeah.
He's been missed since he left the company, but yeah, man, that was a hard day to find out that he passed because he was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
For sure. Well, this is going to be some difficult news for some of us to swallow, and there's a new Halloween film in production that has been written by Danny McBride.
Okay. Wait.
And
Wait. Because I'm just hearing this for the first time. You said Danny McBride.
Danny
Yes.
fucking Bride.
Yes.
Danny McBride is writing a Halloween movie.
Yes.
And he's pitched it to John
Yes.
Carpenter, and John Carpenter went, yes.
Fuck you, take my money. I
So
love
mu-
me some Danny
So
McBride.
much so that John Carpenter said, I may even write the music for this film.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Jamie Lee Curtis is back.
Yeah.
Dude,
I know.
how is
is
everyone not excited about this?
This is a reboot of the franchise, ignoring, I think,
H2O.
Halloween 4 onwards.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that.
This is the sequel to Halloween 2, basically.
Yeah, the original one.
I'm down
yeah.
with it.
It's doing, and so that's why I'm like, that's great.
But
that's really good.
The only,
that's
the only
awesome.
thing that worries me, well, no, it's not worry. I've got lots of questions, and this is what's pulling me towards the film. Is how good is Danny McBride as a writer? You know, how
Didn't he write a lot of Eastbound and Down?
I
think he did.
Yeah, but
Eastbound and Down's
you know,
fucking
where does
hilarious.
his influence come from? Is he looking at John? Was he a big fan of John Carpenter's movie?
Yes,
and he wants
he
to
also
remake
said
it?
that this is not a comedy film and this is a horror, and
Yeah.
I want it to
Is
be
he go-
faithful.
is he
Now I know why he did Alien Covenant.
to get the money. Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
he
Yeah,
probably
the
did it
paycheck,
to get.
yeah.
Well, no, I think he probably maybe did it more sort of like if I can get in
He
on
was
a
one
horror
of the
movie,
good redeemable
it will give
features
me.
about it that made me go,
you know.
"Hang a minute, he's actually okay in this."
Yeah.
That
I
was
mean,
such a
if
surprise.
he can get his foot in the door in a major horror, I mean, as bad as fucking Covenant was, but it's a major horror franchise, possibly the biggest ever. He can get his foot in the door on that. He can be like, look, I can do horror.
Yeah.
So now let me fucking have a go at
But
this
then
one.
it's
Maybe
like-
that was the strategy.
Is he going for suspense like in the original one, where it's just Michael in the background building it up, or is he going to be pushed to a point where, like we said with it at the beginning, it's lots and lots of jump scares?
I would watch a
You
Danny
know?
McBride version of Halloween where Danny played Michael Myers, but acted like he does in Eastbound and Down. And I'd be like, I buy it.
You'd rush out.
I'd watch that.
I mean, I was just glad to hear that John Carpenter was coming back to do the score, because I was just like, well, he's still alive.
in his words, he said, "Wow, they get it. I think that you're gonna dig it."
Yeah.
And Universal have also said, and you can take this with
You
a pinch of
remember how
salt.
James Cameron endorsed Genesis, though, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But Universal have said this is the final Halloween movie to end all the franchise.
Bullshit!
Unless they sign it in blood like Motley Crue did, I'm not buying it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to skip over this one fairly quickly, but Indiana Jones 5 is in the works.
Yeah.
Spielberg and Harrison Ford are both attached,
Aliens.
but Shia LaBeouf, nowhere to be seen. He's not his character of Mutt.
Yeah, but don't you just
is,
mean in general?
True, yeah.
Is he just
he's
not nowhere to be
disappeared.
seen at the minute?
Yeah. Now, here's a sequel that I am excited for: is Creed 2.
Fuck yes.
I still haven't seen Creed 1.
Wow, dude, you haven't seen it? It came out 2 years ago, and I was
worked-
not expecting it to be a
worked
full-on
too fucking hard.
Rocky sequel, but it really is.
I know. There's literally, I swear to God, Creed. There's a long fucking list of movies that I still haven't seen. I've got DVDs at home that Linda's like, have you watched that yet? No, it was really good. And I'm like, my wife's seen it, and I still haven't.
Were you just
Okay,
not
yeah.
like, I Wikipedia'd it?
Yeah, well,
Wikipedia.
we
Yeah.
can do it.
Well, the thing that's got me excited for this potential storyline of Creed 2
Yeah.
is that his I can't remember the new boxer's name, but he's going to be fighting the son of Ivan Drago.
That's fucking excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, take my money.
Oh,
Take all the money.
Sylvester Stallone, of course, Rocky's going to be in his corner telling him exactly what he's about to face.
Is it says who's cast as him?
Not yet.
Oh,
no,
we
they're,
got cast
they're
it.
looking. They're
Who are we
looking.
gonna
I don't
get-
even
who
know
would
if they're
you
going to
put in
get if they're going to get what's he called?
Dolph Lundgren.
Dolph Lundgren. I hope he's in the film too.
I would have thought so. I
They
mean, he was in
have to.
Expendables and stuff like that.
Exactly,
yeah, he was also in
Who would you
Sharknado. He was
cast
also in
as his son?
Sharknado 5. So don't fucking get too excited.
So what you're saying is he needs work.
Yes.
Right. So no, but who would you cast as his son though?
That's a very good question because he's going to have to be fucking built and able to take punches.
He doesn't
you know?
even. I'm not being funny. He doesn't even have to be Russian.
No,
He doesn't know, does he? He could have been
doesn't.
brought up somewhere else or something, you know. But
it's just a, it's
Maybe
just,
Ivan
maybe he's
Drago
a
was
quick-
I mean, maybe
exiled from
maybe
Russia
they
after
maybe they
his
go.
humiliating
Yeah,
defeat.
but there was that cutscene, wasn't there, from Rocky 4? There's
Yeah.
there's an not an after credit scene, but an after fight scene where like you can see it on YouTube where fucking Ivan Drago goes into like a bar. And he's wearing I think he's wearing his uniform,
Right.
all like disheveled and shit, and people start giving him fucking beans.
Yeah.
And he like knocks a few people over or something. But so there was like a kind of, he went back disgraced.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So
It's
maybe he
not
does
really
defect
explored,
somewhere
yeah.
else. And maybe it's like oh, dude, it's fucking Whiplash from Iron Man 2 all over again,
Right,
isn't it?
yeah.
Sort of like, my father was so
Yeah,
fucking
but
depressed and
it's-
stuff.
I'm
Which is
gonna
funny
prove
because
him
Creed
right.
will be like, dude, your dad killed my dad. Fuck
Right,
him.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's a match made in film heaven.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this is good. I didn't know that bit. That's
Yeah,
fucking,
so
man. Dude, you should totally watch Creed.
I should totally watch it.
Yeah, it's so good.
And it
so
follows
many
on from
levels.
Balboa so well as well,
Definitely,
doesn't it?
yeah.
I know,
It just
I know.
makes me just go, oh, there's more. I love
And
the
then I
fact
pick
there's
up my
more Rocky
joypad
to
and I
look
put a
forward to.
pay-per-view on and I'm like, for the pie world.
Right, I'm going to jump into the next film news, and same as what's happening with Halloween, we know that James Cameron is back for the next Terminator franchise, but I've just found out that he's
Yeah.
not actually going to be directing any of them.
Right, okay.
He's literally
Just endorsing them.
He's endorsing them, and he's handed over the keys to a trilogy. And I'm like, how many times have I heard this with the
What the
Terminator
fuck?
franchise?
Oh.
That Terminator 4 was a trilogy.
3 was supposed to be the start of a new trilogy. Then 4 was supposed to be the start of a new trilogy. And then Genesis was supposed to be the start of a new fucking trilogy. And now Cameron's going, here's the start of a new
Wait, there was a
trilogy.
4?
Yeah, Salvation.
Oh, that's why I forgot. Okay, sorry. That honestly, when you said T4, I was like, wait a minute.
Now, this new Terminator film is taking place after Terminator 2, ignoring Terminator 3, 4, and Genesis as canon.
God is
Abolished.
What about that Universal thing they did, Terminator Battle Through Time? Because that
Abolished.
was...
That's not canon. But the thing that's got me
Shame.
excited is that Linda Hamilton's back, because
Oh,
now
see, I knew
clearly
you were
she's
gonna-
still alive
I knew
in this timeline, this alternate
Oh, well, I thought you
timeline.
meant in real life. I knew you'd say that. I saw the news. Linda Hamilton was coming
Spoilers,
back.
it's her twin.
And I was just like, you know what are they going to do? She's now the grandmother, you know, and they're coming back. Because, don't get me wrong, I love a bit of Linda Hamilton, but she did look a bit disheveled in Dante's Peak, and it has been fucking 20 years since anybody's
that
actually
movie,
seen
yeah.
her.
I think Linda Hamilton knows the character of Sarah Connor. She lived it for 2 movies.
Yeah.
And James Cameron has the idea that he wants to reinforce, I believe, female action heroes at that age, because all we're seeing is the male Expendables right
Just
Yeah.
put fucking Helen Mirren in it and be done with it.
now.
Like,
It's going to be Red 3 or 4.
have them beating the fuck out of each other.
Yeah, but, you know, what can you say? Terminator comes back, tries to mess her around. Another freedom fighter from the future comes back. They start battling all the way through.
I've
blah,
just
blah,
remembered
blah.
the director for the new Terminator film is Deadpool's director.
Oh, right on.
So, yeah,
Okay, yeah. What else has he done other than Deadpool?
it's a good question.
Right.
I don't know, top man. Yeah, but he's not doing Deadpool 2 either, is
But
he?
He's not, no.
Yeah.
But then,
no.
tell you the truth, you know, Deadpool was one of the better Dirty Harry movies.
I'll let you have that.
Last piece of film news is that it's TV related. Is that Game of Thrones has a 5th spin-off series in pre-production or development, essentially, as they're trying to decide what new direction and what new prequel story to tell.
I have so few fucks to give about
Yeah,
Game of
yeah.
Thrones. I'm
You know
sorry,
what?
dude.
This will surprise a lot of people. I watched my 2nd episode of Game of Thrones.
Really? Which
Yeah.
episode- actually, it was a season 6 episode, you said?
Yeah. It was the one with the dragon. And
Yeah.
and the guy throws the fucking spear. I came
Oh,
home.
so- yeah,
I came home. The stepson was watching it. I couldn't be bothered to walk upstairs and turn wrestling on, so I just sat in the front room with my cup of tea, and I was like, "Oh yeah." And you know what? I got to admit, you know, say what you want about Game of Thrones, The Hound you would fucking love.
Dude, I watched up until season 4 and just tapped out because it was shit.
Yeah, but
So honestly, I was like, this is fucking boring.
the Hound had one of the best lines in that episode.
He's good, yeah.
I
But
use-
all
I
I can
use
see
it
is him
now.
from fucking Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, it's just like
Yarp.
Yeah.
you're whinging. I'm not whinging. Well, you're moaning about something and your lips are moving. That's called whinging, and I
That's good.
use that in work now.
Yeah.
I use
Good
that at
call.
work.
Yeah, good
People are like,
call.
"All right," I'm like, "You're whinging." No, I'm not. And then I retell it, and they just
Yeah.
look at me.
Look, they've heard that. So
I'm very close to calling them a cunt.
Yeah, you get pulled in, Ian. You can't do that. Dude, it's totally okay. It was in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, it's on TV.
It's topical. It's fine.
But yeah, prequel TV series. I mean, okay.
If you're a fan of Game of Thrones like
cash in.
I
Oh
am,
yeah,
and
man.
loving all of it,
It's all good, right?
the universe,
yeah,
then they're not going to let it go while it's still hot.
No, they're not. They're not.
So quickly moving into film trailers. The new
Oh,
Tomb
sorry.
Raiders,
I
yeah?
just realised because you just mentioned a lot of like reboots and remakes and stuff, and there's
Yeah.
still, you know, the one I'm most interested in that's not quite in pre-production yet. It's still Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Fuck yeah, dude!
Yeah.
Fucking take my money. I
Yeah.
can't wait. I love Kevin Smith, so I can't wait to
Yeah.
see what he does with like a movie that is poking fun at itself for
So-
being a reboot whilst also making fun of reboots.
It's fucking yeah. I love.
It's going to be glorious.
I love all of Kevin Smith's stuff.
Not all of it. I'm not all of it.
Yeah, dude, I even like
Have you
Tusk.
seen Yoga Houses?
Yeah, dude, I like
I
Yoga
know I
Houses.
haven't, but I want to. I want to watch Tusk. I want to watch Yoga Houses.
I watched that with my kid. It was adorable.
I was, you know, what was the cop one he did with Bruce Willis?
Cop Out.
Cop Out.
Well, to be fair, that wasn't a Kevin Smith movie. He didn't write that or anything. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I
he
thought
just
it
directed.
was-
No.
When
That
Zack
was
and
his
Miri Make a
studio
Porno
movie.
came out, that
Zack
was it.
and
That was
Miri
where I
Make a
went,
Porno.
well, Kevin, you're a studio movie maker now.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what he did. He had to try it.
But then you watch,
and then he went back.
then you watch Clerks 2, and Clerks 2 is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, I enjoy that
know,
one. Even though it's not favourable, it's
that's a good movie.
I can easily just, you know, if somebody says, "Here's Jay and Silent Bob," I'm like, "I'll see you in an hour and a half."
I think the story.
Don't talk
If
to
you
me.
follow the podcasts that he does, like Smodcast and stuff, when Tusk was coming around,
Yeah.
the whole story of how that came into being was so fantastic. I couldn't wait to watch that movie, and I watched it and I loved it. But it was just the whole encompassing, like, how it started. I won't go into it because it's a fucking saga and you can watch it all on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the whole thing of how it came about. They discussed this advert on Gumtree to, like, writing a movie on the podcast to then making the movie. I'm like, that's fucking legend,
Yeah, I
dude.
still wanna
That's like
watch them.
independent movie legend.
Yeah.
So good. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be good. Jay's going to rap. It's going to be sweet.
It's gonna be sweet.
So yeah, very quickly into film trailers. New Tomb Raider.
Excited.
I like that trailer, dude.
Excited.
It did, and I think Andy, you said when we watched it that it looks like a QuickTime event.
It did. The whole movie looks
The
like a
whole-
quick
yeah,
time
it's like
event.
quick time
But it's
event.
the first movie based on a video game that looks like the video game.
Entirely, exactly, from the character.
I'm
her
like, I think
British
in 10
origin.
years, graphically, this is what a Tomb Raider will look like.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's what it
in
does
4K, it's not far off.
because it looks like they've just merged the two reboot Tomb Raider games
Totally.
into this film.
Yeah.
They combined the shipwreck, the island, the mystery surrounding her father's disappearance or death or murder, or
Yeah.
The fact that
and the
she
Trinity and-
looks sensible, as in body shape, and sounds sensible.
Yeah.
yes, yeah, and it,
Looks like it's being treated with a bit of respect.
And it takes us back to
Definitely.
the whole thing of, you know, female action stars.
Yeah.
You know, there are quite a few. There's not many, but Lara Croft is one of those that you kind of get excited for when they make a film, because you're just like, okay,
they've gone for the
she's gonna be the main star.
vulnerable moments, because in the trailer you've seen her getting injured, falling, taking abuse, and it's like this is how she
It's like
learns
when
to
you
become.
play that first remake, you're like, the first
Yeah.
10 minutes, you're like, I have never seen a woman take this much of a kicking in a video game before, and it's like, this is fucking
It's really
bad.
compelling because
Yeah.
you do feel and care for her by
Yeah.
the end. And yeah, God, those games give me serious vertigo.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to keep my feet planted firmly on the
I
floor.
wasn't
playing them.
allowed to play them. I bought them for Linda, and she was just like, "This is mine. Don't touch it." I was just like, oh.
Don't Wikipedia
Okay.
ruin this, me, Ian.
You know, and I remember she was sat there. She was going around. I think it was Rise of the Tomb Raider. She was going around. And she was finding all the extra things in tombs, and I was just like, "Are you almost done? Because I want to play the Xbox." She's like, "No." And that was it. That was the end of the
Just a
conversation and I was just like, she is playing.
Sad
You
Ian
know, I'm
walks
not-
out.
Yeah. You know, she had trouble fighting this bear. I was like, "Do you want me to do it?" And
No.
She was like, "No." I was just like,
Dude.
I'll go back over here then.
Back
dear.
away.
You know, my wife loves Tomb Raider. She's done all the games. She's really excited about the film, and I'm excited for her as well, because at least I've got something to, you know, talk with her about in movie wise kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And here's a sequel that I didn't think we'd ever really see. Super Troopers 2.
Oh, I want this movie right now.
It's out on
now.
the 20th of April next year.
420.
Man. Me and Andy watched Super Troopers in the cinema.
15 years ago.
You know, and
plus.
then when it came out on DVD, we must have watched it like
1,000 times.
like every Friday night.
Just smashed watching it. Just like, this is the best movie ever. But I couldn't help notice in the trailer that I'm like, why have they not aged?
Not
They
one of
look
them.
exactly the fucking same, dude. I'm like,
Well,
I didn't know you could make that kind of money to look that good
I
off
was
that
gonna
first
say,
movie.
CGI airbrushing, you know.
Maybe,
you can do that
but
kind
oh
of
my
shit.
word, yeah.
But
Good
yeah,
trailer.
it looks-
doesn't give a lot away. Doesn't give away all the jokes.
Well, it doesn't. I mean, it's basically just going to be situational. It's just that it's going to be different situations in this one.
Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, it was the same thing with the first one. It was just a brief trailer, couple of quick jokes that people were like, "Oh, what's this?" And then you go in there and you've got this whole storyline in it that was actually quite enthralling in the first one. The jokes aside, all the crazy situation they're going was a bonus on top of
It's
this.
a really simple
kind of-
storyline.
kind
that
of
to
played
me
Plain
very
like
well.
a
story.
new age Police Academy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Good pull, man. That's
Yeah.
definitely it.
Who
But yeah.
wants the mustache ride?
Oh,
Me.
shit, man. That was so good. When he's like, climb up on Uncle Rabbit's lap, and he's like, that's not a good idea. He slides the kid over. Oh my god.
Okay, so we're gonna dive now into the horror trailers.
Yes.
The next trailer was for The Cult of Chucky,
Well,
which is
yeah.
the 7th film in the franchise,
Motherfucking doll.
going straight to DVD this October.
There's a
Or
shot.
straight to streaming.
Was
or...
the last one straight to DVD?
Seed
It was. The last one
No,
was
that's
Curse
not-
of
no,
Chucky.
I haven't even
Curse.
seen that one, dude.
That was good. That was really good.
Really?
Coming
It
off
was really
of
good.
Seed and Bride of Chucky, it went, fuck it, let's go back to Child's Play. Let's
Yeah.
be horror again.
Was
Yeah.
it like,
But
like
with
let's be
Chucky-
scary?
Yes,
Be
with-
scary again.
With fresh victims, no actual relation to
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go into spoilers, but the new trailer for this one, it's picking up the story of Andy Barclay from the Child's Play series
I like
and the survivor from The Curse of Chucky.
Yeah.
And she's in a mental asylum because they locked her up after she said it was a fucking killer doll.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it wasn't, electrotherapy. And then, of course, Chucky turns up at the asylum. Of
course
and
he does.
starts convincing.
Yeah, well, in the trailer, there's fucking 2 dolls, and you're just like, this is gonna get a bit strange.
Yeah.
You know? But saying that, we did the reviews for all the Child's Play movies. The first one was brilliant. Second one was all
It was
right.
fun, very
Third
fun.
one in the army was fucking shit.
Yeah. Then it went full-blown
Bride
comedy.
of Chucky was okay. Seed of Chucky went a little bit too far with the jokes. So then when we got to Curse, we were actually really surprised that it had gone this dark tone. You know, it actually went back to its horror roots again. You had, it's not Stephen fucking Dorff, is it? Doing the voice. What's the other
Brad
one?
Dorff.
Brad Dorff, yeah. Stephen Dorff, Brad Dorff.
That
you know,
laugh.
Potatoes,
Oh my
potato.
god.
Potato,
I
yeah.
just want to watch the Child's Play films just for his laugh.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
so
awesome.
we said then that we were excited that the sequel for that one was supposed to be coming out. And for me, it's one of those series of horror movies that I do get excited to watch because I
Yeah.
do like
A
seeing
new
this doll run
installment.
around.
Yeah.
I do like hearing the voice behind it and the creepiness because it takes me back nostalgically to all the other crazy shit, regardless of what you think of Red Man and
Yeah.
all that.
And last trailer on the list is for Jeepers Creepers 3, which I knew that there was always talk of it actually being
Yeah,
made, and then all of
cliffhanger
a
for
sudden
the
it was like,
second
shit,
one.
the film's out, like now.
Yeah.
By the time this podcast goes up, the film would have already had its one screening. It's getting one night of screens, and that's it, pulled from cinemas, then to DVD and streaming sites.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, there's some faith in it. Of course, there's a lot of fans of the Creeper, sorry.
Of the Creeper, yeah, he's one of the most iconic horror characters. Literally,
Dude, I love those first 2 movies. Me
Yeah,
and
the
you
one-
went to see second one, didn't
We went and saw
the
the
fucking
second one.
empty cinema, and we sat there and watched the second
Yeah,
one. Back in the day.
right there, just the two of us watching it.
That was awesome.
And the thing is, he's one of the creatures that the first time I watched Jeepers Creepers 1, I was like, oh god, it's just going to be some guy in a mask running around. And you see those fucking wings
Damn
come
good
up.
film,
Yeah.
You know, you see his face, you see the fact that when he stares at
Just
you,
the story, dude.
when he stares
the
at you,
idea
you
behind
get
it.
fucking scared. And then you go into the second one, which at first I was excited for, but I really, really enjoyed it because he just fucked those teens up.
Yeah.
You know, they were on that bus and he just came along and he's chopping heads off and he's taking body parts. The father chasing the creeper as well and
Or the hole puncher and
nailing
shit.
it with
Yeah.
the pole thing. That was absolutely awesome. But I'm hearing controversy with
Dude,
the
this
director.
is
for
the hard
third
problem
one.
I've
Ian,
got
this
with
is the
watching
first
it,
time you've
dude.
heard about
I can't
this.
believe
Yeah,
you didn't know
yeah.
that because
The director is Victor Salva.
I watched the trailer and I was like, I had that initial of like, yes, finally Jeepers Creepers 3 because I've been sick of watching fan-made ones on YouTube for the last 10 years. But
yeah.
it's a fucking bitter pill to swallow watching that movie. No, I mean, I'll let you fucking tell it, dude, because it's pretty fucked up.
His first film, which was
Clown House
Clown
or
House.
something. There's a bunch of clowns in a house. I know that.
Yeah.
Vic Salva was convicted of child molestation and sentenced to 3 years in jail, to which he served 15 months before he was let go. And basically, yeah, he performed oral sex on a 12-year-old boy, one of the actors from that film, who then, after a while, went out and several things. So he went to jail, and when he came out, there was even more controversy then, because he then signed a deal with Disney, and he made Powder.
Yep.
And was allowed to work with children
In
again.
which there's a lot
Also,
of fucking scenes
there's a lot
where...
of topless men,
Yeah,
boys
man.
in the Jeepers Creepers films.
And in Powder.
And in Powder. And
He likes to put teens in peril.
So why the fuck is he still making films?
Well, I mean,
because the American sort of Film Institute has basically said he served his time he is now making contributions towards society by artistically working.
And he's being watched 24/7, right? So he doesn't go near schools.
He is still on the sex offenders list.
Yeah, but once you're on the list...
Yeah, exactly. No, he's apologised and everything. And the thing that makes me look at it like slanty head, is the fact that the child actor never got to act again.
Yeah, man.
And I'm like, so what happened there? Like, was he blacklisted by Hollywood?
I thought
and it's like
poor little
the
fucking
whole
guy never wanted to fucking go near a camera set ever again.
Yeah.
Probably,
right.
you know.
Yeah, it's true. So yeah, it's very messed up. It's absolutely horrific, and it does taint, and you know, it does immediately make you object to wanting to watch anything that he creates because of that.
No, you know what?
Look, I wouldn't say to anyone who sort of like, if you, I want to go watch that movie, I'd never be the kind of person like, oh, you shouldn't watch it because the fucking director said this. But I do think it's important for platforms like you've got like this, is to like people know and you can make your own objective decisions.
Yeah, I would say, you know, it's very rare I say this because, you know, I'm big into people going to the cinema, paying their dues to the actors and the filmmakers behind it.
Yeah.
You know, buying it on DVD and Blu-ray and Steelbox and all that kind of stuff, paying your money back. At the same time, just download this.
Yeah, fuck it.
Download this motherfucking movie. Don't give him any more money. Don't. Personally, from my point of view, as a parent, you know, and with this kind of stuff going on in the world, that, you know, I would burn people to the ground if this shit happened to me personally. If you enjoy this series, just download the movie.
Fucking any shelfers that are in the area, come see me if you've got an Android phone. I'll personally put Showbox on the motherfucker for you. Because it'll be on there in a few weeks.
Yeah.
And you, on me, fucking there, watch it. Don't give him any fucking money.
Don't give him any more money, because obviously if you do, if you congratulate him, he's going to get more work. And at the same time, you know, we don't want to give him that temptation.
Then it fucking hurt though, because like the Creeper's such a good character.
It's such a great creature.
Fucking,
yeah,
if it was a shit movie, you'd be like, "Oh, fuck, it's easy."
Give it to anybody. Give it to fucking Kevin Smith. Let Kevin Smith make the Jeepers.
Oh, dude, and he fights Tusk.
Oh.
That'd be so good.
Jeepers Creepers versus Jason. Oh,
or Jason just fucking reams him, just kicks the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the first part of the podcast. We'll be back with the second part, talking about horror, Halloween, scary monsters and creatures and things that go bump in the night.
And dick drawing.
And dick drawings. What the fuck? Which brings us on to the second part of the podcast, where we're going to be talking about things horror and Halloween related.
Yes.
So I prepped a few notes just to go into sort of the brief history and remind myself actually why we bother with Halloween. And
in England, it's a good question.
For sure. Well, technically, I don't know, Christianity is kind of where its origins are argued to have come from.
Okay.
As and
kind of.
It's
also Celtic.
It's also known as Hallows Evening, or it's also known as All Halloween, or All Hallows Eve, or All Saints Eve.
Yeah, it's the night the dead and the spirits and all the ghouls and monsters, you know,
on October 31st.
Yeah, and walk the street. I mean, we've all seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It's totally like that. Yes.
Yeah, there's darkness out there, man. I'm telling you, I've seen it, and it's looked back, and I wasn't.
And you were like, Dylan, go to bed.
Yeah, I wasn't too fussed. You know, it wasn't scary to me.
And basically it begins the 3-day observance of All Hallowtide,
okay.
a time in the year, as we've said, dedicating to remembering the dead, including saints, martyrs, and the faithfully departed.
Right, okay.
And it's widely believed that many Halloween traditions originated from Celtic harvest festivals that may have had pagan roots, particularly the Gaelic festival of Samhain.
Did you say...
Swain.
Did you say garlic?
Swain.
Gaelic.
I thought it was Gaelic.
Yeah.
So it's not garlic.
It's not garlic.
It's Gaelic.
I'm just thinking of vampires already.
Swain festival.
And it's Samhain.
I'm sorry.
It's not Samhain, it's Samhain.
Swifty?
It's Samhain? No, the M's silent. Samhain. That's how you heard it.
It's Samhain.
And the M is silent, and I'm like, right, it's Samhain.
I'm going to call it Swifty.
Yeah.
You got to get Swifty.
At the end of every October, you got to get Swifty.
Yeah.
And this festival was Christianized basically as Halloween, but some academics support the view that Halloween began independently as a solely Christian holiday.
Right.
I believe the Celtic festival they believed that the ghosts of the departed would come back, and they would go out dressed as ghosts to as mingle with them or not
to not be seen.
Hence the dressing up. And,
Yeah.
you know, they leave food out to appease them.
That's it, and the burning of the jack-o'-lanterns, or I think it was turnips as well back in the day. They used to carve turnips.
Because they had what they had.
Yeah, and you know, that was to invite the spirits to your house and things like that. And
good spirits.
This is a crazy thought, right? But, you know, they're celebrating, they're basically celebrating the dead and bringing them back to the house. And I know where we're going to go with this conversation, so I'm just going to jump in now and say, horror movies where lots of people die, right? You're enjoying them at Halloween time, so you're basically celebrating the dead in horror movies.
Well, yeah, it's for sure. Yeah, but everyone loves to be scared.
Yes.
You know, they like to tease that part of you because, you know, it's not for real.
Yes.
But Halloween has lots of other activities around it. Like the main one, trick-or-treating.
Which has gone downhill recently, I feel.
Well, again, in our country, yeah.
Well, in our country, but I think around the world as well, to other people who celebrate this time of year. Trick-or-treating, right? Okay. You know, the origins is basically you go around and you trick-or-treat and they either give you candy or some sweets or whatever. And if
in England, you get told to fuck off.
They get told to fuck off. And on the
they're
other
going to be
hand,
putting AIDS and sweets next to you.
razor blades and apples and shit, and you trick them, right? And you do something back a few times. I go trick or treating now with Dylan, and you see a lot of children going around. You can't trick them. You're not allowed to. The
What's your fucking version of a trick, man? Like
you just not allowed
eggs and
to.
bog
yeah,
roll,
or
wasn't it?
open the door in a scary mask.
I mean,
what
I
you like?
would,
Bam! Didn't see that.
I would love to egg people's houses. You know, I would love to egg somebody's house and then wake up next morning and be like, I should celebrate Halloween next year. They shouldn't come to your house with a baseball bat and kick your door in and be like, you fucking egged
That's not Halloween. That's home invasion. You fucking idiot.
You know what I'm getting at. It's the whole
You take Dylan on these adventures.
man. Me and
Dressed up in their best Clockwork Orange fucking outfits.
It's not the purge, Ian.
Me and Dylan love Halloween. He loves going trick or treating. But like I said, the area that we live in, there are quite a few people who do take part in it. So they do up their house and they do with lots of treats out. There's a guy around the corner who had a projector up last year with like a screen playing zombies attacking another guy. So you're walking up to this guy's house and you can see zombies ripping this guy apart and blood spurting, and then it'll change to another film. And I'm like, that's amazing to celebrate. Then you've got the person next door. Lights off. Door locked. They are pretending they are not home.
They fucking seen the purge, that's why. Because they're like, last time that fucking dude Ian came around with his kid in a baseball bat, kicked my fucking door in.
They should get a toy severed head left on their doorstep. Like, we're coming back next year, and you best have something for us.
Just like Big Daddy, like Adam Sandler, where he breaks into the dude's house. He's like, get some fucking CDs in this kid's bag.
Man, I really want to go as the Purge now this year.
I don't know. It's like, I think it is literally just like, if it was organised, like, I mean, we got a big, you know, big community, loads of kids, like where I live and stuff. If someone came knocking the door, was like, I'm organising this thing, do you want to help? And like, we'll take a bunch of kids. I'd be like, fuck yeah, like let's do it. Yeah. But we can't organise a piss up in a brewery in this fucking country, so that's why.
You don't want to walk down the street because somebody will jump out.
To be fair, I'm like, where I live, I'd be like, fuck no, I ain't going to have the dark.
Yeah, I want the darkness to be there, so, you know, normal people don't bother to go outside.
I'll get hate crimed, I'm not going out.
So, you know, trick-or-treating is kind of, it's the children's activity, essentially. Yeah. But then as you get older, Halloween house parties. They were the fun, and I hosted year after year after year Halloween parties.
I'd just like to point out, I don't really remember a lot of them.
Well, I used to call every Halloween party I ran was from dusk till dawn, and it started at 8 p.m. and finished at 8 a.m.
Yeah,
and it was film after film in the background with drinks and.
And I remember now the first two I did with you. We watched horror movies all night. And then the next morning we started to really regret it.
Well, we had loads of candy and sugar and sweets.
After it would start to die down, it would get to about 12 o'clock. It's like, go bed now. Go all right, mate. Yeah,
well, it was the fact that all the house guests as well couldn't, they didn't have the stamina anymore to keep going beyond the early hours.
We got old as fuck.
We got old. And now, I can't remember the last time I hosted a Halloween party. I don't remember the last time I got dressed up or did anything for Halloween.
You know what, the only thing... Sorry, no, go on. Sorry.
Other than enjoying watching horror movies.
Yes. Yes.
And that's how it's come. And I don't know.
That's your way of celebrating Halloween now. And for weirdly, for a time when I was a teenager, that's how I celebrated Halloween. Because in the area that I grew up as a kid, we did not celebrate Halloween. You did not walk around the street.
Not your fucking street.
Not my old street. You did not
Jesus.
walk around knocking on the door of people's houses.
Dude, you didn't go down there during the day.
Yeah, exactly. It was a bad place. I think I went trick or treating once, and I didn't have a costume. So my sister,
These are home invasions, dude.
my sister put a black bag on me, right, and gave me a stick. And I was a cheap witch. Right, and my next door neighbour who'd come with us as well, he didn't have anything. All he had was his jacket. So what did he do? He put his jacket over his head and pulled the zip up, and he was the headless boy. And we went around trick or treating. We got fuck all.
Yeah, you got an F for effort.
We got knocked on the door, and the parents were open the door like, "What are you supposed to be?" "Oh, yeah, I'm a witch." I'm like fucking 8 years old. They're like, "Yeah, I ain't got nothing."
No.
And weirdly enough, looking back, I'm like, "Yeah, I know, because you were poor, like my ass." Yeah. And my ass was looking for.
They're like, we couldn't even afford the bin bag to send the kid out trick or treating.
yeah, we didn't have a bin bag.
Where did you get that stick? I want that stick.
But you know what? You know what really changed? You know what really changed was when I watched John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the first time I got it on video. And I got a video player in my bedroom.
Oh,
I
you
got
see
my
American
OTV,
kids doing trick or treating.
and I'm just like, I want to be trick or treating, but there's a guy in a white mask walking around murdering people. That's fucking scary. I'm scared now.
For sure. Yeah, I remember trick or treating with my brother Jason.
Yeah.
I went as Freddy Krueger, and
Nice.
Can you imagine who my brother Jason would go as?
Norman Bates.
That's awesome. No, his mother.
Of course, the mother.
Yeah.
And it was fun, there was lots of kids doing it, lots of ghosts and witches and bizarre creations, but it was only when
Rich neighborhood.
you saw...
Gary grew up a rich kid, didn't he?
Yeah.
No.
Safe to walk his streets after dark for a start.
Yeah, they had lights.
Ring every buzzer in the flat all at once.
It was kind of killed flat when you would see Halloween celebrations in the good old US of A.
Hell yeah,
American Halloween celebrations
not fuck
dwarf
about.
us and make it seem pathetic to the point where I think that helped crush and kill that Halloween celebration for us Brits, because it's like, we just don't have we just don't go all out like that.
We don't go all out because we're more, we feel that we have to be more conservative.
True.
But at the same time, like I said, those people who've locked their doors and turned the lights off to pretend they're not in, so they don't have to open the door, chances are they've got a horror movie on TV.
For sure,
because that season, we work more with television. We're just like, yeah, it's Halloween. We're just going to fill TV up with as much scary shit as we can. So you'll have to read a motherfucking book to avoid Halloween, and you should answer the door as well.
Yeah. So, playing pranks, visiting haunted attractions. Have you ever done that?
In the theme park, when we go out with family.
Again, it's a very American thing to do because they have built haunted houses.
Yeah,
and
and you got the Universal Studios tour. They do it every year, don't they?
Yeah.
They do something really big. And
I actually went on a ghost tour in Virginia.
Nice.
And it was an abandoned sort of looking town where it's basically shacks and houses that are just horrific. And of course, the guide she was wearing like a 18th century white dress, walking around with a candled lantern, telling us the ghost stories.
Yeah, that'd be creepy as fuck.
The murders and the bodies and the appearances.
And I bet she said it all
houses.
deadpan, didn't she?
No, she had some charisma about her, but she had the delivery. Even though she's done this every night for like 15 years now and knows the script inside and out.
Yeah.
She's she was still good and embellished the story for us to give us the spooks. And it was interesting because there were other ghost hunters that were actually there with their cameras trying to find orbs and waiting for it to get cold or waiting to see a shadow move across the window. And it was like, I don't know whether you're actually part of this tour.
Yeah.
And you're just there to, convince everyone else that ghosts are real.
They start heckling her.
They're
She's like, in 1887, they're like, bullshit!
But it was a fun thing to do. And I also went to Salem in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
Right
and,
on.
I got a Ouija board from there. I've only got it out of the box once.
It burst into flames. He put it back.
No, nothing ever happened. Like,
yeah.
Have you ever played with the Ouija board?
I have, but I was at the age where when you see it come out of the box and it says like Mattel over in the corner, you get this feeling that it's not exactly...
This doesn't seem legit.
Yeah, you know, you have to press it. There's a little noise with it, like ah ha ha ha, and you're just like, this I don't think is connected to the other world.
What was a better horror video game? Oh, sorry, horror board game.
Atmosphere.
Yes,
Atmosphere.
Yeah.
I had that the
That
VHS.
was the
Yeah.
shit. There was like 4 or 5 of them on
the
VHS.
Gatekeeper,
Dude.
Yes.
Baron Samedi.
Hell yeah, the Witch.
Yeah.
The zombie.
Baron. Can you dig it?
Oh mate, that was fucking
What did he use?
sweet,
Oh,
dude.
is it like
He'd be like,
worms?
maggot,
Yeah.
you little maggot. Like, oh, that was
Ancient
awesome.
one.
Yeah.
Who's
Get in
the
the black-
oldest
who's the
amongst
oldest?
you?
Never
And you're
wanted to-
playing in a room with like 4 mates. It's like, well, I'm like a month older than you,
Yeah.
dude. And he's like,
Still
you're the
doing
ancient
this.
one. And he's
Yeah.
like, calm the fuck down, dude. We're in the same year.
But saying that, you played Atmosphere once, maybe pushed it for a second time, and then by the third time, you knew the markers.
Yes, you knew it was
So
like
you're
to
like,
jump up.
Let's not play it. He's only
Yeah.
going to turn up in
They
about.
had a limited shelf life. to be
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah, true.
Good stuff though.
Yeah.
Good fun, man.
So I've put together a list of my top 10 horror movies, and I scrambled them through this together, and I just tried to pull them from memory.
These are movies that you like to watch every Halloween or have come out
These
at
are
Halloween.
movies that I either watch every Halloween or watch again and again because I just know that they're great movies. Now, there's a lot of horror movies that are not on this top 10 list, and it's because
There's too many.
and it's also because I don't like rewatching them. They don't have that rewatchability.
Okay.
And for me, that's the reason why they go on this list. It's because I can watch it endlessly.
Yeah.
And so the number one film on the list is the film that I've watched the most and will continue to watch more than most of the other horror
Starting at
films.
number 10 or
I
starting
will start
at
at
number
number 10. I'll also
Okay.
say I tried to prepare another top 10 list. And that was to talk about horror movies from the last 10 years and what order I would rank
Shit.
them in. And I couldn't make a 10. And now I'll also say that over the last decade, 2 decades even,
Oh,
there's a lot of horror movies that come out and I just don't watch. I'm just like,
Yeah, but
no,
it's flooded.
no.
That market is flooded now,
Yes.
right?
True.
Yes.
Yes.
There's
it's
few
like-
too many after a while that you only pick out your individual
Yeah,
favourites
it-
because
It's hard to see a horror movie trailer these days that's not like an established one. Like we talked about Jeepers Creepers 3, and it's like where you see a trailer for a horror movie and you're like, you know, yeah, cool, all right, yeah, I'll go out of the way to watch that, you know.
see it, but it's not going to be as good as the first one. So you're like,
So what I figured we could do is I could go through both these lists and then all of the films that I've neglected to mention or not made it, I'm sure you can pull out almost immediately.
Start with 10
So
favourites.
we'll start with number 10 of my favourite horror movies that I
Yeah.
pulled from memory. Starting number 10 is The Descent, the Neil Marshall film.
Nice.
Good
I
film.
And now
love
it
that
came out in
movie.
2006, so it just only underscraped the last 10 years
Wow.
mark.
Yeah.
I thought that film was older, actually, to be honest.
I did as well.
No,
and,
no, because the sequel came out, I think, in 2008.
Yeah, but
don't
fuck the
do
sequel.
that. Don't do
You
that.
know what? I love The Descent.
Right.
And I like The Descent too. Because it continues the story
Yeah,
to
but
the point that it makes me really want to go back and watch the first one again.
Yeah,
I
but
can
the
watch
first
the
one's
first
so much better.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
You get those horror movies, you watch the first one and you're just like, that's it, I've done for another 6 months, I don't need to watch it. But you push yourself to, I push myself to watch Descent too, and I'm like, yeah, this was good, but I want to see that camaraderie of the girls again. You know, I want to see how they all work together. I want to see the creature appear again for the first time because it's such a fucking iconic creature.
Definitely, and the reason why I'm not too fussed about the second one was the brutal, horrible ending of the first film. And,
Yes.
It and that was also a great impact. And as you said, the whole female cast and the whole misadventure,
Claustrophobic as
the
fuck,
claustrophobic,
right?
yeah. Just the sheer panic, the darkness.
Yes.
And, you know, the fact that there's only one bit in the film that always annoys me,
What's
it's
that?
when one of them accidentally kills the other.
Yeah.
You needed that. You needed
No,
to-
I don't think it did, but I think they probably felt it did.
On the first viewing, I accepted it, but when I
Yeah.
rewatched the film, it's the only thing that I'm just like,
You
oh.
need to establish that girl who kills the other
Yes,
one,
yeah.
right? You have to establish her as the villain.
Yeah, but the fucking creepy golems are the
No,
villain.
no,
dude.
no,
That's
no,
the
no,
point.
no. The creepy golems are just protecting their territory, and these women have wandered in there under the pretense that girl right? I can't remember her name. The one, I think she's Asian looking, maybe. She, obviously, spoilers ahead for anybody who hasn't seen The Descent. She has led them to this hole that she hasn't told anybody about. She was also sleeping with her best friend's husband before he died at the beginning. And now she's just killed her best friend's long-term friend. She is massively the villain. Yes, the creatures are devastating, but these girls go into this cave with their lights on, making shitloads of noise, climbing around and shit. You'd be pissed off.
No, but I just feel... Yeah, it's the same.
He's like, I haven't seen any of the Purge movies, speaking of.
I just feel like maybe it's kind of... I just don't think it was needed, because I think maybe they threw it in there because maybe they didn't have confidence in the creatures.
Yes, I agree.
You know what I mean? Maybe they were like, is this enough?
Them.
Maybe people won't dig on it, so we'll throw the human element in again.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it goes to an argument of sort of like, if you want to make an Alien versus Predator movie, don't put a fucking single human in it. I'll watch it.
Yeah.
You don't need it.
Yeah,
you don't need
sure.
that human element. Godzilla, take all them fucking humans out of it. You don't need it.
It was one of my biggest hates in so many zombie stories where the humans are the bad guys. And I'm like, no. The zombies are the main threat. And it's always the human that fucks over and gets other people killed.
Like, even Walking Dead moves into like, the dead are one thing, but after a while you realise that the humans are way more dangerous, and that's what you've got to survive.
Yeah. It gets a little bit annoying.
But still, The Descent is an awesome movie.
It is.
It's
And
great movie.
It's very rewatchable.
Great fucking movie.
So number 9 is Poltergeist.
Remake. Oh,
no, what the hell?
Why would you like the remake? I've never watched it.
1982. Directed by Stephen Hooper.
Yes, Stephen directed by Stephen
Oh,
Hooper.
well played.
Man, that movie still creeps me out.
For sure.
Every time. Because, I mean, Carol Ann herself,
Heather
O'Rourke, amazing actress, the family element around it.
The Freelings family,
the whole fact that, yes, sometimes the effects don't look that great. Like when the ghost hunters are looking into the room.
When everything's flying around.
When everything's flying around,
that,
you can kind of see the cut there. But to me, that doesn't matter, because I'm seeing this bed spin around.
You already believe in what's happening.
You're terrified.
So, and
Dude,
so many horrific moments.
That face peel shit was
the
like,
face peel, for me, that was one of the greatest scenes. The tree eating Robbie.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that was fucked
the
up.
clown attacking Robbie.
And yet, we pointed this out.
Yeah.
She, fucking Ruben, what's her name? Little midget lady with the glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The Mystic.
The Mystic. Oh, what's her name?
Roger.
Tangina.
Yes, Tangina.
Roger from American
Gina.
Dad.
Tangina, an hour before the end of the movie, goes, "This house is clear." And I can't. I look at the film now and I'm like,
Jim Carrey delivered that line better.
I have no idea, because it's all about the kick off.
And not only, it's going to come back in the second one, which is also a good guilty pleasure. There's so many scenes. The scene with the braces in the bathroom.
God is in his holy temple.
I got to ask, I'm not saying that I love Poltergeist, but I mean, I've not seen the remake. Without going into it, is it any good? Is it worth watching?
Is it
worth
Jump
watching?
Scare the movie. I was excited because it had one of my favourite actors in it, Sam Rockwell. And I was like, maybe he can bring something to this, like some credibility to this reboot remake, and it stunk. I hated it.
It's just it's so up to date. It's up its own ass. With the whole technology.
It's going to be forgotten. It's going to be forgotten. People will remember the original
one. The ghosts are coming through the TV. Well, now they're on Skype.
Yeah.
They can't get through. Why? Because the Wi-Fi connection's not great.
Jeez.
Doing the same thing with Jumanji.
So we're going to move into number 8.
Number 8.
And that is An American Werewolf in London,
great.
1981.
Still the greatest fucking transformation scene you'll ever watch in your life. I don't give a fuck.
Definitely.
No one will ever do it better.
Yeah, no CGI or puppetry.
Rick Mail's in that fucking movie, dude.
Yes.
He is, the slaughtered lamb.
Can you name another... the beginning of American Werewolf in London?
Yeah.
The bald guy.
Brian...
Glover?
Glover.
Brian Glover.
Yeah.
Name of the film?
Alien
Ex-wrestler.
Free.
There we go.
Ex-fucking wrestler.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, Brian Glover's a fucking big old fucking... It's great for us as well. Something about you might... I don't know if anyone knows this, but like, living in Plymouth, we have moors.
We do.
And I remember watching that movie when I was a kid and seeing it, and I'd be like, the fuck, Mum and Dad, I'm never going on the moors ever again.
So
Why are we going off the path?
I'm going to tell you a scary story.
Right.
This is real, and one of, probably, if in my memory, the only supernatural scary experience I've ever had.
Doesn't end in
that
home
was
invasion.
shared Now, I was down at Land's End, you know, the very tip of Cornwall down there.
Yeah.
And was camping down there for a week. And made a long, sort of mile-long walk to the first and last inn, basically.
Right on, yeah.
Got there late. No food available, but the owner was, you know, we were hungry, tired. Made us sandwiches.
Nice.
And it was like, thank you. And we stuck around and had some drinks. And then it was another long, like, hour-long walk back to the tent.
Okay.
All we had was one flashlight.
Nope.
And
Nope.
I've never seen so many snails and slugs in my life. Just literally every step was crunch, crunch, crunch. It was impossible to keep the flashlight bright enough for the two of us to see where our feet were going. And
Was it raining?
It was damp.
Right, yeah.
And so, and we, for whatever reason, I kept just panning to the left, panning to the right, just making sure we were still on the road because it twists and turns and goes up and down.
You were playing Luigi's Mansion.
Yes, I've never played it.
And he's thinking at the same time what the weather would like in Venice.
I'm thinking Silent Hill, you know.
Yeah.
And to the right, a giant black spiky shape, just, you know, with the flashlight going across, you could see the depth of the trees and texture and things on them.
Okay.
This was a black void which absorbed the light like a hole, like nothing existed there.
Like the thing from Attack the Block.
Exactly. Now, I've said this to quite a few friends. I'm like, but you gotta believe me. But that creature that's in Attack the Block, I saw for real in Cornwall. Now, when I saw it with the flashlight,
it's gone north.
I turned left and I took about 6 paces and stopped. And the person that was with me stopped too. And she said, don't. And I said, I want to have a look. She said, no. Grabbed me by the arm and pushed me to keep going.
Yeah, just keep walking.
That was a shared experience where, without saying anything, we still kept taking those steps because we were so horrified what we've seen. Our bodies literally went into autopilot mode for a few moments until it registered that was not right.
Isn't it?
And I'm like, American Werewolf in London is playing in my head, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I called you Meatloaf, Iain.
Do you know what's funny is it's kind of like you have that experience where you're scared, and the reaction is, no, this is scary. Let's get back to the safety of our tent because nothing's getting in there.
Let's turn our back on it and hope it doesn't chase us.
Once we get in the tent,
like,
we'll be fine.
If we acknowledge it, it's fucking gonna get us. So it was like, let's not acknowledge it. Let's keep going. Like, we're not gonna go over there. You're not gonna come over here. And it was, we couldn't talk about it for years until afterwards when we had the conversation and literally went, is that how you recall? And she said, that is how I recall it as well. And it was like one of the most frightening things ever.
Right. But I just want to, point out there have been times where you haven't been completely coherent. So you could have seen a fucking unicorn.
I did just.
The guy in the pub put AIDS in his sandwich.
AIDS in his sandwich.
Shit. So yeah, that was American Werewolf in London. Number 7, The Exorcist. 1973.
So far, all of these movies I think have had horrific sequels.
Yes, they have.
Yeah.
Paris, American Werewolf.
Although
Paris.
Ian enjoys Descent too, so
Yes.
I haven't actually. I don't recall it very well.
I do kind of enjoy Exorcist 3 actually.
Yeah,
Exorcist 3 with that fucking scary woman with
both the Exorcist sequels have had sort of a resurgence of popularity where people are rediscovering them and going, actually, if you ignore the first film, this has got something to say. And it's told in an interesting, artistic way.
But at the same time, mate,
it's not a conventional film.
I have a scary story now.
Yeah, that's
right?
good.
I have a scary story. Linda really wanted to watch The Exorcist one year, right? One month. I have no idea why. She just turned to me in bed one night and she's just like, I really fancy watching The Exorcist. I'm like, really? What? Where the fuck did that come from?
When
She's
she
like,
turns you in bed, her head just like spinning around.
looking at me.
Put it on.
And so... Luckily we've got no
You're like, wow, the power of Christ is compelling me.
Luckily we've got no crucifixes in the house, or the story could be going another way. But she went out and bought the box set.
Is there a sex position called the crucifix?
Oh, God.
She bought the Exorcist.
Yeah, but you don't want to see it.
So one night, one week, I've watched Exorcist 1, with Linda, and then I've pushed myself to watch Exorcist 2, The Heretic, which was fucking
mind fuck.
mind blowing. Just on a Tuesday night.
You
it's
know
like-
what? A better sequel to The Exorcist than Exorcist 2 is Repossessed.
Yes, yes. I really wanted to watch Repossessed while I was
doing
watching
The Exorcist.
Exorcist 2. I get to Exorcist 3. Really love that story. And then you've got Exorcist 4, the beginning,
Yeah.
and Exorcist 4 Origins, I think it's called, right?
Yeah.
It's the same movie,
But it's recut.
recut.
Yeah. There
So
was so
I-
many creative.
I go downstairs, right? I stick. Yeah, because Linda didn't want to watch anymore after like Exorcist 3. She's like, I'm done. I go downstairs. I put the first film in. I watch it. I was just like, you know what? That wasn't too bad. Telling the story of Merrin and what he did with Pazuzu before everything kicked off in the original. Yeah, I can go with this. Film ends. I get myself another beer. I come back in. It's about 11 o'clock. I'm like, yeah, watched it. Watch the next one. Start it up. Halfway through it, I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? It really freaked me out. I mean, I literally sat there like, the devil's fucking with me right now. I've watched so much Exorcist this week. He's like, I'm going to fucking blow your mind in. You thought Heretic 2 was fucked up? Now there's 2 films with 2 different titles, but they're the same movie. And it got to the end, I was just like, I can't watch anymore. Close the box. I haven't touched
Put it in the freezer.
It's just... Yeah, the Exorcist movies.
Do you think Exorcist is one of those movies, in all seriousness, that every generation rediscovers?
Yes,
so, like,
that's
when
why
you think
it's on
about
my
when
list,
we
because
when we
when I
watched
first
it,
saw
it would have
had
been
no impact on
kind
me.
of like it
was
we
tame.
didn't get to live through what
Right.
was the release of The Exorcist, when you've got people are throwing up in the aisles,
Passing
people are
out,
dying,
ambulances
and
outside.
It was
Yeah.
still fucked up when you still watched it.
Yeah,
it
but I mean, I
wasn't.
remember
It
watching
wasn't.
it on like Channel 4, and it was preceded by this like hour and a half long intro going through all this.
Yeah.
You got to understand
Yeah.
the phenomena of this movie.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and I was like, that was fucked up. Man,
Yeah.
Like, people in the 70s were pussies. It's true
just
though.
got
It's
a
like,
feeling
but it's interesting
about
that
it.
everyone rediscovers it. It's
when you-
seminal. It's in
Yeah.
the culture now.
When you
that
watch the
should
first
watch
one, it just sets a tone with you.
Second scariest religious movie of all time behind Passion of the Christ.
We always talk about movies. We always talk about
Second most
movies
violent.
having, the tonal shift all the way through. Exorcist doesn't really have that. It's just like, this is going to keep you on the edge of your seat from the very beginning to
It
the
just
very
keeps
end.
getting more and more intense. And
Yeah.
again, great storytelling is when your suspension of disbelief is gone and you really believe she's possessed and they're performing a freaking exorcism.
Yeah, man.
And
It's never been
that
recaptured.
possession has been attempted to be recreated in every ghost story, possession movie,
What was it?
exorcism
Exorcism
movie
of
ever
Emily
since.
Rose.
Yeah,
they
they've
tried
all
really
borrowed.
hard.
And why Exorcist works is it works because it's the family, the daughter as well, and it also works with the characters around it.
Yeah.
It grounds it very much in a believable scenario where you think it could happen. And of course, there's all the stories out there of real exorcisms and real possessions.
Accidents on the set. The set was cursed.
Yeah.
Apparently, there are
Yeah.
people have accidents with lighting equipment and stuff as well. Apparently,
Yeah, but that was just a shit studio.
Lots of spooky
I think
things
so.
happened on
Yeah.
Poltergeist, but then they
Yeah.
used real corpses on the set.
Yeah,
Mm.
and The Omen as well.
Yeah, The Omen, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was The Exorcist. So number 6 is Hellraiser from 1987.
that's some fucking gore.
Now, it's on the list because Hellraiser, for me, I've said before, I saw the second one first.
Best one.
And that one is probably the best one, the most entertaining. And I do kind of guilty
Bit more
pleasure.
Cenobite action in the second one, I
Yeah.
guess. Like you see the
Yes,
Cenobites a
yeah.
bit more. And...
Well, the Cenobites,
No,
it's
no,
all
no.
about Dr.
Yeah, it's
Chenard
all about Dr.
and the
I guess I'm
exploration
thinking of the
of...
first one. I can't remember. They all kind of mesh into each other. The first two for me, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they were made
And he
pretty
rips,
close to
and
each
he
other.
rips his own head off at the end.
Oh yeah.
And so, Hellraiser 3 is guilty pleasure. I do kind of like 4. 5 is interesting, and then it's all downhill, and I'm still waiting for Hellraiser
Revelations
10.
Was
Stopped,
to come out.
stopped
No,
after 3.
Somebody literally quoted
Shit.
recently on the channel saying Hellraiser Judgment, I think it's the new
Yeah,
one,
yeah.
and it's we've such shit to show you.
Good
Yes.
quote. Well
Yes,
done.
you
Whoever
do.
quoted that,
Yes,
good man.
I'm like, yeah, that was
Henry
great.
Cavill,
So cool.
Henry Cavill in fucking Hell World.
Yeah,
yeah, man.
yeah.
Superman.
Superman?
Yeah.
Superman's in
Why didn't
Hell
you just
World.
fucking thunder punch him and drop him?
Has
on the fucker?
sex and gets killed straight away afterwards.
Yeah, he gets
Rule of horror movies,
Yeah.
of course.
Yes, yeah.
by Lance
But
Henriksen.
Hellraiser for me, it still stands up there. It's still one of the
Phenomenal
greatest
movie.
horror movies.
I've
never seen that much
Jesus.
gore.
I remember hearing a story for that. I'm terrible, but the guy that played Pinhead
Doug Bradley.
Doug Bradley.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Told a story. It wasn't really too long ago. It was probably 10 years ago, but He was having an interview and he talked about when he was at the rap party and went in and no one knew who
No,
he was.
right, yeah, so
because
sad.
obviously he'd only
Makeup
ever been in
the
the
whole
makeup.
time.
Yeah.
So no, he was like, "Hi, how's it going?" And everyone's like, "Yeah, whatever." Like,
Yeah,
he was
like-
like, "Motherfucker, I've been in this
but
movie
yeah,
talking
why
to
are
you.
you
I have
talking to me?"
scenes with you." Like, and,
Yeah.
yeah, I thought that made me laugh.
And of course, yeah, very sad. That's great. No, he's an interesting character as
Absolutely.
well. Bradley.
Iconic actor.
Number 5 on the list is Jaws from 1975.
I would have put this number 1.
Yeah, it's not the one I watched the most though.
Jaws 2's
Fair
better.
play.
No, it's
Nah, man, Jaws is like a fucking perfect movie. It's
I
just
know Jaws is really good, don't get me wrong, but Jaws 2's awesome.
Yeah,
I like
okay.
Jaws 2.
I don't
but-
think Jaws 2 is better, but I know Jaws 2 is very entertaining. It just doesn't have the tension of the first one.
I'm not arguing, but why are you bringing this? Oh, you're supposed to go, yeah, and just go with the first one. No, have a go at me. Let's bring up Jaws 3, shall we?
Let's not.
No.
Jaws
No.
4? No? Let's stick with the first one. And
I just watched it because I really like the whole. I love the
It's a
shark
film of two
horror
halves.
genre.
Yeah. But
So
I mean, it's a guilty
I
pleasure for
recently
me
watched
too.
right. Okay, now all right. I'm not going to go into Sharknado.
right.
I'm just saying the shark. The when it's treated seriously, right? So I watched 2 recent movies. Was it The Shallows?
Yeah.
Good
and
fucking movie.
47 meters down.
I
I saw
watched-
both of them too.
right.
You have the same
Dude,
level.
fucking-
One of
I
them was
thought-
really good.
Shallows.
Yes. And 47 meters down was fucking awful.
47 meters down. Focused not enough on the sharks.
Yeah, the whole set, the concept was great, but
It's got a good ending.
no, it has
I
the
know.
worst
No.
ending.
I liked what they did because at that point.
This is so fun.
I don't want to. No, but I don't want to spoil it because of like what happens. But kind of when you have the levity in a way, and then it slams it down again. I was like, good.
They tell you that because of the lack of oxygen that they've got down there, that they're going to start hallucinating and seeing things.
And they
so
hallucinate.
Yeah, but as soon as they
the
say that, you
last
kind of know where
30
it's
minutes
going.
of the fucking movie is a fucking hallucination.
You know
I'm sorry, I'm
that's where
spoiling
it's
it.
going.
for you.
I said
It's
fucking
shit.
spoil. Yeah, I
Don't
just want
watch
to know
it.
it. I said
It's-
spoil.
Don't watch
But
the
okay, but the
Shallows
no,
either.
but the Shallows
Just
is filmed in a really
Yes.
interesting way, dude.
Yes.
The way they like they just
It
go with
worked.
like they're
That
like
worked.
let's not do a fucking shark movie the way everyone else does. Let's do these weird cutaways where she's like, right, it takes him X amount of time to get from fucking here to here. That's how much time I've got to fucking go. And she'll start a clock and it will play up in the top corner of the fucking screen. So when it's not
When
like
she goes
the
past
Christopher
the red
Nolan
zone.
fucking end of Dark Knight Rises where it's like the bomb's gonna go off in 15 minutes and 87 minutes later they're still fucking driving around with it.
Yeah.
It's like you know exactly how long she's got and it plays
It's
out
in
and
real
you
time.
You can't help fucking watch it like,
Yeah. Because as soon as it hits the 0 mark and the shark should be on her and it's like minus time, you're just like,
Where the fuck is that
your
shark?
toes are curling up and you're like,
Yeah,
your
man.
legs like.
And when like okay, well, see you ruined the other one. Spoiler: she kills a shark. So when she,
Oh my god, it was awesome!
it was great, wasn't it?
Yes.
The way she does it, she kind of fucking she's caught by like a boy and like cuts off like a fucking anchor and goes shooting down towards the bottom of the fucking ocean, and the shark's chasing behind her. And to be fair, the graphics are pretty fucking
look,
impressive.
it was scared
and
the
she
shit
totally
out of
just
me.
bails at the last second. He slams into all these fucking rebars, and I swear, I was watching. I was like,
Yes!
that's what you fucking get.
Right?
That's a good fucking
Yes,
movie.
I feel the same with Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, that's
I
fun.
like it.
Again,
It's fun.
that's a
Yeah, yeah,
popcorn,
dude.
cheesy, funny
Yeah, dude.
movie.
But Jaws,
I like Tom.
Jaws at the same time. I mean, for me though,
That-
this is controversial. For me, it's not a horror movie.
No,
I-
like I said, it's a film.
It ain't National Geographic, dude.
I know, but I have an issue counting a summer blockbuster, primarily based in summer.
No,
It is
it was a
summer
horror
blockbuster.
movie. It wasn't a summer blockbuster. It made summer
And at
blockbuster.
the same time,
It would be
it's-
classified as a summer blockbuster then.
it's
Yeah,
a monster
right.
movie.
Well, yes. That monster
It's
movies
a
are a
monster movie.
subgenre of the horror genre.
Yeah, but
so-
but it's just for me, maybe I'm old school. Horror is
You like
guy in a
Stalker.
mask.
Yeah,
You like home invasions, we've
yeah,
established.
yeah. Halloween birthed me. So when
Horror
I'm
movies
looking
are
at
whatever
Jaws,
scares you.
yeah, but Jaws.
If Jaws doesn't scare you, then
So for
that's
Gary,
fine, because
Adam
it is an
Sandler
adventure.
movies.
Ah!
Yeah.
Oh man.
And Jaws terrified the world. That made
Oh,
the
it
world
did.
scared of
Fucking
sharks.
ruined the ocean for everyone.
yes,
Right.
yes.
Now,
Amazing movie.
this one's going to be a little bit more controversial, and this one's changed for me over time. But the number 4 slot has gone to Day of the Dead from 1985. The
Yes.
most watched zombie movie without a doubt. It used to be Dawn of the Dead.
See, now,
But
David
over
Dead's
the
horrible.
years, Day of the Dead has gone up there. I enjoy the acting, the interactions,
Yeah.
the zombie effects, the gore, the confined space, the opening, the music.
It's a very good example of someone learning a lot from the first movie.
Yes.
And then translating that.
Now, well, he had so many studio problems with the
Yeah.
fact that they tore his script to pieces and just said, take that out, take that out, take that out. Because in the original concept, there were like an army. There was like 100 bubs, all trained to use military weapons, and they were taking them up to the surface. And these armed zombies were clearing out cities for these people who were still having the issues of science over military, over civilians.
Yeah, but for George A. Romero, it works to be small.
Yes, it did.
All three Dead movies really work in a small concept of being isolated in this tiny little place and held up by these creatures.
Again, it was one of the things that I hated was again the human element of Rhodes. I used to hate him as the bad guy. But over time
he's definitely the villain. And which brings you into Land of the Dead. You know, when you put it on a larger scale, you know, the zombie army that we see, you know, it's not viewed as good as Day or Dawn or Night. And I'm like, yeah, but that's because he wanted to do something big straight after Night and go into Dawn, but they wouldn't give him the budget. You know? And so he made a 3-hour epic.
Yeah,
well, he was zombie survival, which is like for me, better than Day.
I will say, Dawn
but
is
Day
better,
is really
but
good
Day's the one
because
I prefer to watch.
Yeah, Day's really good because it follows on the story from Night and Dawn of this.
Well,
of the
it
survivors
follows
in
the
this,
universe.
Yeah, it follows the universe. That's what I mean. And imagine if he had gone big. If they had turned around and gone, yeah, you know what, George? Yeah, fuck it. Here's
$60 million.
Here's $60
He'd
million.
have probably made a movie where it was all done by rage-infested monkeys.
Yes, yeah. But,
And I'd have fucking cried.
Yeah.
Would it scale at the time as well? You'd have been missing out on things. It might have turned into a campy horror movie because it was too over the top.
Well, I don't know. You got to think about the time it was made, man. When it was like people used to go watch horror movies to be scared, whereas now we've been oversaturated with like horrific scenes and stuff. And it takes something serious to like make us.
But by the time
like
Day
the way you
came
described
out,
that scene from it, again, that's something serious that make. I mean, we've got to the point now where it's like you want to scare someone, you need to rip an arm off a kid.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but
It's
Day
like, all right.
came out in 1989.
Day came out in 1985.
1985. Right. Okay. So still at the forefront of horror. You know, Jason.
And again,
Jason,
we're moving
Freddy,
into more of the slasher,
they
the
just didn't
slasher
wanna,
genre as well now, which is taking over.
Companies just didn't want to pay him. Oh, we don't think zombies.
Yeah, but probably
we don't
again,
think
like-
zombies are scary.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Nobody
You're an
thought
idiot.
zombies were scary until the Walking Dead TV show came out. I think I've mentioned this before. I'm going to say it again because it always winds me up. That 2 years before The Walking Dead started, I was doing I was at university and I had to pitch something new for television.
Yeah.
And I pitched a zombie TV series. It's following a band of survivors through the apocalypse, and the idea is that the reason why I wanted it was because zombie movies ended, and I'm just like, I want to know more. I want to know what happens to the survivors afterwards, which is what Robert Kirkman obviously was already doing. And I didn't realize the Walking Dead comic book was already going at that time.
Yeah.
And I pitched this, and I went off and I made a 10-minute pilot for a zombie TV series as my university project, and I got a terrible, terrible score from the head of the media arts faculty.
I
and he
remember
said,
that.
and
I
he
was a
said to
zombie
me,
in that show.
"You were a zombie
I
in
was
that."
a zombie
Ian.
in that show.
And he said to me, and the reason why my mark was so low, he said there will never be a successful zombie TV series.
Suck a dick.
Yeah.
2 years later, Walking Dead. 5
right.
years later, Fear the Walking Dead. You know, and so on. And
You just want to
when
punch
that
fucking
result
right,
came in, I did. I went in. I was just like, "Have you seen what's just happened?" Like a year after the score. And when I went in to find him, he wasn't there. He was in hospital. He just had a heart attack.
Oh, so you got your fucking.
No, but
kicks in
I
there.
was just like, "No, that wasn't me." You know, I didn't do that.
Yeah,
Like,
probably because you saw The Walking Dead coming. You were like, huh!
fucking zombies on screen. Oh my god.
You know, it's
so
funny,
I'm still bitter about that.
I was
Still bitter.
saying to you earlier about I recently found out about a zombie show or sketch that I saw on
Yes,
Facebook.
yeah, tell.
Yeah.
So there was a you know, in Facebook now you get like loads of, there's so many fucking adverts for movies and stuff on Facebook, and I flicked past one and it was talking about the director of the Get Out, excuse me, sorry, and saying it wasn't his first
Foray
push
into
into
horror.
horror. And it used to be on like Mad TV and stuff, and it was like, I think it was just a sketch. I don't know because I couldn't see it on Wikipedia under his movies, but you see this. It's a scene, and it's two black guys, and the white guy who was played by Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah.
One of the black guys
Is he still around?
Fucking
Hercules.
right, dude. And it's like they come out, like it's in suburbia, and they come out from behind this
Andromeda,
fucking like
Andromeda flashbacks.
yeah, right.
Ah!
Well, they come out from behind this garage, and Sorbo's got a gun. Fucking Hercules got a gun, and he's like, "Don't worry, I'm going to keep you safe." And instantly he dies to a zombie attack, obviously. So the two black guys go screaming around the corner, and they're fucking ducked behind this SUV, and they're like, "Oh my god, what are we going to do, man? What are we going to do?" And they look out, and there's a really beautiful pan shot, and you see all these fucking people in the middle of the street, all zombies like shuffling along, and like we got to make a run for it. So they start making their run for it, and they start going through, and they're kind of knocking past, and it's a little bit kind of like shambling zombies, so they're going past without any problems, and they kind of looking at each other going, we are kind of going past without a lot of problems. So then they start like pushing a couple of the zombies, and there's nothing. They're like, what the fuck is going on? And then they go past, there's a car with an old zombie couple in it, and as the two black guys, well no, they're parked.
Oh right.
But as they fucking walk up to this car window, the old dude fucking locks the door, and he's like, these are a bunch of racist zombies.
Racist motherfucking zombies.
And
That's ridiculous.
they're walking along, and there's like a couple with a kid, and the kid goes to walk towards them like, nah, and the zombie mum
parents.
stops her, and then one guy's like, she's already fucking dead.
Oh my god.
I've got to find. I'll have to find it.
It was awesome.
Was it? I don't know if it was a sketch.
Yeah,
funny.
it must be in a sketch because they meet up. There's another black guy comes walking up the street and he's like, "Hey,
Oh
guys,
yeah, he's like,
hey guys,
isn't
how
this
you
great?
doing?"
We're having a barbecue.
Yeah, we're having a barbecue. The beer's here, and he goes back outside, and there's literally just a back garden of
They look like
people
Boys in the
partying,
Hood.
and they're all just black because all of the white people have become zombies.
And they're all racist, so
And
they
they're
don't
all
want to eat the black
racist
people.
Zombies trying to
Oh,
stay away
this
from them.
sounds funny.
Dying.
I have
I
to
was
see
fucking
this.
dying, dude. I'll find it for you before I go on,
Yeah.
because it was fucking amazing.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
And it's the same director as Get Out.
Apparently, yeah, according to the tag anyway. But yeah,
Nice,
fuck,
nice.
I made me laugh.
Get
dude.
Out is actually, I've written down, there's 2 movies that are on my to-watch list that I've heard really good things about from lots of people, and that is Get Out, and I think the other one was Witch, or Witches.
Witch.
Witch.
Yeah,
Oh, with
Yes.
a Y though, isn't it?
Two Vs.
W-Y. That's
two,
it.
two
Yeah.
V's made into
Yeah.
a witch, yeah.
How would you pronounce that, Ian?
I'd say
Vivitch.
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 Yeah, Get Out, you know, it's good, but at the same time, not. I don't know. A lot of people are saying it's groundbreaking, but obviously I wikied
Have you seen it or
I
wikied
wikied
it? I was just about to
I
flag.
wikied it, and I read it, and I was just like, interesting concept. Makes me think of Red State in the horror factor.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
I'm not trying to spoil anything, but let's just say there's nothing scary in the attic. It's all psychological,
Yeah.
and
And a bit fantastical when you find out what the big scare is.
I'd say racist.
Well, no, but no, but what I mean is it's like, it's not just and someone's gonna kill you, or it's a very out there fantastical kind of like concept, isn't it? What they're doing without spoiling it. I know we spoiled the fuck out of the shark.
I don't
movies,
want to
but
spoil it
Get
anymore,
Out is
but
actually current, so I don't want to.
it's all right. I'll just
Yeah.
say it's all right.
Yeah, I'll go into that.
Were we still on Jaws?
No, number 3, that was Day of the Dead. Now
Day
we're
of the
going
Dead.
into 1981, The Evil Dead. That's a number 3 on my list. Now, the entire Evil Dead franchise I've revisited again and again and again. And it's Ash vs. Evil Dead is still running. I can't wait for season 3.
Evil Dead 1 is just so amazing. I remember watching it New Year's Eve one night when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Everybody else was out partying New Year's Eve. I'm watching Evil Dead, and I got the trilogy for Christmas.
Nice.
So I was making my way through. By the end of the first one,
Is that the order in which you watched
I watched first, second, third, yeah. But I wanted to watch Army of Darkness because obviously it's always my favourite, but I was doing it all the way through. And I was in the house alone. I had to go downstairs to pee. And it was fucking freaky.
You
as
were like,
fuck.
I'm gonna pee myself.
You know, because you stop the film, right? That's playing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm walking down the stairs, and I swear I could hear, "We're gonna get you." I was like, "Pee faster."
Just keeps
Pee
echoing.
faster.
The thing is, as well, like again, another similar to The Exorcist, when that first came out, that's out. That
Video
coined the phrase
nasty.
"video
Yeah.
nasty," straight
Yeah.
up, man. Fucking hell.
And of
That was
course,
some underground shit to get hold of that video.
Yes, and the production behind it as well. I mean, legendary.
yeah, just
Fucking
finding out how they
legendary.
went about making it over years of
If you
just
read
abuse.
Bruce Campbell's
I've read his
autobiography,
books,
is
yeah.
phenomenal, isn't it? When it goes into like what they
the
went through
months
to do
they
that.
spent in that cabin.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
going
the
through all
amount
the
of
grueling
different actors
stuff, they
that
had
just
to-
walked
they had to
out and
go-
went, knock him back.
And
Yeah.
the fact that it came together, and then obviously led on to a great career for Bruce Campbell.
Of course.
Even better career for Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
You know,
Ted Raimi.
Robert Tapper.
Yeah.
You know, such a low budget movie, If you know, going back to when you were in university, when they show films, I always say this in the school I work in, saying that I'm not dropping any names, but they're like, "Oh yeah, we need to show films to the kids." I'm like, "Evil Dead."
Yeah.
They're like,
"Hey, you
no.
show Schindler's List for fuck's sake. You can show
right.
Evil Dead."
They're like, "We can't show it," and I'm like, "I know it's an 18."
There's a woman getting
But-
raped by a tree.
Maybe cut that bit.
Yeah.
Cut that bit out.
So moving on to number 2 is Alien from
I
1979.
thought that was going to be your number 1.
It almost was, but anytime anyone ever asks me what's my favourite horror movie, there's always an immediate response. And
Absolutely
so-
Fabulous is number 1.
Yeah, that's the most horrific thing I've ever witnessed.
Tekken?
Tekken, yeah.
Tekken's close. But Alien, you know, it's one of my favourite franchises ever. And
Another one that's a perfect movie.
My love and fascination with the creature, the production of the films, the different actors, directors, and watching it all these years, even when it's now at its absolute lowest point. You know?
Oh, Covenant.
I'm glad
was
he
not
went there
good,
because I was
man,
ready
dude.
to say something,
Co-
but he's
Covenant.
just
It started off with such highs, and you know, 3 is still debatable. And I
like
understand
3,
if
man.
you,
I think 3's a good movie.
I love 3.
3 is
I
a good
love
horror movie.
Alien 3, and if you go Alien 3 sucks, I fucking hate it. I can put my hand on your shoulder and go, I know, I know, but. For me, it's, you know...
Compare Alien
3 to Covenant.
Right.
Alien
Well, just
3.
treat it as a standalone movie, which you kind of could. You could watch that movie knowing nothing. It's like, at the end, even with the follow-up with, like, oh, the girl died in transport, this happened, this happened. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's explained. It's given to you. You
of
get
course,
to
you're
what happens,
you're
you know?
missing all of the family kind of gut punch
Yeah,
that
of
is
course.
watching
Yes,
Aliens,
yes, but
knowing
like what Andy
whenever
said,
you revisit Aliens,
Like
just
what Andy
knowing
said, if
what's
you-
to befall them.
if you sat down and watched Alien 3 independently with no idea about it, you still get it from Sigourney Weaver that she loved that child and she's really upset about.
All you got to do is watch the
guy.
autopsy.
Yeah.
Like her reaction to the
God,
autopsy.
yeah.
And then her conversation with Bishop as well, and the terrifying, the terrifying emotions she's going through.
I suppose
this
actually that would be
creature's
the
down
only bit where you'd be like, who the fuck is this messed up droid?
Right. God,
If you haven't seen the
Lance
version,
Henriksen
like, what the fuck?
I think.
Why is he in it at the end? This makes no... I shit all over my point. So.
And then it makes you want to go back and watch the other two.
There you go.
For sure. So yeah, Alien, you know, I'll still revisit the first 3 films, usually stop there.
Before we drop Alien, okay, am I alone in saying that it's always best to leave out that sequence with the eggs?
What, in the first film?
In the
director's
first
cut?
movie,
Oh yeah,
when-
for sure.
yeah, when Ripley walks into
I
that
love
room
it as
and
a
sees them
fascinating idea.
molding into eggs.
I just love the thought process behind the filmmakers trying to figure out the life cycle of the alien,
Yeah.
and trying to figure out how an alien taken away from a queen and a nest would continue. And later in canon, I think basically an alien that's separated from the nest will mutate to a queen.
I'm really
But they
worried.
didn't have that idea about a queen or anything back then.
I'm
It was
worried-
mystery.
I'm really worried Ridley Scott's going to go with it. He's going to make the next one with Michael Fassbender, and the alien's going to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And it's going to link it. That's how.
Yeah, he's gonna
That's
get
how it's
his
going to link
idea.
to Alien, and you'll be sat there like, well,
Basically,
there's
the
no
first
denying that.
xenomorph queen was from a human egg hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, yeah. And that's another thing where I'm just like, no. Like, well, I think 20th Century Fox, though, from what I heard, they've just suspended all Alien franchise movies and taken Ridley Scott away from the project from now and gone, here's a film for you to make. Here's a script, Ridley. Go make this.
Go do this.
Now, you know, I think it's probably too late
Crazy old
to
bastard.
get
Come over here, man.
to get Neil Blomkamp back to do his proposed Alien 3 movie. Which again, we've got a Halloween which is ignoring all the canon. We've got a new Terminator film which is going to ignore all the canon. You know, Aliens was the first one that was thinking about doing it. I still think they could do it. And it would just be an okay, you know, it's like an alternate timeline, you know. I'm okay with alternate timeline film sequels because some of the sequels that we did get, you know, just destroyed
But
the franchise.
Works for Star Trek.
That original trucker crew, though, in Alien is amazing.
Yeah, that's one of the great
Paladin's
reasons to
standing
watch it.
again.
And the
Yeah,
camaraderie of the Marines in the second one, the interesting prisoners in the third one, the Betty crew, you know, it's got Ron Perlman, so it's worth watching.
That's a
Yeah,
win.
watch it.
Yeah, that's a win.
So, building up into my number 1 horror movie, when anyone ever says, Gary, what's your number 1 horror movie?
Yeah.
I immediately respond with John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. That film I've watched so many times, and I still get excited when I rewatch it, and I still can't believe how amazing the practical effects are. I still, when I'm watching it, go, who's the thing? Who's the thing in now? What's it thinking? How as the person who is the thing, do they know they're the thing because they're a perfect imitation? They think they're normal or is the thing actually controlling them and deciding what it's going to say? And it's puppet mastering them. It's so dark, and you have all these thoughts when you're watching it. And the performances of Kurt Russell and the rest of his co-stars, you could rewatch it again and again and again.
That is a movie I can definitely remember the first time I ever watched it.
Yeah,
It's like
me too.
Psyche of like
Christmas
one of those
Day.
movies.
I got it for Christmas Day.
Well, it's just one of those movies that I just caught late at night when my mum and dad weren't home and just sat there. It sounded like I had a fucking terrible childhood. Like, left alone. I was quite young at the time. Like, I was on my own at home. I'd just sit there and watch movies, and that came on.
Me too.
And the only thing that stuck, because I didn't know anything about it, and I was just like, oh, look, a dog. I like dogs. It's the first scene, you see the dog running through the fucking snow, don't you? Yeah. I used to have a German Shepherd, and he goes around. I was like, I got one of those. Cool. I'll watch this. I had no idea what was coming. Yeah. But what a fucking movie. Like you said, that you cannot speak enough about the practical effects. Like you said, it holds up.
Still.
It fucking holds up.
Yeah. Every time. I love the fucking thing.
Yeah.
It's, I want to say it's my all-time favourite John Carpenter movie, but, he's
Big
done so
Trouble.
many from
No, it was...
Big Trouble.
No, in our top 5, it was The Thing, number 1.
The Thing was number 1.
The Thing
was number 1. And, I've got the book of it. I even heavily defend the prequel.
Yeah, I know you do.
I heavily defend
it's such a sour
because
it's shit.
Because
it
is shit.
It's not shit. It builds up.
Just because the accent's up in the door, don't make it fucking worthwhile, dude.
To that one, because like what you just said about the Thing, about everything in that first movie, you want to know where it come from and what happened to that original
I know
Swedish
what happened
crew.
to that Swedish crew. The Thing imitated them. They turned on each other.
Norwegians.
Yeah.
Yep. But I was glad they made a remake prequel because...
But they fucked it. They totally fucked it with CGI.
Oh, mate, dude, thank you. I was going to say the same fucking thing.
Yes, they did fuck it with CGI, but... For me, like I said, heavily defending it, the practical effects would not have stood up.
What?
At that time, 2006?
If you're telling me that the thing from 1982 special effects hold up today, a modern
we should be able to do better versions.
Bullshit, because every monster after that, every monster into the early 2000s was CGI. That's what everybody was craving. And I don't mean to attack those people.
That's even more expensive to do that.
I don't mean to attack those people who really want technology to advance in movies, but it tarnishes the original films that you're watching. I.e., I use The Thing, John Carpenter's 1982 Thing, as a good example, because the effects in that, like you said, are amazing. Bring it to 2006, somebody goes out and remakes it, does all practical effects, and we would probably be having a different conversation now saying, oh, the practical effects in the Thing are fucking shit, I really wish they'd done this.
No, I don't think they would.
Or what about if they'd remade it by bringing back Kurt Russell and doing something else? At least they took the original idea and
we still could, dude. He's working again. We still could.
Yeah.
He's got the beard from Guardians 2, dude.
They let it up so that at the end of the prequel, when that music hits, that boom boom.
Yeah, but that's literally borrowing from its
it's
source
borrowing,
material.
But as soon as you turn that movie off, you can go, I'm watching The Thing now. And put it in and slide it in and sit and watch one of the greatest horror movies ever. So you could literally
just watch the last 5 minutes of the prequel movie. Just start there.
No, because
Really, you just need to see the dog run out the door.
I like it when the creature turns up. I like seeing the creature more because I love John Carpenter's The Thing, but the creature doesn't turn up enough. It does at points that makes it very pinnacle to the story. The dog instant, the blood serum, the blood test on the sofa. The whole ending where he's got his hand in that guy's face. It's fucking terrifying, and I'm glad of that. But I'm also very glad when you've got this molded thing with arms and legs and face rolling around. I'm like, that's from John Carpenter's. What happens to it? They burn the shit out of it. Good. That thing needs to die. Oh, wait. The dog's run off. We need to get that motherfucking dog. We need to... Oh, do any of you speak English? No. Well, you're fucked. Boom, boom.
I'll be honest and say I hate parts of that film, but there are redeeming qualities of the prequel. I like the idea that they went... Yeah, they are. I like the idea that they didn't do blood tests and they were like about gold fillings in your teeth.
The fillings in the teeth was a gentle change.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, at least they're not doing the blood test all
it was
over
something
again.
different.
But it's the same scene.
It is the same scene, and it is playing on the tension and paranoia.
But why have them discover that? Like, it kind of like almost downgrades McCready coming up with that idea in the first place. I remember watching that for the first time when he lays out the whole, this is what we do and this is what we do. I was just like, that's fucking genius, man. He put that all together himself.
McCready doesn't know that, and that's
no, he does. That's the point. That's what that's his theory.
That's the thing about McCready. He's a helicopter pilot.
But he's very smart.
In the book, he was a scientist. He worked with them as well as being a helicopter pilot. But in the film, they changed it so he was just this badass. McCready's a badass. In the first one, they couldn't really do that with Elizabeth Winstead, I think it is. They couldn't do that with her. She's a good actress. She had to find out another theory to work past it and come up with these details so then we can follow her character trying to work out. So it gets to the end. Yes, okay, at the end when he climbs in, you notice that earring not there. You notice it. As soon as he climbs into that truck, you go, he's the thing. How do you know? Because he's missing his earring. And
no, it's because we've been sat there for the last 15 years going like, oh, McCready was fucking, blown out smoke. You could see his breath in the air and the other guy you couldn't, or vice versa, whichever it was. You know what I mean? So we're hardwired to go, oh, at the end they'll do this. They'll do the twist where there'll be two people and one of them might be the thing.
And they do that better in the prequel. In John Carpenter's...
I don't think they necessarily do it better. They left it unspoken in the first one. They didn't even...
they didn't need to because they both knew that they were going to freeze to death.
It's ambiguous.
They knew it was over for both of them.
But that's John Carpenter.
Yeah.
He does that with a lot of his films, and that's the amazing thing about John Carpenter. I don't care what people say about who's the thing at the end of the thing. Oh, is it McCready? Is it Childs? Is it, one's not drinking, one's not... Oh, fuck you. I don't care. I'm still sat there at the end going, boom, boom. boom, boom. And then the music, it's just, I love the thing. Yeah, so the
thing, number one.
Thing's amazing, dude.
So, for the benefits of time, I'm going to very quickly go over the list I put together of the last 10 years, and if you can just give me a fuck yeah or a fuck no, that would be great.
The first 6 are the sorcerers.
So starting at I think number 8, I've got Cabin in the Woods from 2012.
Fuck yeah,
amazing movie.
Absolutely.
Amazing movie.
Number 7, 10 Cloverfield Lane.
A horror movie. It's a sci-fi.
No, it's horror.
I haven't seen it yet, so
you got to see John Goodman. It's
it's Mary Elizabeth Winstead again from the prequel of The Thing.
Well, she's better in this.
She's in 10 Cloverfield Lane.
Number 6, The Babadook. I was quite surprised by it. Very creepy.
Really good. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, not seen it.
Number 5, I've put It from 2017. Most recently, even like I said,
Pennywise.
lots of jump scares.
Sounds fucking horrible.
Very effective.
Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Number 4 is Wreck from 2007.
Oh, the Wreck series
slipping in 10 years old now.
The Wreck series is awesome. I love it.
Number 3, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Great movie.
Fucking best movie on this list. Oh my god, I love that film.
Yeah, that was great. That was so great.
Officer, we have had a doozy the other day.
Love introducing that film to new people.
Oh my god, it's the best. That's without diverting too fast, but that's my Halloween trilogy. Is I like to watch believe it or not, the remake of Evil Dead, because I really enjoy that one.
Yeah.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil and Cabin in the Woods. It's like three beautiful cabin movies in different ways. Love those three.
Yeah. Number 2, it's a recent film that I watched, and I need to rewatch it again. But on first watching it, it was Life.
Okay.
And after the disappointment of Covenant, I didn't watch a sci-fi film again for ages.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the next one that I watched was Life, and I was just like, oh, thank God!
I said,
a good sci-fi horror movie.
I said this to him 2 months before Life came out. Because
it
wasn't 2 months. Sorry, I'd seen Life was coming out and Covenant was coming out, so I was really excited, and I wanted to Wikipedia both of them. Obviously, I had to wait for Covenant, wikied Life, and I told him, I was just like, if Covenant isn't any good, Life is just going to smash it.
Yeah.
And I haven't even seen it yet. But
I can't wait for them to continue that into a franchise even, or explore that universe some more. Very good. The ending, again, I saw coming, but it didn't deter my enjoyment of the film, and I would still rewatch the film despite its ending. But yeah, check that one out. And my number 1 film from the last 10 years in horror, and again this is 10 years old, so it's only just managed to slip in.
Okay.
The Mist. Frank Darabont's Stephen King adaptation of The Mist.
Fucking brutal ending.
Yes.
Again, I do like my dark endings, but the whole film is still enjoyable.
Yeah.
I love the mystery of the Arrowhead Project. Where did the mist come from? What universe did it come from? It's the Stephen King universe. We all know it's come from the same universe. But yeah, just it still delivers. I love the acting,
Good
the
film.
creatures, the monsters.
You're still talking about it, and all I'm seeing is that kid's face looking at me.
Yeah,
When he turns and looks at the camera, and
Yeah.
then you just hear that bang, 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 bang. And then Thomas Jane
yeah,
fucking screaming
Yeah.
at the steering wheel, and then
And that music
follows
playing.
after that.
yeah.
I just,
Get,
I
and
just
the
want
fucking
to,
army turn up and
want
watch
to
it. don't
throw
they?
my
You get
remote
out
at the
car and
TV
it's
like, fuck
you
you!
dumb mother, fuck you!
So before we end this section, I just want to list off some other guilty pleasures and some other films that I thought about bringing up, but
Resident Evil series.
and I'm just going to read them out very quickly. The Candyman, all of the Nightmare on Elm Street films,
Of course.
the real Ghostbusters cartoon series. I
Fuck
still like to
yes.
watch the first few seasons of that. Some great chilling episodes. I'll probably definitely be watching 1 or 2 episodes over Halloween. The Blob, the first remake of it.
Nice.
I really enjoy that.
Yeah, good film.
Nine.
The Fly, again, the first
Oh,
remake
class.
of The Fly.
Absolutely
yes.
brilliant.
The Critters movies, all of the Saw movies,
Yeah.
all of the Final Destination movies.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
guilty
Sorry.
pleasures. I love
Yeah.
I
Fair,
love
enough.
watching
Fair
how
enough.
they're
You
gonna
call them
die.
guilty pleasures. I can't say no.
Yeah. Going into TV, I love at the moment horror-wise American Horror Story. As we said, The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, Ash versus the Evil Dead. And these are again back to the movies
Hannibal.
again that I didn't mention. Yeah, Hannibal was great.
Hannibal was incredible.
Very good, very good. The Psycho movies,
Oh, Psycho.
Silence of
Psycho
the
2.
Lambs,
Psycho 2 is awesome.
Ring, The Shining, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Omen films, Rosemary's Baby, The Blair Witch Project, Dead Snow 2, and
Yes!
Suspiria.
Dead Snow 2 is amazing.
VHS and VHS 2 I
VHS2,
really
yeah.
enjoyed.
Yeah, the anthology
ABCs
movies.
of
Yeah.
Death are good as well. I quite like the anthology movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All Hallows Eve, that's fucked up. That creepy bastard's got his own movie now as well.
Really?
Yeah, the clown dude from it, he's got his own fucking... No, that is the... See, I can't remember what the anthology was called.
I really want to see Trick or Treat.
No, that might be... I don't
That's
know.
an anthology movie as well.
As well.
But,
Fuck.
but
I
the
think
the little kid in the pumpkin mask, he's just
Yeah.
been set now as an iconic pop culture character for Halloween. Just what
Nice.
he does in the movies, and obviously Wiki in it. I'm like, that's really good. That's really good.
Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the second part of the podcast. But tell us in the comment section below, what is your number one film for the Halloween season? What horror movies or scary movies do you put on over the Halloween? Because I want to know too.
And it better not be the remake of The Thing.
That movie's awesome. Don't argue with me. I'll bring
And
in
we'll
Killer
be back
Clowns.
in the third segment of the podcast answering your questions. Now, welcome back to the third part of the podcast. We'll be answering your questions, as always. One of the best parts of the podcast.
I always love the Q&A section.
And the first question is from Hypnocylic Dreams.
Hey, Hypnocylic
What a
Dreams.
great name.
And he says, so Gary wasn't in the last podcast because he was busy working.
Yeah,
I do apologise, everyone. Yes, I have had to go and get another job.
he's got to get a job.
Yeah.
A jizzab.
A job.
And so he says, but I wonder, and not for the first time, what is it that someone... Sorry.
Right.
As smart and cool as Gary
Right.
actually does for
Did you
a
edit
living.
that, did you?
No, I didn't put that in. Thanks.
Somebody as smart and cool as Gary, what does he do for a living?
Sometimes I think it could be something like that he is a professor. Other times I think he could be a kind of biker vigilante who rides his Harley Davidson across rooftops and shoots bad guys in the head with a crossbow.
I can see that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
The white blade.
Maybe that could be my question for you guys in a podcast, if you would be so kind. What does Gary do for a living?
Okay, well, I mean, I'm waiting for him to answer.
I was going to say, you answering this?
I already know that.
Well, he was not too far off, because I did actually at one point teach media and film studies at secondary school.
yeah,
I thought
yeah,
you meant
yeah,
he wasn't
yeah.
too far off with the bounty hunter
yeah.
again.
I was just
I
gonna
have
say,
chased people for money.
your current employment, obviously, you had to sign a waiver to say you wouldn't promote over social media.
No,
shall we say.
it's basically that if I get advanced screenings, that I'm not allowed to talk about them until the film's actual release.
right.
So, and you know, it's not a glorious job. It's not a desirable job. I am working in the local cinema. I am.
Which is
it's
kind of the job
basically
you've wanted since you were fucking
Close,
15.
Well,
close,
I mean-
close to the meat.
the
Yeah.
first job I ever had at the age of 16 was in a. Actually, it was not the first job, but one of the first big jobs I had was in a cinema.
Yeah.
At the age of 16, and I got fired because I turned up to work too late, too hungover. And
standard 16-year-old.
Exactly,
Yeah.
but it was a good job and I enjoyed it. It was a small theatre. Now I'm in the multiplex one. It's lots and lots of screens and it's busy all the time.
You gotta clean those toilets, motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm cleaning toilets, I'm cleaning screens, and I'm selling
Nothing wrong with
popcorn and
that.
drinks.
Nothing
It's a
wrong with
retail
that.
job.
Cleaning screens?
Yeah.
Would you use a fucking bungee rope or something to clean the screen?
No, not the screen itself.
I see. Okay, when he said I'm cleaning screens, I was like,
It was swinging from
that
the
must be
rafters
amazing.
with a
Like,
cloth.
God, you get to go full Batman with that shit and just like...
Man,
I wish it was that
do
exciting.
you know what the cool thing is, though? It's what happens in the background. We all go to the cinema. We all just walk in, pay our ticket, fucking grab our popcorn, go upstairs, sit down, put our feet up, watch a movie for 2 hours, whatever, come out and do, I just had a load of fun. Somebody's got to go in there and tidy it all up again and get ready for the next 150 people.
I make a
about to
lot
go
of
in.
mess as well, dude.
To
so
make-
I know. I have seen the underbelly of society, and you all fucking suck.
Mate,
You
I
are the
seriously-
messiest motherfuckers, and I'm like, who brought these people up?
Look at this,
I would never eat in public the way I eat in a cinema.
As a psychological thing, it was
Yeah.
really, really weird which screens were easier to clean. And, it's amazing that Dunkirk was a big, big hit in theatres. It was an enjoyable enough documentary style film. But every person that came out of that cinema screen, after every screening, is taking their rubbish with them.
Well, it's
And I'm
'cause
just
it's like
like,
an
wow.
older generation with a bit of respect that wanted to watch
there
it.
are so many. Yeah, granted, there was a lot of senior people watching the film, but there was a diverse amount of people coming in. But I'm even seeing teens and kids, and coming out with their rubbish.
Film's obviously
I'm
got
just
a
like,
powerful message.
absolutely, but it's So it's not a glorious job, but it's and some of you have said, and I think it's in another question. It's from Matthias.
Hey, Matthias.
And he
What's
says,
up?
I miss Gary. Wish you guys were more successful so you wouldn't need another job. And
I'm
I've just-
successful.
well,
I'm successful.
to you.
Motherfucker. To me, yes. But
By a certain standard, you certainly are.
I'm a god.
I didn't mean it that way.
I'm a god. I'm a master of my own existence.
Right.
Everything happens around me and all that kind of shit. And like you said, we're answering people's questions.
You
now.
do
And they're
think
like,
you're on the fucking Truman Show, don't you? Like,
I'm a mate. When I close my eyes and go to bed at night, the rest of you just stop to exist. The universe
Yeah.
doesn't exist without me.
Yeah.
I'm the core. I'm Thanos.
But yeah, I would love for us to get to the channel where I would consider us, success could be measured in however, and I never thought we would get to this point
I would
either.
argue on the outside looking in, assuming you guys starting this channel, you've been massively successful. Like I know, like the way
See?
having my own
Yeah,
podcast. No, but I know like having my own podcast, how hard it is to like get going, and also sort of like you instantly see other people's channels, podcasts, whatever, where it's like the difference of like success in that respect.
Yeah.
But I think you guys have had fantastic success. You've built a great community of people
Yes,
that enjoy
absolutely, yes,
that is
I
the
love
key.
them
That's
all.
the key. I love the
Thank you for
community.
listening to my fucking friends.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
have to as much. It's great.
And so I just wanted to say thanks to everyone because we are growing. We're so close to the 10,000 subscriber mark, which
and we have
set as a
something
milestone
planned.
for us.
We have something planned, actually. This is kind of me throwing out the kind of advertising.
Don't surprise. Don't give away the surprise yet.
No,
Ian's going to
what I
home
will
invade
say
every
is-
one of you.
What I will say is, when we break 10K, Gary has been doing something special. We work very hard for this.
Yeah.
And it's always a chore, shall I say, to get through it week by week, because you're just wanting to do something for the audience. And we built up the community. This little thing that's kind of grown, and I reluctantly wouldn't want to go massive because in the society that we live today,
There's a lot of pressure for content.
when you see, well, not just the content, I can keep up the content. It's the fact of, if I have to go walking down the street, and one day I'm getting mobbed by people because they love watching me, that's when people go, oh yeah, that's when I hit it big. But I live in a society where I look at celebrities and I think, well, they're living in a prison. You know, they've created this prison where they cannot go out their home without being looked upon or stalked upon.
I know over the last couple of years, like famous Twitch streamers have had people turning up at their house, knocking on, just going, "Oh, is this where so and so lives?"
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, what are you doing here?
That's why
like,
I love
I found you.
That's why I love the community.
What the fuck?
You know, because we've
Turning off Google location now on my Twitch stream.
We've just got this basis where people like us enjoy films.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's
yeah.
what
We
I
want
love.
to talk to people that love films as well, and so that's why we love all of your comments and your requests as well. So it's a two-way street.
We fucking hate our jobs.
Yes, we hate our day jobs. So
we hate our day
we
jobs.
want to get to the point.
No.
Because I mean, we had a couple of people like over the last month or two just saying, love your reviews, but I miss your more consistent uploads. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
Thursdays.
Granted, I was like, at some points we've had like repeat uploads. And I know it's new subscribers coming to the channel, and they don't necessarily realise that this review was up at one point and came down and has gone back up. And so there's been spats of lots of re-uploads. And so it might have given the impression that we upload more than that. I want to get the channel to the point, because, I mean, at the moment, doing one review a week and one gaming review a week and a podcast each month, our time is stretched so thin.
Yes,
that
with life
it's
as
at
well.
snapping point, holding up jobs and family and trying to have a social life.
Well, I wouldn't say it's at that point. I've got it all balanced. But
I'm now that I'm in a new job, I struggled this summer to keep the balance in preparing the Halloween series of films reviews. I mean, I didn't even manage to attend the last podcast.
It'll get
and I'm
better.
afraid of those clashes in the future.
I have been doing it for 6 years.
Yeah.
You know, we've been doing off the shelf reviews for 6 years, and I've been working while editing and getting things up. There have been days where the review has only just been edited the night before and is going up the next
morning
day
before sometimes.
and then it's been flagged after like 3 or 4 comments and a couple of hundred reviews, and it's got to go down. Gary's got to get it re-edited, back up online by 12 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because we want to be consistent.
Yeah,
but I balanced it all.
Yes,
you know,
it is. That is perfect word for it. It is finding the balance.
It's finding the balance, and you know, it always goes back to all those other crazy things when people say, "Oh, you know, why don't you do a series of movies? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that?" Yeah, we'd love to. We'd love to do the Friday the 13th series comboed with the Nightmare on Elm Street series.
Now is a good time to say, I know that this October there is a Friday the 13th.
Yes.
And people are already going, are you going to do the Friday the 13th movies? And I when people ask me that on the comments section, a part of me, my heart sinks. I'm like, no, we
won't say no. We won't do it.
It's totally on the cards.
It's on the list. It's on the list. It's an ever-growing list, but it's on the list at a point where the more important reviews are taking precedence. We always say this: if a Patreon comes in and pays their donation towards the show, You got to do that. We've got to do their film. So if after this podcast goes up, if 100 people will go, we're gonna all fucking Patreon pay you to do Friday the 13th. Guess what? Friday the 13th goes fucking top to the list.
So you heard him, patrons. Stop fucking paying to do these random movies.
because if somebody
that is what Iain just told you.
Because if somebody else turns around and goes, actually, no, you know, we're gonna pay X amount of pounds to do fucking Never Ending Story trilogy. I'm sorry, but Never Ending Story trilogy takes priority.
Fucking serious? Oh, dude, I'm donating on Patreon. Yay.
No, I've already got several people that tease and taunt and just go, you know, if you piss me off, I'm just going to Patreon request some shitty films for you.
I'm like, do it, bring it.
Yeah, no, I've heard them. Like, I'm IMDbing and Rotten Tomatoing the worst movies ever. And it's like, no, please don't. Why do you hate us? So hopefully that answers the first part of those questions. But anyway. Question for the next one. I want to thank Gary for introducing me to Oz, which is the...
Who's this from?
Matthias.
Oh, hey, Matthias.
Never heard of it and now binged watched it in like 2 weeks. I was wondering what you generally liked about the show and what some of your favourite characters were. Have you seen it?
That's a lot of gay rape to watch in 2 weeks.
True. Ian, did you ever see the show?
No, for obvious fucking reasons.
No. It's still, I highly recommend it. It ran from 1997 to 2003. It ran 6 seasons, 56 episodes on HBO.
Don't get me wrong. It sounds like an amazing series, like a lot of great series.
Commissioner Gordon's in it.
But we're talking about a bunch of crazed criminals, possibly, inside a small prison. And what was it you used, Andy? Gay bum rape.
Yeah, in the first episode, and continues throughout. And now,
Oh, well, I'm glad I'm not watching that then.
It's
It's in the context of the story. I get that.
It's a prison crime drama.
You know, but I watched a lot of Prisoner Cell Block H when I was a kid. My mum was not into that series.
That's the same.
It kind of put me off prison drama.
Now, I watched all of Prisoner Cell Block H too. Now, one of my favourite genres is the prison drama. And at the moment, I'm really enjoying Wentworth. Which is
I've heard that.
Which is a remake of Prisoner Cell Block H. And it is,
amazing.
in the absence of Oz, if you're a fan of prison dramas, check out Wentworth, Australian soap, but it's taken the stories of Prisoner and modernised it, and it's very good.
And the same goes for the New Colour is Black? No,
the Orange is New Black. That was
Orange is New Black is fucking... Dude, I got
stopped
into that.
after, because Wentworth started like a season after, and I stopped Orange is New Black because Wentworth was like, this is what I need to watch.
I didn't watch Orange is the New Black straight away, but my wife got into watching it. Like on Netflix, and it's one of those shows where I'd be sat in the front room and I'd be like painting or I'd be doing whatever, and it was just, and she'd be like, "Can I watch it?" I'd be like, watch it. I'm not doing anything. Or I'd just bang a podcast in my ear or something like that, and I'd just inevitably have the kind of like, "Wait, who's that girl again? What did she say to that girl? Why is she doing that?" And my wife would be like, "Oh, because of this." Oh, okay. And then 10 minutes later or an hour later or whatever, and I progressively do it so much that I just stop what I do. Like, fuck it, I'm clearly watching. I'm clearly a fan of the show now. And dude, it's fucking good actually.
Yeah. Cool. I liked Kate Mulgrew in the first season that I watched. It was like Janeway, she's on TV again.
Oh, dude, she's awesome.
She was.
Yeah,
the
Red,
Russian.
Red.
Cook.
She and her character evolves really, really well. There's a handful of girls on there whose characters just go from strength to strength, and they just roll with it throughout the seasons, and they really match like the sort of tone of the season. It's always based around like one or two problems, but also just the way they tell the story and the flashbacks, and you just it's not like this week we'll probably get this person's flashback. It just randomly throws you into this fucking flashback and drama. It's great.
Yeah. I remember there was a prison drama called Bad Girls as well.
I never watched that. That was English, right?
That was a British one.
Again, that was another one that my mum used to watch a lot. And
you
know, we had one TV.
Yeah, so you had to watch it. And if I had
to watch TV, I had to sit down.
Your mum liked a lot of like girl on girl prison dramas.
We watched a lot of fucking drama. Emmerdale, Coronation Street, EastEnders, Brookside.
All right. I mean, if you want to like shield it with all those like
Heartbeat,
non-lesbian shows.
So again, to finish answering your question, Matthias, the reason why I loved the show was because it was also boundary pushing. It was challenging content for TV at the time.
Fucking beat me to it.
Yeah. You don't want to know what Ian's doing here. Ian's bending over right now.
Boundary pushing.
I'm a little tired, but I mean, I don't mind.
and one of the reasons to watch it was because it had a large cast of fantastic actors.
I'm glad you said that.
J.K. Simmons as Vern. Just phenomenal. I mean, he was the Aaron leader of the group.
Oh, J. Jonah Jameson.
Yes.
Right. No, dude, Commissioner Gordon.
But he was scary in this series. He was violent, but he was also very subdued, so you didn't know when he was going to have that flash.
Nice.
Dean Winters. You remember the name, Ian?
Fuck.
Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
He played Ryan O'Reilly, who was one of my favourite characters in the show. He was so charismatic, and yet his film career is so awful. And it's like, beyond Oz, nothing. Harold Perrineau.
Nope.
Lost.
No.
He was the one whose boy disappeared, and he was the one who built the raft.
Yeah, of course. The first season and the second season?
The Edge. With the bear. Yeah. He was the guy who got mauled in the tent. One of the most horrific kills. Made me scared of bears. He played Augustus Hill in a wheelchair, and he was like the narrator of the whole show. He kind of introed, kind of broke the fourth wall.
Nice.
And that was an interesting storytelling mechanic that ran through all the episodes.
You can see a lot of influence as well going on to that kind of mechanic. Like House of Cards uses it a lot and stuff, don't they? Where like Frank Underwood will just break away and start explaining
to the audience.
If you don't know what's going on, here's it in plain English, and same kind of dynamic.
And Ernie Hudson as Warden Leo Glenn. Just brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So if you like crime prison dramas, I watch a lot of prison dramas. I like prison films. If you've never seen Oz, just like Matthias, binged watched over the last 2 weeks. It's compelling storytelling. I watched it several years ago, and Matthias, I don't know whether it felt dated now, or whether
would
obviously
think
you
it
binge
did.
watched it in 2 weeks. I guess not.
It's confined within that space, so
Right,
it can't,
yeah.
it's impossible to feel
It's
dated
also
in a
as
way.
a timepiece as well of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
time.
yeah.
So yeah.
Nice.
Next question's from Ava Langren,
Hey, Ava.
What's up?
and she's calling out you, Ian,
Oh,
saying,
bring it.
Ian,
Was it a fight? Let's do this.
Go.
do you think the new Star Trek show, Star Trek Discovery, will be successful?
I want it to be. I would like it to be, but in my recent experience with Star Trek, I don't think it will. Star Wars always overshadows Star Trek every step of the way. And every time Star Trek reboots, brings out a new series, tries something different, it gets a bit of a following. People get behind it again. You know, old school fans, they bring in new fans, they start going all these big conventions. But it starts to wear away because you're following this unit, aren't you? You're always following the unit on this ship, traveling around to these different planets.
Not always. Deep Space Nine.
They were on a space station, dude. It's fucking basically.
You're just talking, but you're talking about the crew, aren't you? You're saying
we're
following
talking
the
about
crew,
the main
aren't
characters.
you? Like,
You've always got your main characters, right? 6 or 7 main characters. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not edgy enough that it's better than Battlestar Galactica. It's not fun enough. That
No, but it's on.
it's
So it's got that
it's
on it.
not. It's not. I'm talking about Star Trek in general.
Oh, okay.
Not just
Alright,
this new
sorry.
series. Star Trek in general. You know, it's not as fun as Firefly. It's not as over the top as Star Wars. It's got its own diplomatic view, and the diplomacy only goes so far before you're craving big battle sequences, which, in a lot of examples, and not counting the Star Trek movies, they always kind of don't bother going into in the show. Why? Well, because they haven't got the budget, they haven't got the models, blah, 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 blah. We'll save it for a big...
Yeah, but, I mean, it
we'll
looks
save
like
it
they've
for a
got the
big
budget
blockbuster
this time,
movie.
though.
For sure,
You're
yeah. It looks
hoping so.
glossy.
They got
and high production
Netflix money.
values. Yes,
Guys, you've seen...
Sorry, no, it's not.
It's
It's
HBO or
CBS?
You've
CBS?
seen
Yeah, I
a
think so.
trailer. We're not... How many,
No,
how many
the
episodes?
warning signs are all out right now.
Yeah,
There has been a premiere screening of the first 2 episodes, but all the critics
Yeah.
had to sign waivers to say they will not release comments until after the first episode is aired.
Oh, that's not good.
There are no other trailers
I didn't
come
know
out.
that. That's
Exactly.
interesting.
Everything is curtains down right now until it comes out.
That's not good.
Now, the thing is for Star Trek as well to come out at this time, beyond syndicated TV, you know, this is a new era the Star Trek's coming out into.
I know,
where
but
Do
we
you
have
not think it's a
streaming
good time for it
services.
to come out, though? That's the point.
Yeah,
I think it's a
no,
good time for it
definitely.
to do
I'm
it.
really excited about it
I'm-
because they are doing Star Trek different. This is unlike any of the other Star Trek shows, and that's because TV has also changed so much
Agreed.
Yeah.
since Enterprise. And the thing that killed Voyager for me, and is
Was
the
them
fact
getting
that
home.
no, is the fact that
Spoilers.
horrific things would happen
Yeah.
in that show, and and when the credits roll. In the very next episode, there's no impact.
Exactly.
It's
That's what
like
I'm saying.
nothing
There's
happened last week.
There's no edginess like
That's a-
Battlestar Galactica.
Do you know what?
If
I've
they-
never thought of it that way, but you're
there-
absolutely right.
It was
Same with
Deep
Ronald
Space
D.
Nine, same
Moore
with Next
was
Generation.
there, and with Deep Space Nine evolved, they brought in Ronald D. Moore, who went on to do the reboot Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
And there was like 3 seasons in Deep Space Nine which told the Dominion War.
Yes.
Impacted on episode, and that for me elevated Deep Space Nine because I was like, things impact on the next episode.
Yeah.
Voyager couldn't do that. There was literally, they planned a season called The Year of Hell.
Yes.
That got condensed down into a 2-parter where Voyager was getting bombarded, hull plating was removed.
Oh, I remember that.
Weapons were
Yeah,
down.
dude.
That was
Janeway
supposed to
was the
go.
bad guy.
That was supposed
Yeah.
to go the whole season of the
would've been
ship getting
amazing.
more and more banged up and them not getting a chance to do repairs. But then the thing is, after the Year of Hell, when you saw the ship in that state, in the next episode, the next week, that ship looked like it just left dry dock.
Yes.
And you're like, what is going on?
And
it
that's
just
what
killed it.
and that's what I'm worried about because
No, this new Star Trek, they've said from the get-go, every episode builds into the next one. This is serialized Star Trek. This is something different.
yeah, you hope.
No, the writers have said it from the get. That is the plan. That's
okay,
in it.
okay,
All the
okay,
episodes
okay,
are
okay,
done.
okay,
then
but
you
it's all
hope
done.
that it goes further than one season.
No, but all right. We'll put it this way. That's you raised a really interesting point. Is like you've got all that insider knowledge and everything like that,
Yeah.
but it's kind of like you said, you hope is like. Don't you think that? I mean, that's all pretty basic stuff, isn't it? You're absolutely right to say that. Why wouldn't you just continue on from the last episode? That's what everyone does now. So
Yeah.
you got to put a
Because-
little bit of faith in the studio to say like, well,
Yeah.
they'd learn from those mistakes.
I'm not,
you know,
I'm
it's
not,
like you
I'm
know.
not denying that, but it always happens because when it comes out, fans go, "Ah, it's not Star Trek."
Really?
No, dude. No.
Because that's what the fans are used to. Like you said, if you get a bunch of characters in the first episode and you're like, oh man, that's really good. And then in the second episode, the one character you've been following dies off like it's fucking Game of Thrones.
Dude, if I'd have told you at the time when
You
they
were like,
fucking brought out the animated series of like Star Wars and all those different iterations that they'd be a success, you'd probably be like, no, they won't. But they fucking were, like Clone Wars and shit.
No,
you know?
I always knew Star Wars would, because Star Wars has that edginess. It's had it since Empire Strikes Back.
I will
Star
draw your
Trek-
attention to the prequels.
I'll also just go, Wrath of Khan, just
Right?
That's
Fucking
that
Wrath of
has
Khan is still the most
much-
badass
really?
fucking movies
Star
ever
Wars
made.
movies.
Oh yeah, Wrath of Khan's amazing. What did they do in the next movie? Oh, that's right. They brought Spock back to life.
Rule of fucking odd
odd-numbered
numbers,
ones,
dude.
yeah.
Odd numbers ones are shit. You don't fucking count the odd numbers ones.
That's what I'm saying. Hopefully the series does well. It lasts longer than one season. It doesn't get tied down by the studio. It doesn't get demolished by the fans. It comes across so well acted that you get behind the characters and you feel sad that they die. And the special effects hold up enough that you want to travel the universe.
Well,
But
the premise for it...
I'm a realist. And
Okay.
in my experience, I'll be surprised if it lasts past season 1.
There's always the Orville.
What, with fucking...
Seth MacFarlane, right?
Fucking fuck his face from fucking Million Ways to fucking Die in the fucking West.
Fuck
that
yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
Fuck that guy. Fuck that guy.
To be fair, I've not watched it yet. I mean, I watched the trailer and I was like, oh, that's funny.
That's
They're taking off
probably
Star
it.
Trek.
All you need to see is trailers.
I did.
You don't need
A
to see
buddy
the
of mine in
films.
work, he's a massive Star Trek fan, and he watched the Orville. And I said to him, I said, look, my entire concern, as ever, is just like, are all the funniest jokes in the trailer? Because I didn't really laugh during the trailer.
Yeah.
And he was like, the first episode, yeah, but then the second episode is a little bit better, and it's like maybe they find their chops and they go on. So, I mean, who knows? It's
Fuck
like,
that guy.
dude, Family Guy is really funny though.
Fuck that guy.
Family Guy is funny.
Fuck
Man.
that guy.
I'm with you on this one, Ian. Although occasionally, like once in a blue moon, I'll watch some Family Guy. But I need to catch up with South Park.
That time when he pooed in the hat in Million Ways to Die in the West was funny.
Really?
Yeah.
You're
my
on with that
no,
one.
dude, my favorite bit.
You're on
My
with
favorite
that
bit in
one.
Million Ways to Die in the West was Ralph Garman, where he plays the cowboy in the back, and he's like, they're doing that bet, and he pulls out the dollar bill, and it's a big
Yeah, but
deal, and he's like, take your fucking hat off, boy, that's a dollar bill.
You've only watched the trailer.
No, I've seen the movie Million Ways to Die in the West.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's still shit. Next question.
Next question is from Jake Sutcliffe.
What up?
Hey, Jake.
Brilliant as always. My question for the next podcast is for Gary. And the question is, if you could drop either the Book of the Dead or the Lament configuration into Hawaii 5-0, which would it be?
Who's this question from again?
Jake Sutcliffe.
Fuck you, Jake.
Jake, I think, is the one who's been asking for us to do American Psycho for a while. I think I might
Well,
bump this up
yeah.
the list a little bit now.
I'm a
that,
big
yes,
fan of
was a
Jake right
sensible
now.
question.
Yeah, dude. I think Jake knows where it's at.
Go on then,
But the
Gary.
thing
He has got your number.
But the thing is, I got an ultimatum because I was like, no, this is a trick question, because if I put either of those items into that show, I'd have to watch it.
Yeah.
And I bet you,
So I was like,
I bet
no.
money on it, McGarrett would still defeat the Cenobites and the Army of the Dead by jumping on them and shooting them all up.
So if I had to choose, I'd put the Lament configuration in there, because I'm like, no, you're not beating the
Change the
Cenobites.
catchphrase. He's like, it's a book, Dano.
Yeah, it's a book, Dano. Book it, Dano.
Next question's from Will Schwarting.
Hey, Will Schwarting.
If you could watch only one movie or TV genre for the rest of your life, what would it be? Thanks for being awesome, fellas. My answer is it's like, horror and sci-fi are my go-to. And, like, horror sci-fi, like Life. You know,
Yeah.
it's a horror movie, but it's a sci-fi movie. Like Alien, it's a horror movie, but it's a sci-fi movie. It's like, it's hard
Okay.
to go and define.
See, I was going to go with the same thing. For me, it would be The Thing. If somebody said you can only watch one movie for the rest of your life, it would be The Thing.
So
I've always had this dream
It is
of...
sci-fi horror, though, right?
Yeah, I've always had this dream of buying an abandoned weather station in the Arctic, moving up there, and having only one film.
Have you told your wife about this dream?
Yeah, she won't move.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was to buy a lighthouse and sit in there and watch the fog.
Yeah, it's that as well. It's also to buy a cabin and only watch Evil Dead out there as well.
These aren't dreams. These are like excursions.
But TV series...
So your horror same as well.
TV series,
Yeah.
it'd be Raw.
Yeah.
Wrestling.
Oh, dude.
Wars,
wrestling is a
wars,
genre.
war, I'd
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
that
yeah,
for the
totally.
rest
Yeah,
of my
that'd
life.
be it. That'd be it. Yeah.
It'd be-
I don't know if I could pick one movie to watch over and over.
We're not
again,
one
like,
movie, just one genre.
Genre. I don't know,
It doesn't
man.
have to be
Like,
one film.
I don't know. It's hard to pick. Like, I wouldn't even say horror. Probably. Do you know what? I'd just say comedy
Yeah.
because at least I could just laugh.
Adam
For
Sandler
sure,
movies.
yeah.
Yeah, dude. Adam Sandler movies.
Adam
No,
Sandler.
no,
Adam Sandler.
I
Well,
would
at
just-
least
just
in
all
comedies,
comedies.
they'll be parodying all those other films.
Yeah, yeah. You'll get. I mean, you can watch Scary Movie and get the gist of about 18 different horror movies.
Yeah,
Sort of.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Next question's from DMC Campbell.
Hey, DMC Campbell.
It says, hi Gary, Ian and Andy. Just wanted your thoughts on the rumours flying around about a script for Gremlins 3 being completed. That it could be curtains for the furry little Mogwai Gizmo. What direction
Finally.
would you like the story to go in for part 3? I liked the original but didn't think much of the sequel. Maybe a prequel idea of how the elderly Chinese man in the antique shop first encountered the Mogwai in his younger years and how the creature was born or made, having the opening music to the film being Do You Hear What I Hear?
Nice.
Now, I at first I was just like, Gremlins was a perfect blend. It's one of my favourite Christmas movies.
Great
Yes.
movie.
And so I was like, if I put myself in the creative shoes of someone who, in the next 3 minutes, needs to formulate a bullet point sort of plan for a Gremlins film.
Yeah.
You
And
need
so
to
first thing that came to my mind was location. First one, small town. Second one, skyscraper. I was like, where would you go? Where
The
would
moon.
Gremlins be? No, you went to the moon. I went NASA. I was like, Gremlins at fucking NASA.
Yeah.
I was just like, what? I'm like, but Gremlins in space? I was like, no, like that's just a bad.
No, you just want to go. You want to go small town again. You want to bring in. You want to bring in kind of child actors. Like at the moment, you got the big thing with It and Stranger Things. You know,
I just put them into
You know,
Stranger Things.
and you have the focus on the creature. It's the failing of the fucking Alien franchise. You know, have the focus on the Gremlins. You don't have to have Gizmo. You can just have a nameless Mogwai that does turn into the Gremlin.
You gotta have a
no, you don't, because you've already got it already set
Well,
in
that's
Gremlins
the
1 and
story.
2.
Some of the other
Gizmo.
questions that I wrote down was, is Billy still the full-grown
No,
nerd?
no.
Or is he now going around the world fighting
Is he
gremlins?
like a badass
Is he a gremlin
fucking
hunter?
scar down his face?
Exactly. Is
Maybe a
Gizmo still
cameo.
alive after 30 years? How long did the Mogwai live
Do you know
for?
the one thing I'd insist on? If I was like bankrolling this and I had the power to go like, he has to do this,
Yeah.
you know? I'd be like, you have to feed Gizmo after midnight. I want to see what
exactly.
Gizmo turns into.
Exactly.
Like a good version of a gremlin.
You have a good Mogwai.
I wanna see
and
that.
then he breaks the rules.
Zach Galligan
Zach
has had actually penned a couple of ideas for a Gremlins 3 himself, and he said that what's interesting is that you don't know the full life cycle of a gremlin because all the gremlins that have appeared in the films have been killed within 24 hours.
Yeah.
He has 2 possible ideas as to what would happen. Is that the gremlins over time will mutate and form into bigger, more horrific monsters. And after more time, the gremlins kind of Voltron-style merge into a Godzilla-style fucking giant gremlin.
I'm down with
you're
that.
getting silly.
I'm
No,
down with
these
that.
are the ideas that he's put forward.
I'll
But
get
he
that.
also has the idea that the gremlin is not the final evolution, and that once the gremlin's completed its life cycle,
It's
it
not even
turns
its final
into a Mogwai.
Yeah.
It turns
Yeah, that's
into
what I
an
was just
innocent,
thinking.
cute creature.
That's
But you
what I'm
have to go
saying.
through the horror of spawning gremlins to get to the Mogwai,
Mogwai,
stage. And
But a lot of
So
those
it'd be what the
ideas-
prequel would be all Gizmo's horrific acts to like,
Right.
Yes.
to go full Voltron.
Voltron.
Yeah. To go full Voltron. Yeah. They defeat this thing right at the end, and you're left with Gizmo, which would then lead into Gremlins 1. So
But okay, so that would have prequel. But
Sounds
again,
like
as
The
you do
Thing
as a sequel,
2006 all over
it's
again.
I don't want to even say remake. I would just say, just have it again. You'd have this creature found, a Mogwai. You'd have it fed after midnight. You think it's all cute, it's all lovely. Oh, just like Gizmo. Remember Gizmo? Oh my fucking god! What the fuck is that thing turned into? Oh my god, it's mutating even more. Think realistically as well. Special effects. We all love the practical effects of the other movies.
Yeah,
they've
hinted that it's going to be puppetry.
It's all puppetry. It's all puppetry now
Calm down,
because
man.
obviously they're going to make more, and then they have to be destroyed within 24 hours. Why? Because if these things get out it's fucking end of
It
days.
depends
for the rest
You,
on
of
the
you could have
scale
like
you
the
want it to
credits
go
is
at.
the same as like Planet of the Apes, where you have like the fucking Mogwais traveling all around the world.
Yeah.
The thing is though, is like if you're gonna do it with practical effects, actually, it's sort of like, why not just fucking remake the first one in a way? It's sort of like, give us a fucking nostalgia.
go
Now,
trip.
there's one
No,
other
just give us a
angle
fucking
that's the
nostalgia
curiosity is that we've only ever seen Gizmo and some gremlins mixed with water. Now I can't remember if the old Chinese man says that it's liquid, and what would happen if
Pour
if
like
they-
Red Bull all over it.
Yeah,
Like,
see, what would
get
happen
some
with
manic
different
fucking-
chemicals,
No,
different liquids?
Yeah, it just says they'll never get it wet.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't-
So
don't ever get
what
it-
other
don't
water
ever get it wet.
substance could,
Gizmo
or
watching
liquid
porn
could turn
and-
into different types of gremlin?
You've got to limit it, Gary. Okay, you know.
But I'm just saying you need to explore
you've
more
got to
ideas.
you've got to limit it
So-
because we will get a film where somebody drops a Coke can on a gremlin or allows it to drink. You know,
Well, the
just
thing
let
is,
it
in
drink
Gremlins
Coke,
2, a lot of
you
them
know.
drank and ate different things and mutated accordingly.
Yeah,
I know they
did.
were in a science
They did,
laboratory,
but then at the same time, some of them they were drinking beer. They weren't mutating that much because
They were getting pissed. They were gremlins.
Yeah, all right. Sorry, you just cut it in half because basically, the whole fucking scene is them drinking beer. Not
Yeah.
once did they spit out another fucking gremlin.
That's true, yeah.
But limited
So
by
actually,
budget,
it's obviously
maybe
like
they.
no,
maybe
but
they
that's
weren't.
the point. Is
Yeah.
that is well, then it's water.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's water,
water,
and beer,
beer,
and
yeah,
fucking-
yeah.
It's all crazy.
especially by
It's
state
all
of it in
crazy.
that bar.
Yeah.
Probably more water than beer. Right.
So the next question comes from the user with no name.
Hey, user with no name.
Is he like the guy, like Vacant, who's got the most WWE title reigns? Like Vacant title holder. Vacant's had more titles than anyone else in WWE.
Yes.
There you go. He's had more comments than anyone else.
Question for the next podcast.
Right.
What is your favourite Sam Peckinpah movie? And please review Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid.
Nice, good choice. Favorite Sam Peckinpah movie has to be The Wild Bunch.
The Wild Bunch.
I mean,
right.
don't get me wrong. I like Straw Dogs, but there's just one scene which pushes the boundary, shall we say?
I know which scene I think you're talking about. Is it the rape scene?
Yes.
Now,
yeah.
when I was doing film studies, one of the first banned films that we talked about was Straw Dogs.
Yeah, Dustin
and
Hoffman.
And basically,
Set in Cornwall.
and it was obviously the rape scene, and apparently, like Sam Peckinpah said, a third of the audiences for every screening walked out of the film at the time because it was so horrific in 1971.
It's not the fact that it's horrific. Well, it is horrific for me. It's the fact for me, she halfway through starts to enjoy it, and then obviously everything that happens towards the end of the movie, I'm just like, it's
Takes you out.
yeah, because I want to hate these guys, but
she did encourage partially, but they did force it, and it's
Yeah.
very very taboo.
Edgy. It's very taboo.
Yeah,
that's why I'm just like, nah, don't like it.
But it was a
Wild Bunch,
fascinating. It
I'll
was a
go with the Wild
fascinating
Bunch.
thing to I think it was like 17, just discovering this film and its its history
Yeah.
and what went on with it and how challenging it was and the difficulties in getting it past censors and like the whole rape scene just being removed entirely from screenings of the film because it was.
What is it that you love so much about Convoy? Because I keep seeing it on
my
TV,
answer is
and
Convoy. You know,
yeah.
when I saw that question, I was just like, and then I went to YouTube and just went Convoy play and just listened to the song. I was just like, yes, just absolutely. 1978 with Chris Christopherson. It's got bar fights. It's got road rage. It's anti-authority. This film was a hit in the Soviet Union at the time because it showed a working class rebellion against the corrupt government.
Nice.
Whereas that's still not true today. The spirit of it is just
Timeless.
just timeless and brilliant. I still love the film. I haven't watched it in a while now, but
that's it. I keep seeing it on TV, and I'm like, I need to watch it. I've never seen it.
I think it's
Never sat down
interesting
and watched it all the
that
way
Sam Peckinpah is known for
Years
being
ago I watched it. I can't remember
unwell
much about it.
on a lot of his shoots.
Right.
And at the
Ate in his
time,
cornflakes.
of making Convoy, he was on heavy amounts of cocaine, quaaludes, vitamin shots that left him both irritable and irrational.
That's a sign of the times when you use the word
Quaaludes.
quaaludes.
Right. Sam Peckinpah was off his face on whatever he could get. There was points where he went out binge drinking all night and ended up in hospital with pneumonia. And, and he had to promise the studios he could return to work if he promised to go sober until the shoot was over.
Wow.
Sam Peckinpah was a bit of a wreck. But,
Man, you gotta love fucking Hollywood. I could not spin that deal with my boss.
No.
Like, look, now and again, I may come in fucked up on lewds, but I promise I'll do a bit of overtime.
At one
They'd be
point
like,
during
"Ah."
the production of Convoy, he called his nephew David Peckinpah from the set ranting that Steve McQueen and the executive car leasing company were conspiring to kill him.
Nice.
Oh, fly on the wall. I'd
Yeah.
love it.
Exactly. So it's fascinating. And Convoy is the highest grossing film of Sam Peckinpah's career. Of course, it was a big departure because he did a lot of westerns.
Yeah, like I said, the Wild Bunch, that final action sequence of the Wild Bunch. The beginning action sequence with the post office robbery.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
know, all the way to the end with the big shootout, the big fucking minigun. So many squibs all over the place. So many people getting shot. It's one of the greatest westerns. One of the greatest westerns ever made.
For
Yeah,
sure.
agreed,
For
yeah.
sure. Okay, next question is from Craig Hall.
Hey, Craig.
What's up, Craig?
I am, like yourselves, a big fan of several movie franchises that have had some extremely shoddy releases these past few years.
Yeah.
Alien Covenant was garbage. RoboCop had an extremely boring remake, though
Yeah.
stellar cast.
Yeah.
Didn't watch it.
Yeah.
Terminator has been up and down since the brilliance of T2, and don't get me fucking started on the AVP series. With the forthcoming Blade Runner sequel and the Predator due out soon,
Yeah.
do you think it's still relevant making more episodes of these franchises?
Yes.
Or should we just give them an Expendable style send off, throw them all in the same movie, kill each other, and just draw a line under it?
Okay, that idea I like.
No, you have.
But dude, Blade Runner does look good from the trailer. It looks good.
You have to keep bringing these films out, and why? Because you get to go back and watch these other ones without remakes, prequels, reboots, and all those kind of things. People would never go back and watch older school movies. And for example, we don't. The three of us sat here. We won't go back and watch a movie from the 60s or 70s that we've never heard of because it hasn't had a reboot or remake. We will only do it when that happens.
Yeah, that's fair.
Or it's a favourite.
Or
of
you
ours.
discover it when you're looking for an actor that you've discovered, or a director,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
a
yeah.
producer,
And then
or a
you'll-
musician.
You sit there and you watch this old school movie and you go, that should get a remake. You know?
Well, that is the mentality of Hollywood.
It-
Absolutely.
It's,
Sure.
it's,
Oh
the,
my
it's
God,
the crazy mentality. But like I said, take example Blade Runner. Blade Runner will come out, Ridley Scott is...
A film I never thought would get
Ridley
a sequel.
Scott's
No,
built
absolutely
himself a
not.
bit of a background now with his movies, so it's touch and go if it's going to be great and groundbreaking.
Yeah.
20 quid bet. It's not as good as the original.
Well, it's,
Well,
not,
I
it's
mean,
just
come
not
on,
going to
man.
be.
It's
It
like,
just
you
can't
can't
be.
Capture that.
You can't, but you need it. Because kids nowadays, look how old we are. Kids nowadays, you say to them, greatest movie ever made, Blade Runner. They're like, what?
2049?
Where?
Yeah,
where
right.
from?
Yeah, man, fucking Ryan Gosling's
Oh,
the
Ryan
truth.
Gosling's amazing. Yeah, but you've got to go back and watch this one to understand the elements leading up
It's
to that.
slow and boring. But my answer to this is that humans have been telling stories
Fucking sounds like a
through
replicant,
generation
dude.
after generation
Very
after
true.
generation,
Yes.
and great stories will be told again and again and again, and you're never going to stop that. It's this current wave of remakes and reboots. It's reinterpretations of stories, and we've been telling stories since we could speak and language, and so
Dude, even the Bible got the New Testament. I mean, fuck.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So
remake.
it's
Got remake.
it's it's I wouldn't ever draw a line under a great story if
No.
there's room for good interpretation or reimagining. Granted, a lot of them are shit or not what we wanted, and a part of it is the fact that a lot of those films we kind of have personal ownership
Yeah,
over.
we're looking through a filter, aren't we?
Exactly.
I mean,
yes.
look at how much kids love the Transformers franchise.
Right. Yeah.
My
And
kid, my
it's-
kid loves Transformers franchise because
Yeah.
she'll be like, the bots are punching each
Yeah.
other. And
Yeah.
I've got all the original series on DVD, and I'll be like, sit down and watch the death of Optimus Prime with me. Like, God damn it! But
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it's kind of like, well, it's not her fault because this is the only Transformers she's ever known
Yeah.
in a sense, and
Yeah.
Same with X-Men and everything like that. She
A part
watches
of
that,
it
and
we
I'm like,
just-
I got all the old cartoons here. She's like, it's fine, I need to watch that.
Yeah,
I've got it here.
I just want to watch this.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of the level of acceptance.
Ninja
the
fucking
several
Turtles.
stages of what you go
Ninja Turtles
through.
is good.
Shut
Oh,
up.
God.
Get the fuck
I'm going to go on
out.
to the next question. It's from Aaron Gardner.
Hey, Aaron.
What's up, Aaron?
Hey guys, loving the podcast and reviews really helps me through my work week.
Yeah.
After the furore of the Ghostbusters reboot and others like it, you each get to pick one film that can't be touched. They gotta leave it the fuck alone. Before Tony Scott tragically committed suicide, there were talks of him helming a Warriors remake.
Oh.
Makes me almost glad he
Yeesh.
died before they fucked that up.
Harsh.
It's
no,
quite
I'm going to let him
harsh,
have
but
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
true because Warriors hasn't been retouched. Well, actually, it was because they graphic novelized it, didn't they?
But
For
this-
its re-release.
This counters our last question because it's like we said, it's all right for kids nowadays to watch the original Warriors, but there will be a point where we will need to remake it.
No, but okay,
To
so
show
selfish
it
reasons
back.
then. We're saying selfish reasons, we're like, I love this movie and I don't want to see someone
Yeah,
fuck it
the
up.
thing.
Yes.
We can argue.
John
well,
Carpenter's
there you
I'm
go.
sorry, it already was the prequel that fucked it.
Well, yeah, that was a remake, wasn't it?
It's
Yeah.
a prequel.
Yeah, but
not a
your
remake.
one film. Yeah, it doesn't. It was.
We're
it was
saying
a
leave
continuation.
leave
Yeah,
that
the
IP
original
alone.
alone.
Right? Yeah.
But they didn't. No, they
I'm
already
saying,
fucked it.
No. That's a prequel.
No.
That's a prequel.
Okay, and I'm
It's
going to let you. I'm
it's a
going to let you.
prequel
I'm
to the
not going
thing.
to argue this
What
one
we're
with you.
saying, no, what we're saying, a film that cannot be remade, right? It cannot have somebody playing the same character that you have already seen. Yes.
Okay.
The same named character, the same concept, the same group. Evil Dead, The Evil Dead, and Evil Dead. It's a remake
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
a group of
yeah,
people
yeah.
go to a cabin. The Thing is a prequel because it's telling the other story, the story that we didn't know in John Carpenter's. Right. So don't remake John Carpenter's. Don't get another person in called McCready. Don't get
Okay,
another
well,
people
I'm
in.
I'm gonna say mine then.
Okay.
To say absolutely one, don't remake it.
Yeah.
Certainly don't do a prequel to it or anything like
Right.
that. 7.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
fucking see John Doe growing up. I don't
Yeah,
want to
the-
see
the origin
fucking-
of
the
his
origin of
sickness.
John
fucking.
Doe.
Of him seeing all of these.
I don't want to see
things.
Brad Pitt's character. I lost his fucking name. Fucking
Somerset.
deal with
No,
it.
that was
fucking
Yeah.
afterwards
What's
and
in the
everything
box?
like,
Well, we
you know.
already know what's in the fucking
Yeah,
box. We know what's in the
that's a
box.
fucking great movie that never needs to be fucking redone.
Yeah,
or
the
anything like that.
Fight Club as well.
Fight
it
Club
doesn't
is
need
my
to be
favourite
remade
movie,
either.
and that
Yeah.
don't need to be remade either. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put down a couple. Stand By Me from 1986.
What a fucking.
There's been lots of Stand By Me. Lots
Oh,
of films
it's,
that you
oh,
go,
it's
that's very
inspired,
Stand By
hasn't
Me.
it? It's
Yeah, yeah.
inspired a
Yeah.
lot of movies, definitely.
But yeah, I wouldn't ever remake it or sequelize it or anything like that. It's just
Well, the sequel would be one of them gets stabbed, if I remember the final lead out from like the movie.
Yeah,
he talks
yeah,
about one
he
of them
talks
got
about
fucking
what happened
stabbed,
to
didn't he? So
Yeah.
it's like,
You say
spoilers,
that,
you're
you
gonna
say
die.
that, and after the success of it,
yeah,
they'll be able to do it.
Well,
You won't want it, but it will come out and it will work. Next one. The remake?
Leon from 1994.
Oh,
Don't ever remake,
Leon's a
reboot,
beautiful movie.
sequelize.
Let's not see the girl grow up
Leon's
to be
a
a fucking
beautiful
cleaner.
movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but doesn't like without being funny is like that as a pitch is like almost you can see someone like that's fucking
a
genius.
sequel to
What an
Leon.
easy
Yeah.
fucking sequel to
Yeah,
write.
but
She grows up and takes the things that
takes
she
a small
learned
boy
in
under her wing.
3 fucking
Yeah.
days that she was with him.
Right.
I mean, they did technically remake it with not
Nikita
Single
or
Way from
whatever?
Assassin with Bridget Nielsen.
Yeah.
Became a female assassin.
Two more that I wrote down was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Of course.
Nice.
Still,
Yeah,
Nintendo.
But again, you can see that being remade, can't
yeah,
you?
yeah, you can see it being
Just
modernized.
because all you need is just going. Let's
Oh, wait
just
a
get
minute.
a different cast that we think can play those characters.
Yeah.
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 Back to the Future, 1985.
Yeah, don't fuck.
Yeah,
with
Don't
it.
fuck with
fuck with
that.
it. Don't fuck with
Don't
it.
fuck with that.
Next question is
Jules.
from... Well, they already got
They-
ruined with
they
its
try
sequels
and
and
yeah.
any. We're at Sharknado 7 now, are we?
No, it's 6. It'll be
6.
next
We're getting there.
Yeah, so I was going 7 is being made this weekend, I think. Start to finish.
Next question is from William Lowry.
Hey, William.
William.
Question 1. You find yourself on a desert island where what three things that you want to have while you're stuck there? My first response was I want solar panels, large TV, and internet. I'm sorted. I can watch films. I'm sorted. Play games. And then my mind went, actually, he didn't say 3 items. He said 3 things.
Yeah.
Boat, food, GPS.
Yeah.
So I can get off the fucking island.
Right. But then I was like, yeah, my mind went to a dirty place.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll take Jessica Alba
Nice.
and some sun cream.
Yeah.
Don't need the third
I
item.
don't need anything else. Yeah.
A towel.
Maybe a towel.
A towel to wipe up after.
Working
Sorry, my mind did go
You know,
there.
responsibly, I would go my wife, my son, and...
You're a terrible fucking husband and parent. Why would you want to subject them to the fucking island, dude?
Yeah, why are you dragging them in it with you?
Zombie,
Yeah.
zombie apocalypse. Yeah, zombie apocalypse. Yeah, my wife.
We're gonna have like a mini one on the island.
Is this a prequel?
My wife, my son, and a replicator from Star Trek.
Replicator.
And if I wasn't being responsible, I would have Snoop Dogg, his mobile phone, right, and a flare gun just so that shit can find us.
Why his mobile phone?
Well, because he's got connections, doesn't he?
Please drink it, please.
Oh my god.
Me and Snoop Dogg are on a beach, and he's like, "Man, I'm bored."
Snoop's on the island, like, dude, you got your phone, right?
He's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna
Call Dre.
I'm just gonna call up Dre, and just fucking boats full of
Andy,
bitches."
you got some items you'd like with you on the desert island?
Fuck, I don't know if I can top Snoop Dogg on his phone. Dude. Like,
Yeah, we're gonna move on.
I don't know. Yeah.
Second question is, what do you think can be done to fix the Alien series after the likes of Prometheus and Covenant? And my
Stop.
answer is you can't. It's fun.
No,
Stop.
you can.
No.
You take it away from Ridley Scott.
Yeah, my answer is go back.
You take it away from Ridley
Stop.
Scott.
Alternate timeline.
And
New
you
Alien 3.
give it to a new director. I read this question and that was my answer. And the reason being is the success, partial success sometimes, of the Alien franchise is the fact that it has had a different director each time. Say what you want about the films. You have your favourites, but we've had 4 directors with 4 different views on the Alien universe, and they were still better than Ridley Scott's view on it. His
post-Alien.
Post-Alien. His singular view of what he wants us to see. We were all mad excited about Neil Blomkamp getting it. He should have got it. He should have gone with it. And if he fucked up, then you gave it to somebody else and somebody else. To keep the franchise alive, to keep the films coming in, to keep people interested in the history of the Xenomorph and the universe that it's in, because you gave it to the same guy twice, and it didn't work.
No,
I'm not gonna bash Alien Covenant again.
We will do soon.
We'll save that for the actual review, but
spoilers, it will not be a positive review.
Well, they know that
it had its points, and they don't go back to the original series.
Yeah,
or if they do, it doesn't work, and you don't like it.
Yeah. So my answer is you can't. It needs to be retconned or changed. Last part of the question, and so I'm also going to introduce Jack Hawkins, who also has the same question.
Hey Jack,
what do you think of the new Predator film being directed by Shane Black? Will it be any good? Stay awesome.
It's got to be an 18.
It is. They've already said it's a hard R. I only just found out today, actually.
Yeah,
it's an urban setting.
Cool.
Yeah, which I think it would
call
be.
Me out. Shane Black. Other movies that he's
Predator.
He was an
actor
in Predator.
He was Poncho in Predator.
Oh shit!
He also wrote Iron Man 3, Lethal Weapon.
Iron Man 3, that's where I know it from. Yeah.
He's a great writer and he's an interesting director, and he has said, look, I was there for the first Predator. I watched what happened.
He knows
the Predator, and I have faith in his writing that it's going to give you characters that you care about, unlike Predators.
But if, like you said with Ridley Scott, if he fucks it up, he'll be told about it, and they'll have to reboot the franchise. Yeah. If he doesn't, if he knocks out of the park, like you said, urban setting, Predator jumping around.
I'll be doing concrete jungle,
decapitating people and fucking spearing them with extraterrestrial technology, and then the thing reveals itself, and you're like, that's looking badass. I'm worried though because I've seen the poster and it's got a kid in it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it works.
If that works on an Aliens perspective, the kid is pretty much a new character. That could work.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm worried that I'm going to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours of the movie worrying that this kid's going to die, knowing full well he's not.
Well, maybe they go back to one of the novels where they did take a child that was fucking raised by the Predators to be a hunter and stuff. So, like, maybe that kid's fucking going with them at the end of the movie or something.
Maybe, yeah. All right, next question is from Brammer Jesper Rasmussen.
Hey, Brammer Jesper Rasputin.
What's up, dude?
And he says, rest in peace, Bobby, the greatest manager ever.
Yes.
I have some questions. Right. How about a top 5 Bruce Campbell films?
Army of Darkness, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3, and...
That wasn't in order, right?
Right.
What's it? Fucking Waxwork Part 2.
But Waxwork Part 2 is one of my favourite appearances. He has like a 15-minute cameo in the film.
Bubba Hotep.
Bubba Hotep.
Bubba Hotep. Yeah, sorry. I'll take out Spider-Man 3 and put Bubba Hotep.
I'd take out all the Spider-Man.
I was going to say, what can I do to get you to fucking take out the
I'd watch any of his other B movies.
Okay,
the man with the
fucking Escape from LA.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Escape from LA.
Yeah.
Man with the Screaming Brain.
Yeah.
Fucking so many.
When he was in Xena,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
fuck.
you could,
Dude, I love Bubba Hotep. I
Yeah,
haven't
I
watched
love
that
that
in ages.
so
What a
good.
fucking
Fucking
movie.
hell,
My name is
Yeah.
Bruce.
Yeah.
I'm
Mine
in
was Bruce.
darkness.
Yeah,
My
great
name is
one,
Bruce. Bubba Hotep.
Man with the Screaming Brain.
Man with the Screaming Brain.
And all the Evil Dead films.
And all the Evil Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it any good? Yep. Answered that one already. How would you save Hellraiser?
You stop.
I know the answer to that one. Get Clive Barker, get Doug Bradley, do Pinhead in Hell, give us more lore, give us bondage, give us blood,
Yes.
give us a resolution to
Sorry, put your clothes
Frank,
back on.
Kirsty, and Uncle Frank, you know? Tie it all up. Let's see what's going on in the Pinhead Hell
Now,
universe.
that's very interesting that you
Clive
say
Barker
that.
did that in his books.
Yeah, that's very interesting to say that. Now, what is the difference between you wanting Clive Barker to come back to do that and you saying take Alien away from Ridley Scott?
Because Clive Barker's been taken away for a long time.
Do you see what I mean?
from
But in
the
that
Hell
interesting, you've got
franchise.
one
the difference-
franchise in the
Yeah.
same
I-
fucking genre,
Yeah, but the difference
arguably,
is-
Yeah,
where we've
horror,
had the
yeah.
fucking, you know, the original guy come back to it and we're all
We're
regretting it.
No,
And
but
now we've
yeah.
got the other side of it where we're like, can we please get the old man
Because
back,
Well, it's
Clive-
like getting John
you know?
Carpenter back to
Because
Halloween.
Clive,
you know?
yeah,
Granted.
because Clive
Yeah.
Barker is a writer,
Yeah.
right? And he wrote the stories. He's not a director. He hasn't made shitloads of films.
No, he hasn't.
You know, every time he tries to, the studios come along, they fuck him over. With Ridley Scott, he's got such a presence in cinema.
He's got name. You can put his name on the poster above the fucking
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
and
and it
you
sells.
get,
Yes,
like,
and
yeah.
it sells. The company, the
Scorsese fucking
the
value,
film
hasn't it?
productions
Like,
just
yeah.
throw money at him. Clive Barker
Yeah.
But
walks in
Ridley
with a
Scott
script.
is a great visionary. He has visually
Yeah, I'm not-
stunning films.
I'm not arguing with
Oh,
that.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
arguing with
yeah.
that. You know, some of his films
Yeah.
are great, but you know, Covenant was shit.
Yeah, it was.
Clive Barker
Yeah.
walks into a studio, says, "I've got a new Hellraiser movie," and they just shun him.
Well, they
wonder-
just
I
won't
wonder
give him
if
the
it's
budget. I
like,
mean, I don't think they
same
have the
with
studio
George A.
has any
Romero.
support.
I wonder
in
if
the
it's more like
franchise.
Ridley Scott will kind of go like, okay, well, there's the script. I need to pull that out into my world to sort of like show you it on the screen. Whereas Clive Barker is more about the actual story and the
Yeah,
script
yeah.
and go
Pulling
like,
people
no,
into
let's
the story.
fucking make it on the page. Look how it should do in the movie, and then we can just shoot it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And at the same time, what stops him as well is when he starts talking about using whips and chains and fucking leather bondage on people with no faces. You know, film execs go,
Yeah. No. Next part of his question is the top 5 of slasher monsters, Freddy, Jason, etc. Your kind regards from your biggest fan in Denmark. And I wrote down my top 5, and I got number 5 is Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Number 4 is the Ghostface Killer from Scream.
Yeah.
Dude,
I
good
like the
fucking
whole
slasher, dude. Yeah,
he's a great
Fuck
slasher.
yeah.
I love the phone calls. What's your favourite scary movie? I
Don't
love
get me
the...
wrong. Some of the films are really great, but Michael Myers is Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Jason is Jason.
Yeah.
Freddy is Freddy. Chucky is Chucky.
Yeah.
And fucking the Creeper is Creeper.
I know what you're saying.
Ghostface Killer is a different person every time. It's
Yes.
just a mask.
But they
and a
put
suit.
on the persona of it. I know
What
that.
persona? They stick on a mask, they run around with a knife, and they keep killing everybody around Neve Campbell because they've got a problem with her. You know? No. Michael Myers is
Yeah,
called...
but sometimes it's the mother.
Michael
Yeah.
Myers is called... Michael Myers is called calculated. Jason Voorhees is an undead fucking monster. You know?
Well, yeah, but that
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily
Norman
mean that
Bates
it doesn't.
is
No, but
better.
the question is like about a good slasher character, and it's like just because, like you said, he's
Yeah.
a different person every time. The character is Ghostface.
Yeah.
It's you talking about
I argue.
that face is iconic, isn't it? That's why it's on the fucking.
It was
poster.
a number 1 Halloween
I argue.
fancy dress costume
Fuck
for years
yeah,
and years
What's
and
number
years.
3? What's the one?
Chucky,
Checking this out.
Chucky.
you
Chucky.
mentioned them all
Yeah,
already. It's Chucky
Chucky.
from Child's Play. Number 2 is Jason Voorhees, and number 1, the number 1 badass, the icon of horror for me, with the personality, is Freddy Krueger.
Of course it is.
Yeah, you go. Ghostface Killer.
Yeah, I don't put Pinhead as a slasher. He's not a slasher. He shouldn't be a slasher. He became a slasher character, but he shouldn't be.
But he's an iconic horror. He's
Fre-
more,
Freddy
he's
says
more
bitch
of
a
an
lot, I like
iconic
that.
horror character than
to
Ghostface Killer.
me, yes, yeah.
He's more
But
of an iconic
these were
character.
I was going for slasher monsters, but yeah, Creeper, yeah, definite honorable mention. Love that creature.
Yeah.
Next question's from George Lear.
Hey, George Lair.
George.
Favorite Harry Dean Stanton movies and favorite Bobby Heenan moment. Harry Dean Stanton, Alien, Kitty.
Escape from New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alien.
Brain.
Alien.
Alien,
Well,
of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby the Brain moment. I mean, I
Bobby
said about
Heenan.
like
Yeah.
Bobby
yeah,
Heenan.
Bobby the Brain moment.
Any of the moments he spent with Gorilla Monsoon, their dialogue
Yeah, there are
is just
some good
fucking
ones.
awesome. You know, the weird thing is, I didn't like him being too much in the ring.
No, I did. Because he was willing to like take a bump.
Yeah, he was willing to take a bump, but the fact that
think that's
some
actually my
of the
favourite
things that you see the wrestlers putting through, yes, some of them are fun, but then the Weasel match with the Ultimate Warrior, where the Ultimate Warrior just literally destroys him.
But that might be one of my favourite moments actually, because of
it's
the way he does it. It's like it's the Survivor Series match, isn't it? When it comes down to him and like the Brainbusters get eliminated and stuff.
Yeah, but it's you know from reading and hearing the documentaries with him that it hurt him.
I know, but
and I don't
but
I don't like that getting hurt.
Dude.
I would rather sit down and watch him sit with Gorilla Monsoon.
I'll tell you a good one I
colour
really liked
commentary.
in a match wise then. I'll give you a good one from matches when it was him and I think it might be the New Orient Express, I'm not sure.
Right.
Against the Bulldogs in a 6-man tag. Can't remember who the Bulldogs had in. But Bobby the Brain Heenan was dressed in a fucking dog attack vest because he was scared of Winston.
Yes.
Or it might have even been Matilda at the time, the British Bulldog's pet bulldog.
Yeah.
Which was hilarious because it would be like Bobby the Brain would be like, that mutt's uncontrollable. It should be put down.
And then
every time they brought it out, the dog is just licking its bollocks.
Yeah,
just sort of like
so
it's a bulldog. It's the most fucking sober dog in the world. Just kind of trundles down me and I'm like, oh, you're gonna make me walk all this fucking way again. Like, it's getting dragged down the fucking rampway because it doesn't want to walk. And it just sits there on the fucking ring steps doing nothing. Yeah. And he's like, that dog's a menace. It's like, dude, that dog's hilarious. What the fuck are you talking about? And then when they even set the fucking dog on him in the end, and he's got the attack vest, and he's selling it like a champ rolling around. The dog's just nuzzling him, and and he's like, oh, amazing! It's hard to pick him. That is someone who's like, he is a human highlight reel.
Yeah. There's new documentaries.
I was going to say documentary.
I'm gonna binge watch that.
I'm curious. I mean, I know partial history, and I know who he is and who he was, but I don't know all the ins and outs. So I'd be fascinated to actually watch a documentary on him.
You will struggle through the next 10, 20 plus years or whatever. There will always be someone who will come along who will be a great manager or a great talker. There's no way they don't say he just got the gift. An inspiration. Sort of says, my favourite guy was Bobby Heenan.
Bobby the Brain Heenan.
For sure. Last part of the question is, what are your favourite films with actors from the Alien franchise?
I saw this one.
This is the end.
Michael
Biehn in Terminator. But for the ultimate answer for this is Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton, and Jeanette Goldstein in Near Dark.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman from Hellboy. Yeah, exactly. I also one have jumped to mind. I was surprised it came out of nowhere, but it was Paul Reiser, who played Burke. I always remember him from One Night at McCool's, where he gets, I can't remember, but he gets something heavy dropped on him and he dies at the end. I think it was like a fridge or
it's a fridge or a till or something.
Something just gets dropped off a crane and he dies. But he was running around like in his pants, around his ankles. It was hilarious.
Yaphet Kotto in The Running Man or Freddy's Dead.
Yeah, right.
Harry Dean Stanton, like I said, already in fucking Escape from New York. Sigourney Weaver, taking the Sigourney Weaver out of it. Any of her fucking performances. Gorillas in the Mist, Working Girl.
I like Galaxy Quest.
Quest. Paul.
Fucking love that movie.
Yeah, Cabin in the Woods, even if she's only on the screen for like a short time.
Oh shit, she is in Cabin in the Woods.
Well,
popped up in Defenders and everything.
Any of the actors from Aliens and any of their fucking shit, it's absolutely brilliant.
For sure. Big fan of all of the cast.
Alien 3, the British
Paxton in Weird Science.
The British actors don't have much in Alien 3, but Charles Dance.
Yeah, dude, fucking plays the Doctor.
Last Action Hero.
Last Action Hero is amazing.
Remember him with the
Golden Child.
Yes, Golden Child.
Brother Numsy.
Next question is from Jason Ramos.
Hey, Jason.
What movie do you find yourself quoting the most?
A lot. The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, Army of Darkness.
For me, it's probably The Big Lebowski. I'll probably quote that one the most.
I go Friday a lot.
Friday.
Damn!
You got knocked the fuck out.
Knock the fuck out.
My favourite is literally a buddy of mine in work, and Mary and I work in an office, so it's like he's a massive fan of Friday, and we always joke about each other. And it's like if I'm ever heading to the toilet and he gets anywhere near me, I will be like, "Get the fuck out of my way, Stanley!" He's not called Stanley. Like any quote from John Witherspoon is fucking. I will go into the kitchen in work and make a drink, and I will get over my shoulder like, Every time I come in the kitchen, you in the
You're
kitchen.
in the kitchen. I can't wait.
And I will stop and let him go through the whole thing.
I can't wait to do the thing with Dylan when he's older. You know, when
Yeah.
like I catch him like coming out of the toilet and he's just like, "Oh, Dad, get out of the way." I'll be like, "Boy, I've been smelling
Your
this
shit
shit for
for
20
30
years.
years."
It's been around 5 minutes."
That is amazing. That is great.
Final set of questions comes from Alexander Kirik.
Hey, Alexander.
Xander.
Did you ever have a TV series cancelled that you really liked and enjoyed?
Reaper,
Reaper's a good one,
motherfuckers.
yeah, man.
No,
That was
I
fucking a
was
killer.
loving Reaper. I loved Sock, and they just stopped it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
stopped
You know,
it.
my
Shame. It was
immediate
building something
answer-
real interesting as
And I was
well.
just like, I mean, say what you want about Firefly.
Probably
Yeah,
Firefly,
Firefly.
I love
Yeah.
Firefly as well, but
We're still mad.
They were
Yeah.
still pissed, and like the one
Reaper-
film was not enough.
Reaper really fucking hit me because, you know, it just ended and I was like, I need
wanted more.
that was-
and that's why when I saw
Yeah.
Tucker Dale
Oh,
versus
yes.
Evil, because I was the first one to see it
Yeah.
in Sainsbury's, I was like, I picked it up, walked to the wife and went, I'm buying this. Why?
Because Sock's in it.
You know,
Yeah.
I was just like, I'm not arguing
Alan,
over this.
is it Alan Tudyk? Alan
Alan
Tudyk.
Tudyk?
Yeah,
Yeah,
from
man, he's
from
like
Firefly. I
Yeah,
was just
yeah.
like, we're buying this.
Yeah.
Just chucked in.
Angel?
Yes,
The way they
yeah,
fucking
that was
wrapped
the
up
last one
Angel?
I was going to bring up. I listed Space Above and Beyond, Dead Like
one.
Me.
Oh,
but also,
fuck! Dead Like Me was
Dead
so
Like Me
good.
was
But
a
Dead
good
Like
one.
Me also got a TV movie
Yeah.
kind of
Did it?
closure. Yeah, it
I
did.
didn't know
Theatrical. Well, it didn't get cinema release, but
See,
it
I
got,
look
it
for that. I
got,
got
it got a
like
feature
two
length
like seasons
closure.
of that
Yeah,
on
we got
DVD.
Yeah,
I
two
didn't know
seasons
that.
and a feature
Fuck.
length closure, which was okay. You know,
It's never going to be.
the
like-
original showrunner. I think it was Brian Fuller. Kind of left after 6 episodes, and the show floundered, and
Yeah.
it couldn't find its
So
footing.
the other one that I like was oh fuck, with the pie maker, Dead Like Me. Is it? No,
With the
no,
Pie
I think-
Maker?
Yeah, fucking Pushing Daisies.
Bush and Daisies.
Uh,
That
Yeah,
was the
I
show
fucking-
that came before, just before
Dead Like Me.
Dead Like Me. Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
I really
There was
liked
another
Bush
one I
and
had, Carnival, which got 2 seasons and
Yeah.
then got dropped.
Yeah.
But yeah, Angel was the big one. Like
That
they were
quick
the
wrap
show.
up, dude.
They went from at season 4. It was a good setup for season 5 to go in a whole new direction with the show.
Yeah.
And like 6 episodes towards the end, the studio went cancelled, and it was like no fucking way. And the writers, still pissed, still sour,
Yeah.
wrote a bad ending. Well, I mean, it was an effective ending, but it was for your characters that you've been watching for 7 seasons of Buffy, 5 seasons of Angel, to get killed and left in a position where they're all going to die
Yeah.
was so hurtful, and you felt the anger
Yeah.
from the writers, from the team. that
but
was
What I
ending.
would say is pick up the comic books.
Yeah, I did. I
you
found
read
out
them?
what happened to
And it's
all of the
kinda good.
characters. It is.
Yeah,
It's like,
dude.
oh wow, like
But
that,
that
they live
final
on.
that final fight sequence between
Yeah.
Angel and the guy from Firefly.
Wolfram and Hart.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
Tom Jane.
yeah.
Tom Jane. The character's called Jane. In
Yeah.
Firefly,
Yeah, that guy, Jane,
Baldwin.
yeah. Yeah, Baldwin. When he's just stood there and he's just like, I'm endued with the blood of the wolf, around the heart, and
He's like,
Angel's face.
shouldn't have said that.
Shouldn't have said that. And I'm like, you're all gonna get fucked up now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then
Yeah.
it makes you think Angel might be able to kill that dragon. Maybe.
Oh, definitely.
Well, he does.
Or as you find out, in the comics, tame it.
Yeah.
She tames the fucking thing.
Yeah.
And so the last part of the question is it more fun praising a good movie or bashing a bad one? I'm just going to start by saying I don't like losing my temper reviewing films. I'd rather just accept it's kind of happened. I'll admit it's still more fun to rip into a bad film and tear it to shreds to try and find something good in it.
Yeah.
But the word that came up earlier is balance. I like to balance the good films with the bad films, because if you just consecutively review shit films, you feel the fatigue and you just feel like I'm just ranting. And it's like, there's good films to talk about and praise that people might not have heard of.
I like
Yeah.
to get excited about good movies. I'd
Right.
much rather fucking
Yeah.
lose my shit over a good movie than watch like Godzilla
Yeah, no,
and lose my shit in a completely different way.
I'd rather bash a bad one. You know, I have a lot of anger that I have to spend a lot of my time a day controlling it, you know, so that I don't...
Hence the home invasions.
Yeah, so that I don't burn the world and, you know, kill everybody and just stand on a throne of skulls just screaming at the sky, you know, waiting for the apocalypse to come. So when somebody comes along and goes, I really want you to review this movie, I think it's really, really good. You know, you like this scene, you like this movie, don't you? Oh yeah, you like this movie, yeah. Well, they take elements from that. And then it's done so fucking badly that I'm just like, what the fuck? How can you enjoy this? And they're like, well, you're missing out on this. Bullshit. Bullshit. It was so much better in that movie. You know, we can all say it's a movie's really, really good. You got your list. You got fucking like Aliens.
Yeah.
You know, you sit down, you watch Aliens. Absolutely fucking awesome. Really hard to bash it. It's got its problems, but at the end of the day, I'm just gonna say it's fucking Aliens.
Yeah.
You know, you watch it. You know, I'm not gonna spoil it for you because it's that good.
I'll be honest and say I'm looking forward to destroying the next Hellraiser movie.
Yeah.
It's on my looking forward to list.
And you're like, you've spurned me now. I'm gonna this is my revenge. Actually, there's something to be said for when you've sat through a fucking 90-minute movie. It's like you can't get your money back.
No
matter what. So the only thing that you can do is be like, I'm a shit talk you.
I'm gonna
the fucking place that I go.
I'm gonna
like,
destroy you. You know,
Yeah.
like the series
I
of
will verbally
films,
fucking drop you.
the series of films that we're reviewing at the moment. You know, when you get to the end, when you get to that final chapter in that series of movies, oh my god!
Can't believe you got through them all.
I'm not apologizing for my language.
No.
Because it's just so funny, and I can't apologize.
It's the reason why we can't put adverts on the videos anymore, Ian.
And I can't apologize for Gary because he had to sit there all the way through it and he hadn't seen it.
No,
and I was enjoying it all the way through because I was just like, he's gonna fucking hate it.
He's gonna freak out when he sees this final chapter. Oh god. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of the podcast. I just want to say thank you everyone for listening and tuning in as our podcast goes into double digits. We hope you have a fantastic Halloween.
Yes.
And again,
Happy Halloween.
Let us know what horror films you watch on a Halloween.
And before you go, just so that everybody knows, the podcast going up in November, it'll probably be all about my birthday. Because my birthday's in November.
For Ian, it's a major event.
It is a major event that we all have to deal with
every
year.
My birthday's in November. Just know that.
Ian's birthday doesn't last one day. It lasts 7.
It's a weekend.
You're talking like old school South Park, where it's like we all get fucking emails like, you have to get me the red Mega Man.
You gotta get me
the blue Mega Man to make the Ultra Mega Man.
So get excited, motherfuckers.
Andy, would you like to tell our listeners where else they can find you in the interweb?
Oh yeah, totally. If you're, I think I've made it clear, I'm a big fan of Warhammer 40k and gaming in general. If you're interested, we've got a Facebook page called Sustained Fire. It's me and a couple of buddies. We all used to work for Games Workshop, who produced the game. My good friend Iain has been on the last couple of episodes talking about the Black Library novels.
Because I'm awesome.
Because we needed a guest. And so you can download our podcast through Podbean or just visit us on Facebook at Sustained Fire. That'd be great.
Brilliant. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye, Felicia.
It's nearly my birthday.